He comes to his senses right in the middle of the fight and can't believe his eyes. He's an academy recruit again, just like he used to be. But the huge shadow that appears behind him don't give him time to think. Yan barely manages to block the blow and flies back against the wall. This pumped-up guy named Roman can't stand it when someone ignores him, especially when he came here to beat up some low-ranked recruit that no one would care if he died. But then Yan smiles like a maniac, knowing he has returned to the past, and tells Roman one very important fact. He won't have a girlfriend even when he's 40. This enrages the big guy, and he rushes forward like crazy. He manages to punch only air when Yan easily dodges all his strikes. And then time freezes, and our boy slightly punches his stomach. It sends him flying like a doll. Roman just can't understand how Yan has such powers and passes out. This fight was seen by one of the highest-ranking soldiers from afar. After the fight, Yan gets to do his work as the lowest-ranking recruit, carrying different trash and boxes. But when he approaches a dark corner, he feels killing intent from an ambush. He still steps forward to see who is waiting for him. It turns out to be the same girl from before. She wants to know what his objective is, and why he is hiding his true strength. Yan starts to play dumb, and tells her he has no idea what she's talking about. That's when she tells him she saw his fight near the Great Sword, and clearly saw his 1-inch punch that wiped out that guy. But Yan still pretends not to even know what a 1-inch punch is. That's when she suddenly launches a strike, hoping to provoke him to show his true strength. Yan sees her strike clearly, but still takes it intentionally. Shivering on the ground, he asks her why she beat him out of nowhere. He already told her she mistook him for someone else. He goes so far for a reason. She must not suspect anything. You see, before his regression, Yan was a special forces commander who single-handedly wiped out an emperor's elite guardians. He deleted the worm that the emperor had placed inside him to control like a puppet and almost got this damn emperor. But he still died when the emperor threw a sword right into his heart. And now he's back in this special forces academy with the goal of escaping and finally taking his revenge. Now that our fella has regressed, he's the former commander and mutters about the shitty state he's in now while carrying large boxes of wastewater. Talking about damned fate, Yan shifts from a special commander position to the mission purification squad's cleaner. On the contrary, there are 1,000 trainee soldiers in the special task force. In this place where everyone becomes stronger by killing each other to survive, an average of 3 to 4 people would die daily. Well, those empty spots would then be filled up by either kidnapping others or by volunteers who want to join. The training ground is the Dragon's Den in the northwestern mountain ranges, and the inside of this place is a labyrinth-like dungeon. There, trainee soldiers are each assigned a number, and the numbers are assigned based on the skills of the trainee soldier. They can climb up the ranks through tests and competition. In a pyramid system where the treatment one receives can change depending on how high the number is, it's used to keep the trainee soldiers under complete control as they pull each other down and trample over one another, just like the survival of the fittest, where the strongest strive for more power and the weaker ones get trampled over. Under such a system, it's hard for the lowest-ranked trainee soldier of the 900th batch of trainees to survive. It turns out that after regressing, Yan gets the lowest of the ranks that can be easily replaced even if they die. But normally, they're just used for labor or to help in other people's training. Our guy feels lucky that he only has to do labor and is not the center of attention. Suddenly, Yan is shoved by someone and his boxes fall down. Intimidated, our guy asks the person if he doesn't have eyes. But he immediately regrets his words because it turns out to be the highest-ranked soldiers he'd bumped into. In a pyramid like this, there are trainee soldiers that stand at the top, and they are high-ranked soldiers, the successors of the Empire's nobles. The nobles join the special task force for the following reasons: for the sake of their loyalty to the emperor, continuing the family line, and keeping the other families in check. And while they're there, the training center makes life comfortable for them. In addition, they're also not required to have chips like insects placed inside of them, as they're already prisoners through the privilege known as nobility. The high-ranked trainee soldiers would maintain their high ranks as they also receive the privileges and benefits of it. Among those top trainee soldiers, 3 of them are always in the top 3: Lorena Beowulf, Cruel Dwight, and Kasia Everain. Bastard Cruel, who already looks evil, asks Lorena why she is apologizing to trash like him. Our boy senses trouble while Cruel Dwight makes it clear that they're not of the same status, even though they're training together. He mocks Yan, the commoner, for talking down to the nobles like this, calling him the lowest of the lower ranks. Scoffing, Cruel peeks at his rank number, which is 974, wondering if Yan has such a low number that he isn't intelligent enough to understand him. Yan quietly swallows his anger, but low-key, he wishes to split his head in half at that moment. While that bastard noble keeps venting, our guy deals patiently and apologizes, justifying that he should have paid more attention to who he was talking to. That asshole Cruel isn't satisfied with just an apology, as that's what only humans do, and implies that what Yan needs to do is beg. He forces our guy to get on the ground and beg for mercy. Inside Yan's intrusive thoughts, he'd already split Cruel's head in half, but he barely holds his anger. The noble dude keeps blabbing shit and assumes that Yan is so surprised that he can't even talk after meeting someone as great as him. Cruel warns our boy to be careful next time, while Kasha, who seems a little empathetic, picks up the boxes and apologizes to Yan. After the top-ranked soldiers leave, Yan feels relieved when he sees their never-ending obsession with their high ranks, because the longer they do that, the more he's at an advantage. Just as he proceeds on his way, Yan halts his movement after noticing a strong bloodlust, which means someone's waiting in ambush. Our guy gets ahead of himself, assuming that it's the scaredy cat Roman, but strangely, it feels different. Therefore, he feigns ignorance and approaches. Just as he passes through that door, someone utters that they've been waiting for him, also mentioning Yan's soldier rank. Yan's eyes widen with shock when he discovers that it's Lorena Beowulf, the top-ranked noble soldier who had been waiting for him. The top-wanted criminal that the Imperial Knights have failed to arrest is the Blue Iron Arm, Galdur. He committed his first murder at the age of 11 and formed a robber group at the age of 20. He attacked 23 villages and 17 guilds. That arm of his that can deflect even orichalcum is a symbol of fear. However, Lorena Beowulf arrested the Iron Blue Arm, Galdur, and dragged his arm around. That sentence alone was enough for her to join the Imperial Knights. The Beowulf Duchy, one of the top 4 noble families that rule over the northern Snow Mountain region. The knights of the family say that Lorena possesses the potential to become the strongest swordsman on the continent, the young sword saint, and that she's the strongest completed product of the Beowulf family. Yan finds her questioning him, and believes that she's gotten the wrong person because why would Lorena Beowulf question him in the first place? Our guy is cautious, knowing that he should never get involved with her or become her enemy. Anyways, Lorena asks him his objective and wonders why he's hiding his true strength. Shocked, Yan tries to act clueless as to what she's talking about. That's when she reveals that she saw him training by the great sword statue by coincidence, and thought it was a duel between low-ranked trainee soldiers, but soon she doubted her own eyes, because she saw a 1-inch punch that was totally out of league compared to the rest. Lorena asks our guy why he is still a low-ranked trainee with these skills. At that moment, Yan realizes that he made the mistake of flaunting his skills. Therefore, he acts innocent and asks Lorena what a 1-inch punch is. The Imperial Knight states that maybe she was mistaken, and as the low-ranked knight assumes she's just going to let it go, she extends her hand for a shake but goes for a 1-inch punch instead. Yan follows her movements and realizes that it's a highly emotional attack. Hence, he decides to act like a pitiful commoner who got beaten up by a noble unfairly and trigger that guilty conscience of hers. And with that personality of hers, he believes that she won't suspect anything as he takes the hit. Lorena feels sorry, as this wasn't how it was supposed to go, and offers to help our boy move stuff as she asks him where he was moving the boxes to. Yan tries to object, but she doesn't listen, and decides to help anyway, while she tells him to speak casually since they are both trainee soldiers. Lorena doesn't think it's honorable for a high-ranked trainee soldier to treat a low-ranked trainee soldier as a slave. She intends to protect the assets of the slaves within her territory when she becomes the lord of a territory. Yan finds her more talkative than he had expected, and thanks her for being able to move all of the boxes. With that, Lorena decides to take her leave while she hopes she's wrong, mentioning the 1-inch attack as she saw Yan's eyes following her hand. She hopes that she's wrong about that too and leaves, hoping to see him again. Our boy is left contemplating if there's a way to get her off his back and ponders if he should kill her right now. He should be able to kill her easily right now, but if he kills her, then he will turn up the whole Beowulf family against him. He would be a fool to make enemies of the Beowulf family just because she bothers him and decides to focus first on escaping. Yan looks around in a bathroom as he remembers that while there were deserters when he was in the Special Task Force commander, most of them weren't able to escape from the training center. But one deserter managed to escape and was caught in a nearby forest. Our dude asked him not so nicely as to how he escaped. He then answered in the same tone Yan asked the question in. To their surprise, the escape route was beyond the wall of the 3rd area, 5th cubicle of the abandoned toilet, and after breaking the wall of the cubicle, an exit was found. The exit hole is still quite small, but if Yan keeps digging, he will be able to get out of here. He plans to escape this sickening special task force and regain his freedom. We see an attendant walk through the hall as he confirms the trainee's presence. He moves on to trainee 974, who's Yan, and when he doesn't hear a response, he assumes that he's dead, but then our boy lets him know that he's right here. As the roll call is done, the attendant blows out the candles. What Yan realized as he performed missions was that the more cautiously he moved, the higher the rate of success. He will have only one chance, and even if he succeeds in escaping, the pursuit squad will be after him, and that will bring him a lot of trouble. And if he fails, he will be made an example for the remaining trainees. Our boy needs a card that could become an unexpected variable, and he's not sure if it can be done with his current body, but he has no choice. The Dark Dragon's Breathing, a mana circulation technique that only the Special Task Force commanders know. Unfortunately, right now, Yan only has the knowledge of the technique, but his body isn't able to catch up. He needs to reduce the burden on his body and create the energy core to act as the mana engine. But he's on a time crunch to create an energy core with just the Dark Dragon's Breathing. Hence, there's only one other way, and that is to use the Divine Dragon's Breathing. Our boy finds the flow of mana to be faster than his expectations, and he's overflowing with mana throughout his body. It's as if a dragon has entered Yan's body. The Divine Dragon's Breathing, the secret technique of the first emperor who founded this empire as he conquered numerous countries with a single sword. The technique was so powerful that the emperor, who was bored, went out searching for it personally. Our dude feels the technique to be immensely powerful, just like its name implies. Suddenly he feels mana leaving his energy core and immediately realizes that he can't let that continue. Therefore, he needs to do whatever he can to stop it. In the end, Yan fails and guesses that it's impossible to create an energy core with an incomplete secret technique. One day, the emperor taught the secret to our guy, and even though he didn't know if he was just being whimsical or testing him, in the scroll that he gave him, there were only instructions on how to absorb mana, but no instructions on how to compress mana. Yan is aware of where the other secret technique scroll is, but he needs to focus on escaping first, before that starts. The next day, the trainee soldiers gossip about those being released who are gathered here today, as they all ponder if that's true. But Yan knows the truth, knowing there's no way that would happen, and based on what he remembers, today's the day that person comes here. He decides to stay out of his sight as much as he can, but then hears him calling out his name. The soldiers notice the instructor appear in front of them and ask him if they can really go back home today. The instructor uses aura voice echo, a technique where one infuses mana into their voice. The soldiers feel intense strength, while Yan is in disbelief as to how he could use this on trainee soldiers. But the instructor calls them out, referring to them as trash that has neither talent nor status, and asks them if there's a reason they should stay alive. Meanwhile, our boy never thought he would meet this lunatic again. The instructor is a Special Task Force Training Center Commander Damien. The soldiers killed by the aura voice echo used by Damien are taken away while the instructor commander observes the situation. Low-rank trainee soldiers are just toys to the instructor commander. Our guy plans to be cautious not to get on his bad side before escaping, or he would even have to give up his life. The instructor addresses the soldiers and lets them know that everyone is trash, having the worst talent or statuses in society. He really wishes to kill them all, but the emperor, who he believes is even greater than the heavens, has given them all one last chance. This one last chance to be selected to participate in a mercenary project. It is known that this is a project to select the members to protect the emperor, the dragon of the empire. The selected ones will have the honor of protecting the emperor as a dragon warrior, but in reality, they would brainwash the trainee soldiers by inserting a bug into their brains. To be blunt, the true objective of this project is to create puppets for the emperor to control, to create people who can't even kill themselves without the order from the emperor. Damien instructs the trainees to be thankful for the emperor's magnanimous mercy for being so generous and considerate. He hears their applause louder than the high-ranked trainee soldiers, while Yan feels the need to be as low profile as possible. Roman raises his hand and asks the instructor if being a dragon warrior is that great, wondering if he gets to be selected to participate in such a great project, then he might get a chance to beat up that smug-looking face of the instructor. Upon this, poor Roman is hit with finger flick arts by Damien, who asks him if he's alright, mocking him by saying that he thought he was strong since he was spouting nonsense so confidently, but he was an insect after all. The trainees check up on Roman, who faints, while our boy believes that the fella will probably live if he stops his bleeding, but it's too dangerous for him to help right now. But, to everyone's surprise, Roman gets back up, groaning in pain, and his fellows are in shock to see him able to withstand the instructor commander's attack. The white-haired trainee talks back to the instructor, asking him if they're inspected. Then would people like them be called, who gather insects like them? In order to survive the filthy alleyways, they did all sorts of dirty work and endured all sorts of humiliation because their lives could only be survived if they did that. Roman wonders if the emperor or the dragon warrior are that important, and spits to the instructor that they ought to protect their oh-so-important emperor themselves. The instructor calls him a tenacious insect, just like a cockroach, as he's heard that cockroaches survive even if their heads get chopped off. As he wonders if he's the same and is about to attack Roman, a crystal mole appears. Crystal mole, a breed of wild rat that's found in the deep undergrounds of a mountain range. It's very notorious despite its cute appearance. It's notoriously known for the fact that when its crystals come into the slightest contact with something else, it would start to shine and explode. Damien wonders where the hell that came from, while the so-called courageous guy Roman faints again and is expected to move somewhere else. It turns out to be Yan, who's disappointed to waste the crystal mole. He saw it in the toilet and brought it along in case he had a use for it. But he never imagined he would use it so quickly, and it would be a problem if the instructor commander finds out. It will be over for our dude if he gets caught, but it turns out the commander didn't pay attention to that, and instead, he seems to like Roman. Our boy takes a breath of relief as they're dismissed and thinks of Roman as an idiot, knowing why he's so desperate, while the instructor smirks as he finds himself an interesting toy. In Area 3, the abandoned toilet, we see trainee soldier Yan, who let his guard down and did not bring a mask along. It's his third day of preparing his escape. Hence, he digs a tunnel, holds it with wooden boards, and repeats. Things have been going smoothly for the past 3 days since our boy can see pretty well in the dark with mana-enhanced eyes. He has no issues even if the tunnel is dark. No one has passed by this place for the past 3 days because this place is an abandoned building that doesn't even show up on the map. As Yan feels positive that he's progressing faster than he thought, his knife hits something. Meanwhile, the trainee soldiers are moving boxes as the supervisor confirms the presence of the soldiers. And just when it's the turn of trainee 974, Our guy? The supervisor stops him as he feels a suspicious smell coming from him. The instructor tells him to take his hood off, and it turns out that he broke one of the barrels he was moving by mistake, and it happened to contain waste. That explains why he's drenched in it. The instructor feels the intense smell getting into his nose and tells Yan to get lost, annoyed. Our boy cleans up and believes this should be enough to get rid of the smell while he's relieved that no one suspected him. He wasn't expecting to hit the drain pipe of all things, and that was on the level of a dragon's shit. Our dude wonders what the hell all these people are eating. But there's nothing to panic about since the plan seems to be proceeding without any issues after all. Yan gathers a dagger, a rope, and other tools for his escape, and his body is also ready to a certain extent. He thought he was really going to die because of the intense training he had to put himself through in such a short time, but since it showed good results, he thinks it's fine. As he's thinking about the only thing which is left to do, he involuntarily overhears the conversation between two instructors, and one of them talks about Gale's tongue being cut because he laughed in front of the instructor commander, while the other doesn't even want to get started on this because he was so scared to even breathe properly. His fellow instructor reassures him to hang in a bit longer since he's heard the rumor that the instructor commander will soon be away from this post. Yan smiles, knowing that the instructor commander not being around is pretty important information, and he can't let such a great opportunity pass. He decides to finish up his task at the abandoned toilet, but to his surprise, he hears footsteps, and someone is approaching his way. His first thought was that it could be Lorena and the instructor commander who caught on to his plan, but it turns out to be Roman. Upon seeing Yan, Roman wonders why our boy is so disappointed to see him and says that it's no time to follow him around if that's what he's doing. Our boy wonders why he's treating him like a stalker and asks him if it's okay to move around with those injuries. But Roman acts all strong as he states that these injuries are nothing to him. Our trainee lets him know that blood is spurting out of his wound like a fountain, but the white-haired guy calls it a pimple, naming it a pimple burst. Yan gives up and plays along as he states that he's glad it's just a pimple and decides to get going since he has things to do. Roman smirks while he admits that he must be pretty busy digging a dog hole and wonders how fun it would be if the instructor found out. He mockingly asks Yan if he's dying to witness the reaction too. Our boy knows that things will be much simpler if he just takes Roman out here, as he even manifested using Dark Chaos 16th form, Dark Hunt, to kill him. But he stops manifesting his intrusive thoughts, and instead grows quiet. Roman is curious as to why he's not saying anything, and wonders if he's so nervous that he became speechless. He understands that since our boy would get executed just for attempting to escape, he probably wasn't expecting to get caught by him. And even if he's got nothing to say, he expects Yan to at least try begging him or something, as he suggests that he might consider keeping it a secret for him. Yan seems to be positive that he wouldn't say anything while he challenges him, claiming to do it right now. But our boy knows he won't because Roman loathes the special forces more than he does, as he couldn't even control his anger earlier, even though he could have died. With that strong determination of wanting to return to his hometown, Yan asks him if he will tell the instructor about the escape route. But there's no way that's happening because he believes Roman wants to escape this place more than anyone else. The white-haired dude admits that he's truly extraordinary, and when he last fought Yan, he could sense it vaguely. He's also aware that if our boy wanted to, he could have killed him, and he wouldn't be here. After that, Roman could easily spot Yan among the other trainee soldiers because of a certain unique smell he had. Meanwhile, our boy gives him a look, now confirmed that he's a stalker, and asks him how he got to know that he was digging a tunnel. Roman lets him know that his footsteps gave it away, as the training center is mostly made of granite, but he discovered weird footsteps that contained lime powder. The width and size of the stride were the same as Yan's. Hence, Roman was able to figure out who it belonged to and his plans just from that information. But it turns out that he looked through the work logs too and found our boy coming here pretty often. The white-haired dude turned out to be sharper than Yan had expected, even though he doesn't look like that. Roman wonders if that's a compliment. As our boy is about to leave, Roman asks him to spill everything about his escape plan and where the tunnel leads to, also confirming the probability of escaping. Yan wonders if he's asking that because he wants to escape together with him, but he can't answer that right now as he needs time to think about it. However, our boy gives him a reality check by telling him to just stay in this place, and since he's skilled, he should be able to climb to a better plan in about 10 years. But Yan asks him about what would happen to those that Roman is trying to protect. They can't even guarantee their own survival right now. Hence, he wonders, would those that he's trying to protect still be around in 10 years? Our dude lets him know that there's no time to think. Therefore, he has to decide now. And if he joins him, they will no longer be here the day after tomorrow. Roman asks him if he has a plan for after he's escaped from this place, and Yan obviously has thought things through. The white-haired dude reminds him that the difference between their ranks is 962 places. If they escape, the instructor will definitely go after him first, and it's just like Yan said, the both of them will not be here the day after tomorrow because Roman will be in his grave. Meanwhile, our guy is impressed to see Roman's ability of manifestation, which has grown far in such a short time, and is convinced that this fella truly is different from what he looks. And Roman gets a confirmation that this was definitely not a compliment. Yan tells him not to complain since he's also taking a pretty high risk. And as the white-haired dude asks him what he's going to do, our trainee lets him know that he has no choice but to bite his bait. The instructor commander gathers all the soldiers late at night as he has an announcement to make. He's aware that meeting this late would naturally cause some frowns, However, he tells them to think positively since he has good news. Yan, if not mistaken, is aware that today is the announcement of the test details. The instructor reveals that the first test date has been decided, and the test is a simple one. The trainees will be heading to a certain location, and they will pass if they survive 1 week there. The first test location is the Blade Mountain Ranges, just like our boy expected. Yan then narrates about an adventurer in the past named Nilfra. Nilfra knew that a medicinal herb that could cure his mother's sickness grew in the Blade Mountain Ranges, so he went there. His mother was said to have waited for him until her last breath, and the fortunate thing was that Nilfra's mother didn't hear about what happened to her son before she passed away. The Blade Mountain Ranges contained numerous monsters, and were known to be a prohibited area even within the Empire. It starts with goblins appearing, and the deeper they go, the more dangerous the monsters will be. From large demi-humans that were rarely spotted to humongous monsters that only appeared in stories. Such monsters would appear in the Blade Mountain Ranges. Besides that, there were also monsters that the world still didn't know about. The world is still in the midst of discovering those monsters, while the monster that lives in the deepest part of the mountains is called That. The instructor commander appears excited as he wonders how many of these insects will still be alive after next week, and even the thought of these insects dying makes him happy. Just then, another instructor comes to him to report something, and it is revealed that it's time for the instructor commander to go. He dismisses the soldiers after the announcement and leaves, while Yan notices that he looked pretty upset, but he also didn't expect the instructor to end so abruptly. Our trainee is aware that it would be close to impossible for low-ranked trainee soldiers to survive the Blade Mountain Ranges without preparation. The high-ranked trainee soldiers would be protected by the instructors since they are nobles. He yanks out of his thoughts when he hears other trainees commanding him and the other low-ranked soldiers to step aside and make way since Miss Lorena is passing through. Our guy is hit by a sudden realization as he totally forgot about Lorena and desperately hopes she will walk past him. But to Yan's disappointment, the noble soldier whispers to him that she will be waiting in anticipation. Yan wonders if he got caught already and finds the situation to be more complicated than he thought. But he believes there's probably no need to think about this right now since he will be getting out of here soon. Yan asks Roman if he has prepared what he asked for, and it seems he did. Hence, our dude tells him to go and see the great stone sword to his heart's content. As Roman wonders why he would want to see that annoying thing, he's told that he wouldn't be able to see that tomorrow. It appears that our trainee knows what message the instructor commander received earlier. The message was a request for him to go to the palace to give a report on the test situation to the emperor before the first test starts. While our boy hates seeing any of the people of the palace, he can't go against the imperial order. Hence, with this, the large unknown variable in his escape plan is gone. Therefore, Yan is assured that tonight is when they will escape. The instructor confirms the presence of trainees in their units. 931 died, and as he moves to 974, he doesn't receive an answer. The instructor orders our boy to answer quickly as he's wasting his time, but then he hears a present behind him before his neck is cracked and he's dead. Yan Roman and 2 others begin their escape from the Special Mission Task Force Training Center. Our boy knows that the other guard will be starting the next shift soon, hence he instructs Jake and Todd to hide the body out of sight. Roman brought 2 guys just like he asked him to, while Yan wonders if they can count on them. The white-haired dude is concerned if our boy will use them as decoys, but Yan states that if that was the case, then he wouldn't have had him bring 2. Jake and Todd reassure them that they won't be dead weight to them as it's do or die for them too, when our dude tells them to be quiet because things can get messy if the light sleepers wake up. They arrive at a door where Yan reveals that this is the reason why he brought them too. He can't open it by himself, and that's where they come in. To go to the washroom in the abandoned area from the dormitory, they have to open 2 doors. But to open the door, they have to activate 2 pressure plate switches on the inside. And the activated door has to be fixed by a lever outside. First, 2 people have to step on both switches to open the door. Then the other 2 can pass. The 2 who have passed have to activate the lever outside the door to fix its position. Then the people left behind can pass through. That's why Yan could never get out of here by himself. Roman and Jake decide to stay behind as they decide to step on it at the same time when one of them gives a signal. They both press on it at the same time, and the door opens with a rumbling sound. Yan instructs them to keep holding down the switches and Todd to follow him. Roman wonders how long they are supposed to step on this for, and our boy breaks it to him until he gives him the signal. After a while, the white-haired dude starts to run short on patience as he wonders why Yan hasn't given them the signal yet. The door shuts itself, leaving him feeling enraged as he assumes that our boy intended to leave them behind from the start. He starts regretting his decision and realizes that he shouldn't have chosen to go in the first place. Suddenly, Roman hears Yan's voice asking him if he's gone mad since he told him to wait and he couldn't even do that. Our trainee appears out of the gate as it opens, and the white-haired dude bombards him with questions when he sees blood on his mouth. Roman wonders where Todd is, and our boy snaps at him to stop acting concerned when he was just cussing at him. With that, he reveals that something unexpected happened. Turns out, Yan faced the great wolf and thought it would work if he just fed it food that contained sleeping pills. But it didn't work. It was more uncontrollable than he thought, so it took our boy some time. Roman sees the size of the wolf, only to find it huge, and wonders if he killed this by himself. However, our dude decides not to waste any more time here and get out quickly. After that, the escape went as planned. Using the passageway that Yan dug in the abandoned toilet, they could see the area outside of the training center. They managed to get out just fine, and there was still no presence of other people in the area. Our boy believes that they've probably just found out about their escape. The pursuit squad should already be on the move. The other members can't believe they escaped so quickly, and realization hits them that they've wasted their life. But Yan thinks otherwise. He believes that it took them too long, way too long, and it's been a while since he's breathed outside air. Roman asks our boy if they're finally free once they get out of this place, but he warns them not to let their guard down, as this is just the start. This is the start, the beginning of the journey to get everything back. The clocks keep ticking and they don't have much time left. Therefore, Yan advises everyone to listen to him carefully since it's a one-time declaration. He reveals that the Atrian forest is made of sequoia trees and is located near the front of the Empire's northern mountain ranges. They are in the center of the Atrian forest, so they will have to run for 2 days straight if they want to get out of here. Roman interrupts our guy as he suggests hiding in the forest since the sequoia trees are tall. They can hide well among them. Our trainee admits that even though there are a lot of places to hide, there are even more monsters. He's aware that even now, the tracking hounds should be after them, and it's only a matter of time before they find them if they hide. While there's a pursuit squad as well, consisting of already 20 members, if they end up running into them, it's game over for them. Therefore, in order to increase their chances of escaping, Yan suggests there's only one way to do this, and that is that they need to disperse and split up the pursuit squad. If they go different ways, the squad will have no choice but to split up. They will just need to shake off 5 members of the pursuit squad each, which will eventually increase their chances of escaping. However, Roman believes this idea is ridiculous because he feels like he will end up as bait since they will go after the high-ranked trainee soldier. Our guy taunts him and reminds him that's why he should have just undergone training half-assedly. But he knows that if the 4 of them travel together, they will definitely be caught by the squad. Hence, they need to do it so at least one of them can get away. Yan lets out that they will be running in 4 different directions and believes there are no more questions. But the white-haired dude doesn't understand one thing and makes stupid-ass jokes that one can't even voluntarily laugh at. Our guy completely ignores Roman and decides to get going when Jake and Todd thank him, because if it weren't for him, they wouldn't have made it out of that horrible place. With that, Jake takes his hood off as he claims to repay Yan in the future for his help, hoping to exchange greetings later. Meanwhile, our trainee, who thought Jake was just a normal trainee soldier, is surprised as he realizes that he must have his own reasons to escape that place. However, Roman doesn't comply with Jake's idea of meeting in the future, making it clear that he doesn't even want to meet them again. Our dude gives him a look and lets him know that he's pretty cold-hearted, even though he acted pretty well as a captain. The white-haired dude realizes that he's been misunderstood and goes on to give a justification, explaining that the situation where they meet again would be if they get caught. Therefore, he only meant for them to get away safely. Yan frowns at that lame dude again and ponders if Roman has regressed too because he sounds so old sometimes. Nonetheless, he admits that Roman is right and decides to never meet again. With that, the escape mission begins, and the 4 of them start running for their lives. Our guy uses Divine Dragon's breathing, mobility art, and wind flap and gets above a sequoia tree. Sighing, Yan finds his darn body so problematic because it's hard to even maintain the Divine Dragon's breathing, even though the technique itself is different. He's glad that he's able to make up for this lacking body that doesn't even have mana flowing within it with body-strengthening techniques. But then he lets out a bitter laugh as he wonders what he was even expecting from a kid, referring to his body. He feels pathetic right now as he's the commander of the 5th Special Force, a guy who is known for being the best at tracking, assassination, and spying. Our guy ponders if he should test how good the special forces of the past are. On the other hand, the instructor asks if there's any contact from the pursuit squad, and when he gets a negative answer, he gets furious, wondering what's taking them so long. He knows that they have to capture them as soon as possible before that crazy-ass commander instructor returns. As soon as they say that, they hear someone saying, "That would be impossible because that crazy-ass is already back." And that's when they realize that Instructor Commander Damien is already back. They're left speechless to find him back while Damien laughs it off, saying that things like this happen and it's all right. Even so, the instructor apologizes, but the commander believes that people even curse the Emperor when he's not around. With that, he takes hold of the instructor who's in charge of the trainee soldiers' dormitories and states that he must have it hard, trying to find those escaped trainees. He tries to reassure the commander instructor that the pursuit squad will capture them without any issues. Damien wonders how they're going to do that because there's already an issue, and with that, he does something to the instructor and breaks his legs. The instructor screams in pain while the insane commander reminds him that he didn't even know that they were planning an escape. Nor did he know that they dug an escape route, and also mentions the fact that he didn't even know that they had stolen items needed for their escape. The poor instructor apologizes and tries to beg for a second chance, but Damien harshly breaks it to him that he doesn't have anything like that for him. He questions the instructor if he really thought he was unaware of who's behind him, and with that, he kills the man, who continues to beg for his life. The commander orders to call all the pursuit squads back that went outside and announces that he will be in command from now on. An underling asks him if he's doing it personally, to which Damien reveals that he's found someone interesting, and he's really looking forward to this. In the Atrian Forest, Special Forces Pursuit Squad Team 3 is in pursuit of escaped trainee soldiers. When the team leader instructs the members to stop, This leaves them confused as to what's wrong, and they wonder if the tracks disappeared. However, that's not the case because the tracking is going smoothly, but the leader feels it's unnatural for it to progress this smoothly and asks for her team's opinion on it. Andre of Pursuit Squad Team 3 believes it's normal for it to progress smoothly since the target's number is just 974, while Jair, who's also a member of the Pursuit Squad, thinks that their team leader is way too suspicious of everything. They tracked the footprints from the cliff and discovered tracks here as well. Hence, Jair is positive that the escapees are simply in a rush to run away, while Andre taunts Kelly, the team leader, as he states that the reason she got dumped is because she's always doubting everything. This makes Kelly ponder if she's really overthinking things, but this uneasy feeling isn't going away. With that, she decides to catch trainee 974 before he hides himself as it's starting to fog. Andre thinks it will be simple for them since he's only number 974 and mentions the team in charge of number 12, knowing they will have a hard time. But Jair seems to be pretty confident as he believes that number 12 is just a trainee soldier after all, hence it won't be long before they catch him. As they are talking, Andre is pulled into a tree, and now 2 members remain. Before Jair could even react, he's killed, leaving 1 member remaining in the pursuit squad. Kelly, who's still unaware of her team member's disappearance, scolds them for being so noisy as she states that the trainees will get away because of their loud voices. She turns around, only to find no one, and this leaves her utterly surprised about the 2 of them disappearing without a sound in that short instant. This is what she was feeling uneasy about, but no matter how much she thinks about it, she's certain that it can't be 974, because even number 12 wouldn't be able to take down 2 instructors. Just then, she's surprised with a sneak attack to which she reacts instantly and uses Spiral Slash, ending up cutting the tree. The team leader mocks our boy, asking him if he really thought his attack would work a 3rd time, when suddenly, Kelly is pulled up by a wire that strangles her neck, making it hard to breathe. Just then, realization hits her that the footprints and pieces of clothes weren't tracks, but were baits laid out to catch them. Kelly is left in utter disbelief about how a mere trainee could defeat them, and believes there's no way their whole team could have been taken out. However, Team 3 is annihilated completely. Meanwhile, Jan thinks that the dagger he has isn't as bad as he thought, and he can even use it as a hidden weapon. He thought he would have a hard time, but this is quite doable, as he should be able to fight without a problem if he uses body strengthening techniques. Our boy needs to get out of this forest before the fog swallows it whole. He's spread the blood of the pursuit squad over the area, which will make the hunting hounds pick up the scent and come here. This way, it will be easier for Jan to escape once he hides his scent. For that, our trainee eats slime plants. Its fruit is poisonous, and the leaves have a strong stench. He decides to crush the leaves and smear them all over himself because even hounds hate this stench, so this will erase his scent, and they shouldn't be able to find him with this. Our boy hurries because escaping will get tougher the longer he drags this out. Even he wouldn't be able to get away if they encircled him and set up an inescapable trap. Just then, he notices smoke, and knowing the pursuit squad wouldn't do that, he realizes that Jake and Todd are probably in that direction. He wonders if they think they're out here camping, and is certain at this rate they will get caught. But then he reminds himself that this isn't the time for him to be worrying about others. Yan tries to assure himself that he brought them along to use them as bait anyway, and it's actually better for him with them attracting attention like that. But then the humane instinct kicks in, and he rushes to save them, convincing himself that it's probably more advantageous for them to be alive right now. He just needs to get rid of those tracks before the pursuit squad finds them. However, he feels the goosebumps shivering down his spine and a dreadful chill running across the back of his neck. He could feel it, the eyes of death that he felt on numerous battlefields. Right at that moment, Jan senses something behind him and discreetly observes him. It legit felt as if a snake was wrapping itself around him, just like how a small butterfly flaps its wings and can cause a huge typhoon. It turns out that Jan is doomed, as his cover's been blown. Someone creeps up on our boy with murderous intent, glad that he took the bait. The camouflaged guy expresses how he knew that Jan was an interesting one when he first met him. That guy turns out to be Commander Damien, exuding malicious intent, who shows himself as if he appeared out of thin air. Damien admits that he was right in his judgment and greets trainee soldier number 974, while Jan is left to wonder what attracted the commander to this place. Strangely, lightning emerges in the sky and Damien states that a huge storm is impending. Confused, Jan still couldn't wrap his head around the fact, wondering what on earth is this damned instructor commander doing here. Our trainee narrates that before he regressed, Commander Damien definitely returned later than the planned schedule. There were even rumors that said he almost got imprisoned after causing problems at the palace. These past events make Jan curious as to why the hell the commander is here catching a low-ranked trainee instead, when he should be in the palace. Well, the realization struck him as the inevitable happened. The future has changed because Jan regressed to the past, and his actions might be the reason the future is changing. Our guy couldn't think of any of his actions that would influence Commander Damien, but the dubiety lingers in his mind. At that moment, a thought crosses his mind, that the tiny cracks created by the different actions he took after regression might have destroyed the actual future. Nonetheless, Damien wonders what Jan is going to throw this time around, maybe a mole or a lightning rat. A surge of frustration rises as our guy figures out that the commander saw all his tricks. The instructor commander spills that he noticed it back then, earlier when Yan saved Roman with the mole crystal. Damien expresses his astonishment that our guy was able to throw the mole in such a short instant, though. He was truly delighted by his quick thinking back there. Damien elucidates that at first he got confused, but he soon saw it. Hence, he was driven by certainty that, despite this place containing vermin, there was someone interesting hiding in there. Hearing this, our trainee instantly regrets his interference back then, blinded by empathy. Nonetheless, Yan is unaware of how much the future has changed, but this is the worst possible scenario for him. But he puts himself together since nothing is certain yet. While Damien is known as one of the 3 continental swordsmen, that'd only happen in the future. The commander could be easily killed in his current state. Abruptly, Damien bursts into laughter after sensing the murderous intent coming from Yan and agrees that it's been so long since someone actually thought about killing him. He calls our boy the best and asks him what he exactly intends to do. Normally, people would actually think about how to run, but he's left speechless to see Yan coming with a murder plan. Jokes apart, Damien acted recklessly and gave our trainee a special opportunity. The commander grimly tells Yan to try killing him. And to make it intriguing, Damien lets out that if he manages to do that, he'll give him the freedom he desires. Upon hearing this, our boy's eyes widen, as that's exactly what he wants: freedom. Meanwhile, the commander is low-key enjoying this, and he's so interested in Yan because, as soon as he mentioned the thing about freedom, Yan's expression totally changed. And he's never seen anyone like him before. Well, Commander Damien can't help but marvel at it. A mere low-ranked trainee soldier was able to kill a beast. On top of that, annihilated the pursuit squad that was after him. Damien is profoundly struck by Yan's decision-making skills, boldness, stamina, techniques, and eye for detail, all on different levels compared to the common trash. All the events were directed at one thing. It was as if Yan was born for the sake of becoming a part of the special forces. Damien couldn't help but wonder that if this boy keeps growing at this rate, what kind of monster would await them at the end? Well, it's apparent that the commander was grasped by the terrifying strength of our boy. The commander impatiently urges Yan to show his skills, eagerly anticipating some killer moves. But to his disappointment, things go south when our guy kneels and begs for mercy from Damien, bursting his bubble. One could see the commander's soul buffering in real time. Yan, acting as a dumbass, corroborates if that's really the instructor commander, sobbing and complaining about his weak eyesight. He justifies his actions, stating that he has no intentions of escaping. Yan makes up a story and lets out that he was dragged along with them because he was told they'd kill him if he refused to follow them. However, those guys abandoned him and suddenly went off by themselves. Just when Yan thought it was all over for him, he met Commander Damien. Our fella tries to make the commander settle on his dumbass story and reveals that trainee soldier number 12 planned it all, referring to Roman. Yan goes a bit overboard and says that all number 12 did was throw insults at Damien whenever he had the chance, like calling him a fucker. Listening to this bullshit, Damien doesn't fall for Yan's lame excuses, while our guy peaks the dramatic act as he sobs like crazy. This makes the commander suspect and wonder what trainee Yan is really after. It appears that all that trash talk was just to distract the commander, because in the next moment, Damien catches a weapon tossed at him and isn't much surprised that trainee 974 used a hidden weapon after getting him to let his guard down. Things take a mind-blowing turn when an edgy knife nearly pierces through Damien's eye, but the instructor commander dodges it, left utterly flabbergasted. Damien reckons that the second projectile that managed to scratch his face was thrown at the same angle, which means it was hidden by the first projectile. Things unfold, and the commander realizes that it was a psychological trick with the expectation that he'd dodge the first. Just then, Damien witnesses that Yan had escaped the ground and thinks that's what he's after. But the commander is proved wrong when our incredibly skilled trainee ambushes him, using the skill of Dark Shadow 15th form, Shadow Erase. Damien looks back just in time, taken aback as to when Yan had been behind him. As our guy attacks the commander, surprisingly, his attack is deflected, which also ends up wounding his arm. Yan notices that a black fog is enveloping Damien, and shortly, that black fog bursts forth like a storm, swallowing everything in its path. Our guy evades the deadly fog that still chases him, and he realizes that he won't be able to shake it off at this rate. In that case, Yan comes back stronger and activates Dark Shadow's secret art, Swallow Drop. But due to the terrifying power, our boy's dagger breaks. Damien, enveloped by the fog, takes his words back about letting Yan go if he tries to kill him, because there's no way he's letting such an interesting toy go. The commander emerges from the storm and admits that trainee 974 is truly the best. He's someone he could possibly play with for eternity without getting bored. Well, our guy isn't quite pleased because now he's got a crazy dog obsessed with him. Damien's clothes rip a bit, exposing his neck, and a tattoo is seen. The moment Yan's eyes land on the tattoo, they widen with utter shock as he interprets that pattern on the commander's neck. The scene then takes us to 22 hours before the escape. The lights go out in the low-rank trainee soldiers' accommodation cavern. That place looks more like a haunted juvie. Inside the cell, Yan seems to be done with all the escape preparations and covets that he'll be done with this place soon enough. He wishes to get quickly out of this hellhole and go back to his family. What's more complicated is that our boy doesn't know anything about them. The only clue he has is the pendant. Even with that single picture, Yan is determined to find them and enjoy a peaceful life with them. Suddenly, the pendant breaks, and our guy sees something beneath it. It turns out to be a pattern. He looks at the pendant with melancholy eyes, sensing deep sorrow, and wonders if that's his family insignia. The pattern was carved into the lid of the pendant, hidden behind the glass. This makes Yan think intricately, supposing there's a reason it needed to be hidden. This leads him to anticipate that if his family has an insignia, this clearly means Yan is neither a slave nor a commoner. Smiling, our boy thinks it's great since now he has one more piece of information. Coming to the present, Yan is taken aback by the jaw-dropping plot twist. He had thought that once he found someone who knew of this insignia, he would be able to find his family. But out of all people, that pattern is found on Damien's body, which could mean that he has some links to Yan's family. The commander takes off his shirt, making the pattern more visible. He asks Yan why he stopped all of a sudden since things were just getting interesting. Meanwhile, our boy can't think straight because he found the pattern imprinted in a totally unexpected place. Yan is forced to assume that Damien could be from his family, but he refuses to believe this since a crazy bastard like him can't be his family. As he's lost in thought, the commander comes forward and decides to kill Yan since there's no helping it. Our trainee soldier comes to his senses and lands a powerful blow, wondering if that landed properly. But Damien remains unscathed. The red-haired fella is curious about where Yan learned stuff like that from, but now that it's the commander's turn, he ought to show what he can do, and activates the skill of Dark Shadow Sword, Blade Suppression. The blades fling toward Yan, who smoothly dodges each one of them, but he ends up getting hurt by the blades. Our boy presumes that right now Damien is fighting as if he's playing with a toy. Otherwise, there's no way the killing intent he sensed from those blades would be so faint. Yan manifests that he might be able to get away when the commander lets his guard down, but the thing is, he won't be able to find out about that insignia if he runs away. He's adamant to find out about Damien and his family. And if the commander is involved with his family, Yan declares that a huge rebellion will take place across the continent in the near future. It is revealed to us that this rebellion, known as the Revolt of Armenia, will bring down 10 kingdoms in which numerous nobles will be slaughtered. The effects of this rebellion were so substantial that it even threatened the survival of the imperial family. Even such a huge rebellion was quelled in the face of the emperor's sword. After the emperor executed all the people who instigated the rebellion and their families, he burned them all. It was said that the fire burned for 20 days, and thus this incident was named the 20 Days of Twilight. The thing is that the main culprit behind this rebellion was the previous emperor's bastard child. There were several rumors about why he instigated the rebellion, but the truth is unknown because all relevant records of the incident were erased. All those who remembered the emperor's child referred to him as the Continental Swordsman, and he's none other than the commander instructor of the Special Training Center, Damien. On the escaping ground, the commander could sense Yan wrecking his brains and sees that he's distracted by other thoughts. Since Yan has regressed, our boy dwells on the possibility that if his family is directly related to Damien and the Revolt of Armenia, his family, who's involved in the rebellion, could cease to exist. He tenaciously decides to stop that from happening no matter what, or else he'll never be united with his family. Thus, Yan Loki decides to forgo his plans to escape and instead remain in the special forces to gain Damien's trust. Yan accentuates that he must make himself indispensable to the instructor commander, and for that, he certainly needs something that'll bait him. Our guy then begins the smooth talk and flatters the commander by praising his skills. He finds himself honorable, as he never thought the commander would track him down personally. Yan lets out that the Special Forces captain will be happy if he sees Damien working hard and showers him with praise. At that moment, the commander forcefully grabs Yan's face and smashes him into a tree for muttering such a joke. Damien reconsiders his thought to be nice to Yan, but his arrogant mouth made him change his mind. The commander asks trainee 974 if he doesn't treasure his life, while Yan responds that even an arrogant mouth can produce something useful sometimes. That's when our boy flips the tables and erupts the weakness of the Special Forces captain that can be used to get rid of him. Yan unravels to look for Simons County, unit number 52, because that's where he can find the captain of the Special Forces' weakness. This leaves Damien completely blown away, and it looks like Yan pulls the strings just at the right time. The scene takes us to a few hours later in the Special Forces Training Center, where Damien feels bad about throwing away his treasured suit like that while putting on a new one. The underling asks Damien what he should do about the 3 people mentioned earlier, and the instructor commander instructs him to throw them back into the cavern again. Just as Damien makes it clear he doesn't want to think about those insects again, he's interrupted by someone. It turns out to be the Special Forces captain, who awaits Damien and mocks him for acting busy all day when it looks like he has all the time in the world. Hiding his true emotions, Damien acts respectful and asks the Special Forces captain, Rodrigo Meyer, what brings him here without notice. Rodrigo Meyer, rank number 1, asks the instructor commander about the training center. Damien answers that it's running perfectly as usual, but Meyer states that's different from what he heard. The tension between the two hangs heavy in the air, and Damien declares that the standards of trainee soldiers are better than the actual squad members. Rodrigo Meyer hears this nonsense for the first time and throws shade at Damien, saying that he came to take a look because the quality of the squad members that came from the training center was horrid. But the instructor commander argues back and asks Meyer how the squad members are at fault when the in-charge, unable to handle the squad members, is to be blamed instead. The place rumbles and the atmosphere charges with suspense. Meyer thanks Damien for the advice, while the underling soldier could sense the quivering mana between the two commanders, so intense that the weak would faint right away. After that, Captain Rodrigo expresses his curiosity since Damien did not attend the Imperial family's morning meeting. The instructor commander bluntly responds that he has more important matters to attend to than unnecessary formalities. Upon hearing this, Rodrigo Meyer finds it ironic and wonders if a citizen of the Empire has more important matters than showing respect to the Emperor. Well, the old man understands the reason why Damien acts like this, and backhandedly compliments that it's because that blood flows in him, referring to the Emperor's bloodline. Damien, barely holding it together, swallows his anger while Captain Meyer spits it out that the reason the commander did not attend the meeting was because there were escaped soldiers. The Special Forces captain decides to take on this matter and handle it himself. However, Damien states that the old man has been mistaken and clarifies that there are no escaped soldiers in the first place. The captain is left in disbelief, while Damien scoffs at the old man, assuming he must have heard wrongly because his ears have gone old and dull. The instructor commander explains that the trainee soldiers simply went out with the instructors to prepare for a test. He also says that he saw a lot of insects, and asks Meyer if he saw them too. Damien ruthlessly infers that he's trampling all of the insects, soldiers, that he sees in the training center until they reach their death, but their numbers are endless, so it's getting troublesome. Even so, Damien states that he's found the insect's den and will be able to exterminate them all. With that, the captain of the Special Forces leaves, while the commander admits that all the indigestion he was experiencing has dissipated after seeing the Special Forces captain taken aback. Damien suggests that the old man ought to utilize his team for the choosing of wood for his coffin instead. Strangely, the instructor commander asks his associate if what he has told him is true. That guy takes off the mask and assures Damien that he'll know once he looks into it, the fact that all his information is correct. Well, that guy turns out to be none other than Yan, trainee soldier 974. The scene then takes us to Simons County, Street 52, a neglected street. Yan narrates that he had lived on this street before, and it's a place where almost no one is in sight. To be honest, it was a street that wasn't good for children to live on. I mean, this is an anomaly, people talking about catching huge rats that are cute. But in that place lived the Special Forces Captain Rodrigo Meyer's daughter. In the Commander Instructor's office, our guy reveals all this to Damien, who also learns that Jan and Captain Meyer's daughter knew each other and played together as kids, since there weren't a lot of children. But Damien has a hard time believing this, and takes it as a coincidence that the girl Yan knew turned out to be the captain's daughter. Yan knows that the commander doesn't believe that, because no one in their right mind would believe such a half-assed lie. But our boy is determined to make Damien believe it anyhow. Yan is adamant, because it's a situation where the Special Forces Captain Rodrigo and the Instructor Commander Damien are at loggerheads. Although Damien has been searching high and low in the county for the captain's weakness, he wasn't able to find out the exact location. Therefore, Jan had to bring in the captain's daughter, because the evidence of the captain's weakness would be Damien reacting to the location he spoke of. Hence, our guy decides to make use of this information. After that, the instructor commander is still baffled and finds it strange that even if Jan does know Meyer's daughter's location, how is it that he's so sure that his daughter is his weakness? Our guy responds that he heard it in person, directly from the captain's daughter. Back then, the captain's daughter informed Yan that she'd be leaving this area soon, because there were some bad guys after her father, and they were looking for her so they could threaten her dad. Therefore, a few days later, the daughter disappeared as people in black clothes brought her away. And Jan only knew after he came here that those people in black were members of the Special Forces, and that her dad is the Special Forces captain. While it seems like Damien does buy this bullshit, he laughs and is halfway there to believing Yan that he was friends with the captain's daughter. The commander finds it interesting how the situation is coming together, but what's even more surprising is that our dude was also able to find that Damien is at loggerheads with the captain. Not to mention that this dumbass even told him about the captain's daughter's location, the person who's looking for the captain's weakness. Even the commander is astonished, wondering if such an incredible coincidence happened. Loki fucked up. Our guy adorably lets out that this could be the goddess of luck helping Damien. But the commander doesn't sign up for his nonsense, as the pen flicks right through Jan, scratching his face. Damien refuses to swallow that coincidence crap, and is more inclined to think that Jan is the captain's spy, since it makes sense. Wiping the blood from his cheek, our boy understands why Damien thinks that all of these coincidences are impossible to happen. Yan confesses that every piece of the puzzle was collected by him this whole time so he could survive. The memories of when he was young and the captain and his daughter, the hierarchy with the Special Forces, and Damien being at loggerheads with the captain. Yan, the mastermind, manipulates Damien's thinking. He took all these memories and information, piecing them together like a puzzle so that he'd survive. Our guy bluntly tells Damien that if he were really the captain's spy, as he mentioned, there was no need for him to risk his life and try to escape. Plus, Yan kept this information to use in case his escape attempt failed. He kept this secret for this very moment. The tension hangs heavy, and our boy reveals that he also heard where the captain's daughter went. To be more exact, Yan is just mixing lies into truth and causing Damien to have both expectations and disappointment. This way, the weighing scale within the heart of the instructor commander will then have a strong balance of both belief and doubt. And in order for Yan to lean those scales towards him, he decided to show the commander that he'll gain more by choosing to believe in him. In that case, the scales within Damien's heart will have no choice but to lean towards him. The mystery tightens its grip on the commander's mind as the curiosity grows wild. The pressure mounts every second as Jan, with his big eyes, is eager to know if the scale leaned towards him. Finally, Damien breaks the silence and rhetorically questions if the goddess of luck is really on his side. Low-key, our guy is bursting with happiness as his fiction story worked incredibly. But the commander is sick of Jan, as he sure talks a lot. The commander then states that he closed an eye to what happened today, and instructs trainee Jan to go back and watch what he says to others. Just like that, our guy overcame a crisis, and a strong man like Damien is on his side now. Jan is aware that the commander did not believe everything he said, but this is enough for now. He plans to get closer to Damien slowly. After the smooth talker Jan leaves, the instructor commander is surprised that someone like our guy is ranked that low. He thinks it's either the examination that's screwed up, or the instructors have messed up their eyes. Right at that moment, he comes across trainee soldier 974, which is Jan's record. The scene takes us to 1 week later, at the demonic realm, Blade Mountain Ranges, where the Special Forces' first trainee soldier exam takes place. 1 week later, in the demonic realm, Blade Mountain Ranges, also known as a restricted area in the Empire. This place is one where all sorts of monsters inhabit. It's undoubtedly a dangerous place where we see the trainee soldiers fighting, as one of them slashes the swamp goblin mercilessly. A trainee feels confident for doing well, while the other finds the demonic realm to be easier than they thought. Nain, trainee soldier 320, and also the one who slashes the goblin, tells them to calm down, as there may still be other groups of monsters. But the other two look carefree because they believe that they've killed all the monsters in their proximity. Knowing that they would pass if they last a week in the demonic realm, the trainees are positive that they would pass it just fine at this rate. However, Soldier Nain warns them to slow down and reminds them of the other requirements to pass. That is to kill all the monsters and gather demonic crystals. Even if they survive, their scores are determined by the number of demonic crystals they've gathered. If they get a lot of demonic crystals, they will be able to climb higher. And not just higher, but maybe even higher than the 4 great families. Hence, Nain suggests that they cool their heads in advance. He believes that they will be able to do this as long as they keep their guards up. Before he could say anything further, a humongous monster appears out of nowhere and kills Nain. This takes the trainees aback because they were definitely not expecting a gold ogre to show up. Gold ogre is a mutated ogre species. It conceals its presence with mana before approaching its prey. With that, it kills trainees 345 and 347 as well. While Damien, who's witnessing the encounter through a gadget, announces the first team of 30 members to be wiped out already. He advises the trainees to be careful when they're inside, as cleaning up after corpses is troublesome after all. He decides to proceed quickly, and instructs 50 trainees to be sent into the warp gate every 5 minutes. Yan realizes that he's also getting dragged into the demonic realm, and then he notices the instructor commander looking pretty happy. And that's probably because he already has trusted troops there to scout that area. While traces would be left, there would unfortunately be nothing concrete. Jan is aware that if he wants to get closer to Damien, he will need scores that are extremely outstanding. And to achieve that, he would first need to do something about this body, because there's a limit to how much he can grow with a sloppy divine dragon's breathing technique. Our boy sees going to the demonic realm as a good opportunity for him. There are still 2 treasures that no one knows about in the demonic realm. If Jan gets them, he will be able to grow even faster. Just then, our guy notices someone telling something to the instructor commander, and his expression changes. Damien looks taken aback by what he's heard, which is a rare sight that makes Jan ponder what's wrong. Damien orders everyone to pay their respects, welcoming the ruler of the Kavalan Empire and the legitimate successor of their great emperor. However, this sight leaves our boy in absolute shambles because, based on his memory, about 500 people die in the first test. There were no other noteworthy events, but now Crown Prince Leon Kavalan is here. The Emperor appeared, and of course, Jan couldn't forget the face of that asshole who played around with his life, the last face he saw before he died. The Crown Prince introduces himself as the trainees pay him respect as they bow to him. Meanwhile, our boy is at war with himself. He thought he didn't have any other regrets, but now that he's seen Leon's face, anger is boiling inside him. Shortly, what Kavalan announces next catches everyone's breath, including our boy. The Emperor oddly asks everyone who wants to get out of this hellish place to raise their hands. Along with that, the Crown Prince swears upon his name to guarantee safety to all the trainees. He promises freedom to anyone who has been dragged here against their will. Jan cannot process what's happening around him as he's blown away by what in the actual fuck the Crown Prince is saying. Our boy ponders if he's the same Crown Prince he knew. He gets a flashback of the past where we see Jan as the commander, present in front of Kavalan in the Emperor's residence. He confirms the objective, the demonic crystal mine being burned to the ground, and notifies Leon that they will be sending reinforcements and securing the escape route. As the prince questions the reinforcements, our guy elaborates that they sent in a small team for the infiltration. Therefore, it would be impossible for them to escape by themselves. It would be hard to guarantee they would make it back alive if they do nothing. Kavalan, upon hearing that, instructs to let them be, so that they can at least sacrifice their lives to take down more enemies. Yan tries to object as he articulates that they can't just abandon their soldiers who fought for their empire. Leon lets out that the world is like chess. Slaves, citizens, knights, and nobles, all of them exist for the sake of the emperor. For the sake of one king, hundreds and thousands of humans will be sacrificed, and that's the ideal world in his opinion. The Crown Prince wonders what great honor there is, except that they're given the chance to die for him. Yan snaps out of his thoughts, remembering how despicable the prince is. Meanwhile, Kavalan recommends the children of nobles that have entered this place to attain power to go back now, unless they want to go up against him when he ascends the throne. The trainees are confused if he's serious, while our fella ponders if Leon is really the same person. He's hella baffled as to what on earth is happening. Damien informs the Crown Prince that the trainees are in utter shock upon listening to his sudden speech. Strange enough, Prince Leon asks him, what's the reason for conducting such an ethical project like this? The instructor commander declares that the special forces exist for the sake of protecting the Empire and the Emperor, but the Crown Prince finds this response to be ridiculous and reminds Damien that the Emperor exists for the people. To drive the people they're supposed to protect into life and death situations is not the kind of crown they have. Kavalan makes it clear that he won't allow this because he believes such evil practices must be gotten rid of. The commander tries to object as he reminds that this is something that His Majesty has approved. Everything here is done legitimately within the bounds of law. Leon isn't ready to buy anything and asks if there's anyone among the trainees that has volunteered for the test, because if that's the case, he will stand down. The trainees mutter among themselves, knowing that there's no way anyone will volunteer, and just when Damien thinks this idealism is such a nuisance, Jan calls out Kavalan. Trainee Soldier 974 introduces himself and claims to participate in this test. The prince finds the number familiar and asks Jan if he does not wish to get out of place because, from what he's heard, low-ranked trainees are treated unfairly. Our boy agrees about him not being treated nicely, but he defines that there's something here that's given fairly regarding their rank, and that is the qualification for them to risk their lives in order to climb higher. Our boy can't let this test be stopped here and declares to participate in it as he has something he must achieve. Upon hearing this, Kavalan addresses Damien and tells him that he's taken in a trainee soldier that he doesn't deserve. With that, the Emperor orders to continue with the test since he can't go back on his words. However, he will be observing the whole process. Just then, the instructor commander advises everyone to repay the kindness of the Crown Prince with their life. The instructors continue the test, and one of them calls out the trainees, explaining how the warp gate works. They will enter the mountain ranges via the gate, and once they enter the gate, all of their locations will be assigned. But occasionally, bodies do get disintegrated due to transmission errors, but they don't need to care about that. They order number 974 Jan to step forward and activate the warp gate. In his previous life, Leon didn't come to the training center, and he was completely different from the Leon he knew too. Our boy is in complete denial, wondering if his regression is also influencing this. Otherwise, he's obscured as hell as to what just happened to him. Yan appears in the demonic realm, glad that his limbs are all intact. However, to his luck, he ends up in a place with no one else around. Our trainee decides to look for a weapon first when a familiar smell hits his nose. The place is the Blade Mountain Ranges, Valley of Wind, and its prominent trait is the demonic energy that's mixed with the smell of sulfur. Suddenly, a monster appears behind Yan. The chaos erupts, and the other trainee soldiers face a furious monster, Cockatoo Griffin, and decide to run away, or else they will get wiped out. Just then, rank 1 trainee soldier Lorena Beowulf shows up and defeats the Griffin using Dark Soul 15th form, Stardust. The trainees thank her because if it weren't for her, they all would have died. Lorena notices many of them injured and wonders if their team is made up of low-ranked trainees. Turns out the team is made up of members ranked mainly from 700s, who are trying to get out of this valley since too many of them are injured. They hesitantly ask Lorena, the top-ranked soldier, if they can follow her until they get out of the valley, while it doesn't really matter to her. She doesn't find Jan around and hopes that he's not dead already. She remembers that bold attitude of his that he showed even though he was in the presence of the Crown Prince. And Lorena is left to wonder why the hell Jan is willing to go this far to keep this test going. As she's immersed in her thoughts, Cruel Dwight, rank 2 trainee soldier, shows up and is disappointed to find Lorena doing stupid stuff again. He asks her if she wants to travel together with vermin in 700s, who will become burdens anyway. They can't even use those in the 700s as meat shields, and Cruel wonders if she's intending to look after them like parents. He asks her if she thinks this generous compassion of hers will be of any help. Lorena warns him to watch his words, as she believes the rank of someone doesn't tell everything about them. But the rank 2 bastard stays unfazed and conveys that the number 1 spot will be experiencing some changes after this test, throwing shade at Lorena. Beowulf lets Cruel know if he focuses too much on the ranks, he will end up losing sight of what's important. Just then, the top 3 ranked soldier, Kasia Everanes, drops by and finds all of them looking so carefree, seeing as how Cruel is grumbling around here. She finds him too short-sighted, and while she knows that the test is an individual one, there's no need for them to compete with one another. Cruel spots a group of trainees with Kasia as well, and asks her if she's traveling with these vermin too. However, Kasia believes the bigger the group, the easier it is to deal with crisis. She promised them all that she would help them pass. She also reminds selfish bastard Cruel that a noble should lead commoners. Dwight lets out a sarcastic laugh as he hears the word noble, and asks Kasia if she can call the bloodline of a traitor a noble as well. He asks her if she wants to lead the commoners, and reminds her of what the Everane family did while leading the commoners. He believes it would be a waste if the last Everane went to the gallows. Kasia, upon hearing that, thanks him for his concern, and realizes that she was too focused on trying to restore her family. Though she's envious of Cruel at times like that, since he has 2 older brothers taking charge of the Dwight family, he can live however he likes. Cruel couldn't stand this harsh truth as he raises his hand to hit Kasha, but is stopped by Lorena, who tells him to calm down. He jerks his hand away and walks away from them, as he believes that he would only lose out by traveling with useless bastards like that. Cruel gets a flashback of his childhood, where he's told not to desire anything, not to think about anything, and just live like he's dead. The rank 2 soldier never thought he would think of that day again, and breaks out of these thoughts when he finds traces of blood. It leads behind a boulder, and the smell of blood is fresh. He wonders if it's a monster's lair and follows the traces of blood, knowing it would be troublesome if there's too many monsters. Cruel decides to hide and observe first. As soon as he peeks inside, he finds a human surrounded by a large number of red goblin corpses. Dwight notices something and wonders what on earth he is doing. The sight gets clearer and horrendous when it turns out that guy is devouring that monster. Jan must obtain the 2 items that are found in the Blade Mountain ranges in order to execute his plan. As he's contemplating what he should get first, a monster appears behind him, and he kills it in an instant using Dark Soul 21st form, the Draconic Flames. He burns it to crisp. After that, a large army of red goblins surrounds our trainee soldier, who believes he got lucky because what he was after came to him instead. Magic crystals are usually just deemed as byproducts of monster hunting. They're usually just used as accessories for magic items. But one day, something happened that caused the values of magic crystals to rise astronomically. Professor Isaac, a magic scholar, published a thesis in the academy. His thesis stated that humans can absorb the traits and mana of a monster by using magic crystals, stamina from orcs, regeneration from trolls, and strength from ogres. Naturally, the world of academics opposed this thesis. They thought it was ridiculous because the way humans and monsters use mana is different. Headmaster Neuron asked Isaac to prove his thesis, and if he failed to prove it, he would have no choice but to be expelled. However, it was proven, and as soon as it was done, the mana users of the whole continent got excited. Monsters became more frequently seen in pharmacies than in dungeons. It was asked to the professor if it is a complicated process to absorb mana stones. He answered that the process to remove poison from the magic crystals is extremely complicated. It needs either the flower or the moonbug or volcanic stones, but the absorption itself is very simple. For that, you just need to eat it. Our boy never thought he would be doing this again. He finds the taste as disgusting as ever. The method of eating the monster's mana crystal and heart in a 2-to-1 ratio harmonizes the magic crystal's mana and the poison that expels from the heart. This must be done while prepared to risk your life. Yan feels the poison of the magic crystals destroying his insides. Hence, he decides to use the Divine Dragon's breathing technique to slowly purge the poison. It calms down after a while, and our guy realizes that it might take longer than expected. Therefore, he decides to take it slow. Cruel Dwight leaps onto Jan out of nowhere, and even though he's surprised by this strange sight of him, his rank is still in the 900s. Hence, he's confident that there's no way he would lose and decides to take those magic crystals. Cruel is surprised to find trainee 974 nowhere as he looks around. Jan, standing a bit farther away from him, remarks on the rank 2 trainee for acting like a hoodlum, like he's more dangerous than the monsters in the Blade Mountain ranges. Dwight believes he got lucky that he managed to get away, and mentions the barbarian tribe, known for eating monsters. He finds it way more repulsive than he thought to witness one in person, and while he would love to beat a barbarian like Yan to death right now, he decides to spare his life if he shows him sincerity. Cruel gives him a choice to give him all the magic crystals he's gathered so far, and he will show him mercy as a noble. Yan reveals that he doesn't have them because he ate them, but the so-called noble assumes it's a lie and decides not to show mercy anymore to these stupid barbarians. He threatens our fella that he could kill a trash like him since no one is here, and warns him to hand over the crystals if he treasures his life. However, Jan agrees with him about no one being here, and as Cruel thinks that he is grasping what situation he's in, he's hit ever so hard by none other than our trainee soldier. The scene shifts to Cruel Dwight's narrative. It's the Dwight estate, and young Cruel had settled on one thing since he was a kid, that he must become the master of this estate. Dwight was 12 when he came to understand the state of the world. It was a trash-like state that made him feel it'd be a natural choice to succeed his family. However, misfortune struck him as he was stuck with 2 trash cans above him, his 2 brothers. They were scared and didn't want Cruel to succeed the family. Hence, the poor boy was thrown into the Special Forces Training Center by his older brothers, all under the pretext of training him. That was the decision that emotionally destroyed him, and he couldn't believe that his brothers had thrown him into that dump site of a place. He decides to never forget this. Having lived through hell, Cruel made up his mind that he was the true successor of the Dwight family. He admits that he's on a whole other level, unlike trash like them all. The moment he gets out of the training center, he plans to exterminate all the trash bastards. Coming to the present scene, all the flashbacks flood Cruel's mind, and Yan pierces right through him like a beast. From the looks of it, Cruel should have been ripped to pieces. The scene then takes us to the Valley of Snakes. It is narrated that it's a single path leading below the cliff, and the shape of the path denotes the slithering of a snake. Hence, it was named the Valley of Snakes. As no living organisms approach this area, no one knows where the end of the valley is. In the valley, it appears that Cruel is alive, but looks visibly wrecked and disoriented. It turns out that our boy beat the shit out of the top-ranked bastard who now carries monsters for Yan. He's in denial and mutters that he's not the kind of person who'd do this, but the true successor of the Dwight family. Just like a tame dog, the leash tied around Cruel's neck is pulled by Yan, who tells him to stop yapping about his family. Our guy wonders how long the great young master of the Count family is going to whine, as they have a long way to go. Cruel, looking drained, asks our trainee to pull the bag too and questions why he's making him do it. Yan reminds him that he brought this upon himself and, besides, according to him, the punishment is pretty light considering the fact that Dwight tried to kill him. Cruel exasperatedly wonders what the hell Yan is trying to do, making him drag the goblin corpses. Our guy shuts him up and asks him to stop grumbling, knowing that it's not hard for Cruel to carry them since he uses mana. Bastard Cruel warns Yan that he could get punished via the Empire's laws for making a noble do manual labor. He guesses that our guy doesn't know this since he's a barbarian and goes on boasting about his noble family status. At that moment, poor Cruel is thrashed by a rock that hits his nose, making him grumble in pain. It appears that Yan was just curious because he thought nobles didn't feel any pain when they got hit. Sobbing, Cruel wonders who the fuck this guy is. He gets smacked relentlessly by Yan, and at that moment, he thought he'd lost because our guy suddenly attacked him and he had let his guard down. While the top-ranked soldier tries to make some use of his status, he fails miserably. Never in a million years did Cruel think he'd be humiliated like this. Well, it appears that Yan is trying to teach him a lesson when he tells Cruel that even though he did something wrong, if he'd apologize, then he'd get hit less. Yan really tries to teach him some morals, but not a thing crosses through that arrogant bastard Dwight's head, as he still can't believe that he lost. Inside his mind, Dwight is certain that he only lost because he couldn't gather enough mana. Soon enough, he plans Yan's murder once he recovers. While the arrogant bastard reeks of malice, our boy exudes a chilling, murderous intent through his eyes that nearly makes Cruel shit his pants. Getting humbled real quick, Cruel's dumbass was thinking that Yan was talking about them being friends and meeting from time to time. Our guy tells him to shut up unless he wants to be crawling instead of walking. After observing, Yan comes to analyze how strange that guy Cruel is. There's a small trace of bloodlust, but it's heading in all directions. Our guy could only think of one thing with such energy. It is then known to us that just like how there's black magic that uses the power of darkness among the world of magic, there are also demonic martial arts that use the power of darkness in the world of martial arts. One can obtain more power quicker than the usual martial arts. However, it breaks down the user's mana and body as they continue to use it. Eventually, the user would be devoured by the darkness and fall into a state of madness. From what Yan remembers, Cruel's nickname in his previous life was Bloodstar. He was notorious for all the evil deeds he committed in order to succeed his family. Our guy wonders if that bloodlust aura lingering around Cruel is because of the demonic martial arts, but it doesn't look like he has learned that at this point in time. After that, the noble guy requests Yan to at least release the leash, but our guy refuses since he can run away. Cruel justifies that there's only one path, so he can't run away. Besides, he's not an animal. He lets out that the sight looks weird, two guys using a leash between each other. Even Yan is creeped out when he hears it this way. Hence, he releases Cruel's leash, who thought that Yan was going to put it on him and walk around. Promptly, our boy informs the noble soldier that his job is done and they've arrived at the destination. Cruel wonders what this place is, and our trainee reveals that it's the place where a real treasure is hidden. To be accurate, it's a monster, not a treasure. Just then, Cruel blabbers about pulling the bag of corpses all the way here for it to be thrown away. He then dunks the corpses into that place, just as Yan instructed. Suddenly, tension crackles in the air, and our guy gives Cruel a piece of advice since he worked hard. He advises him to run to the gate without looking back as the red eyes emerge from that dark pit. Those dead corpses awaken something in there. A magic circle appears, and a dark shadow emerges, asking who's the bastard who woke him up from his slumber. A large amount of dark energy reverberates across the area while Cruel, panicking, asks Yan the barbarian what the hell he just did. Fearlessly, Yan awaits that creature that slithers upward, and a red eye appears, asking them to offer their souls to him. That ominous yet intense energy is felt by Lorena and Kasha, as an unimaginably evil mana spreads throughout the area. Soldier Lorena figures out that the mana is coming from the Snake Valley, wondering what on earth is happening. Everine expresses that she has never encountered anything this strong before, so she's not sure what to make of it. That's when Lorena implies that they must change their plans and move to the gate right this instant. Shortly, Lorena announces that they'll be returning to the gate as of now, and commands the trainee soldiers to dispose of any useless baggage, including the magic crystals too. Before the trainees can ask further questions about the test, Lorena says that they'll depart immediately from here. Curious, Kasha is surprised by the sudden rush, and that's when Lorena reveals that the mana from earlier was on par with the Patriarch. The Patriarch's fighting abilities alone are always within the top 5 of the Empire, He's the guardian god of the north. That mana is on par with Duke Beowulf. Kasha then concludes that even if all the instructors came over, they wouldn't even be able to defeat that thing. Everain comes to realize that they're done for. At the instructor's post, the trainee soldiers witness something flying around when suddenly their bodies twist, killing them in an instant. It appears that the creature craves more souls as it takes the lives of the soldiers. Just then, we see Roman, who's also clueless about the whole situation. Meanwhile, the bodies are devoured by that demonic creature. Larina and Kasha, along with the soldiers, keep moving toward the gate that will be within reach after they pass this area. Suddenly, Larina Beowulf commands everyone to stop as they encounter a strange soldier who lets out that he heard a voice, and it's asking him to offer his soul. That soldier offers his soul, and he's brutally devoured by the demonic creature as his body ruptures. Realizing it's not an ambush, they all witness the blood floating in midair, creating a magic circle. All the soldiers could barely handle the crushing aura while the demon shows itself, expressing his gratitude for being awakened. It turns out to be the ancient lich who ought to express his thanks by desiring the soldiers' deaths. It is then revealed to us that the mages were saddened because human life was finite, whereas magic was infinite. Blinded by greed, the mages researched how they could pursue magic eternally, and there was only one way to achieve that. They offered their souls to the darkness and obtained eternal life. As horrendous as it sounds, those people turned into undead, monsters that loathe all living things, liches. In the present scene, the soldiers couldn't bear the immense pressure while Larina deduces that it's not a normal lich. It's a monster that has absorbed numerous lives, a being that has existed for almost an eternity. The question arises, what is a terrifying monster like him doing here? On the contrary, Roman, along with Todd and Jake, is running for their lives. Jake couldn't understand why they're suddenly dashing away, and Roman tells him to look around at the annihilated bodies with their blood splattered everywhere. The instructors are all dead, and they wonder who on earth killed them. While running, Roman knows it has something to do with Jan. The scene then flips back a few moments before getting teleported. Roman makes fun of Jan for failing in his escape attempt, but still looking better than expected. Roman offers our guy to team up in the Blade Mountain ranges since it'd be dangerous to move around alone. But Jan intends to go alone this time, and since they tried to escape together, he decides to open up about something. Our trainee warns Roman to run toward the gate immediately if he feels like something terrible has happened. He asks Roman to forget about the test completely. Snapping out of the flashback, Roman suspects that Jan is behind all this. On the contrary, the lich looks unstoppable as it keeps questioning if these lowly mortals have woken him up. Larina decides to give up on this gate as it's blocked by the lich, and instead she implies that their destination will be gate number 3, the nearest one from here. She commands all the soldiers to run, while Everain asks her to run away as well, but Larina stands firm in order to buy them all time to escape. Larina commands Kasha to evacuate all trainee cadets while she's here. Kasha is aware that Beowulf can't stop that monster alone. However, Larina reminds Everain that she must survive and help her family. Just like that, Everain runs away to help the trainees escape and apologizes to Larina since she can't die here. Confronting each other, the lich calls Larina a fool for a mortal to face him alone. Well, Larina isn't the top-ranked soldier without reason. She determines that she still has a chance of winning since she has only 2 advantages right now. First, she has a blessed mithril sword that the undead are weak against. In the meantime, the lich creates a magic circle and prepares skull magic missiles to strike Larina. The skull missiles are shot at the soldier, but she evades smoothly using Wings of the Wind Swallow. The second advantage Larina has right now is the fact that a mage can't cast attack and defense magic at the same time. Beowulf believes that if she uses the 2 advantages right now, she'll have the upper hand. However, things take a drastic turn when the lich casts a defense magic circle, creating a protective wall. Eyes widened, Larina is thrown into disbelief and wonders how on earth a mage can do double casting. She assumes that the skull emerging from within the lich is doing the casting. Flabbergasted, Larina finds it ridiculous as she conjectures that this monster can cast magic as many times as the number of skulls he possesses. Suddenly, that skull attacks Larina from behind, and her weapon is flung out of her hands. She is left defenseless and is captured by the lich's tentacles. Larina gets screwed and asks that monster to let her go, calling him revolting filth. The lich is amazed by her embodiment of arrogance that dares to come alone at him. He decides to destroy that arrogant soul of hers and turn Larina into a corpse that serves him only. The scene then takes us to the ancient lich's lair that's filled with magic traps. Our guy gets such an intense welcome right from the entrance, and here he thought he'd be raiding an empty lair. Jan is showered by a boiling flare tempest, but luckily he brought the volcano armadillo's leather with him, which has high fire resistance. Moreover, our trainee learns that there are a total of 492 magic traps set out in the lair, including 30 moving traps among them. Jan had planned it beforehand. He used the goblins to lure the lich out of the lair and get his hands on the treasure while he's gone. Although our guy came up with this plan, he can't believe it's that simple. Of course, this could only be possible if he knew everything about the lair. Jan then narrates that he got to know about the lich when he was the captain. After he returned from an assassination mission, he received a report. That's when he stumbled upon the ancient lich's case, a high-rank monster located in the Blade Mountain ranges. The worst part was, out of the 1,000 trainees that were mobilized, only 100 of them survived. a huge loss that placed the Special Forces Training Center in a critical state. In the report, it was postulated that the Lich woke up and left his lair after sleeping for a long time. That bloodthirsty monster began to suck the blood of the trainees. After that, they were able to locate the Lich as they investigated the incident. The lair was assumed to have been built during ancient times. It was filled with mysterious treasures, grimoires that would make one a sage even if they read just one, and jewels that would make one so rich they wouldn't have to work for life if they had even one of them. However, the most important thing was missing: the life vessel, the egg of mana that contains the Lich's life and mana. Therefore, Yan is convinced the life vessel that was missing in his previous life still exists here. In the second report, there was a discovery of the remnants of a life vessel, assumed to have gotten damaged while the Lich was fighting someone. The culprit was undetermined. It is known to us that the Emperor gave Yan an incomplete secret technique that only allowed him to absorb it, but he couldn't compress it. But if he retrieves the life vessel, the ultimate form of mana, Yan plans to use it to replace the missing function of compression that the secret technique lacked, which could perfect the divine dragon's breathing. Smirking, our guy gets excited already, because if he makes use of such incredible opportunities, he might be able to surpass his own strength from his previous life. Shortly, Yan arrives at the bottom of the lair where the vessel was reported to be. He tries to go across the gate and strikes an arrow. However, something reacts vigorously, and Yan is smashed away with brute force. It turns out that there is a gatekeeper who reacted before Yan even input the secret code into the gate. Our boy assumes that it's an evil spirit without a physical body, tough to deal with. That evil spirit asks for verification, and Yan fails to do that. But there's a way around this. From what he read in the reports, there's a place, and seconds later, our guy presses a button, which opens a secret gate encompassing a staircase. It was a secret passageway made for the slaves to enter. In Yan's previous life, that report also included that a large number of slaves were assumed to live in the lair. Since it's a labyrinth with a lot of primitive traps, he believes that it'll take a while to get through this place. Boasting confidence, our guy is certain that there's nothing a special forces captain like him can't get through. And to our surprise, Yan is so reassured because he's counting on Lorena Beowulf, who will buy him plenty of time. It turns out that Lorena was helping Yan all along. On the other side, Lorena mocks the Lich as she calls him an old man, while the Lich looks forward to how her soul will confront him. He wishes to rip off her head and use it as his favorite livestock. The Lich asks Lorena if he shall try dismembering her body and transplant it into an orc, or if he could turn her into a zombie and make her eat humans to humble her arrogant soul. Listening to this, Lorena gets a bit scared while the Lich gets started by devouring her. Before the tentacle could pierce her body, Lorena bites off the Lich's tentacle and mocks him, saying that he acts all high and mighty, but he tastes like shit. Furious, the Lich calls her an arrogant bitch who dares to climb over his head. He uses Dark Annihilation magic, Dark Break, to turn Lorena into dust. In that moment, something makes the Lich stop, and the woman soldier wonders why the monster halted his attack. Well, it appears that the Lich senses something. He figures out that the barrier he cast over the altar has been broken. The Lich panics and thinks that someone got into the altar. That's when the crazy Lich bastard realizes that Lorena was just bait to distract him while that rat snuck in. Lorena tries to act dumb about being the bait, and the Lich smashes her into the ground, calling her a cunning soul. Just then, the Lich urgently inputs the coordinates of the gate and teleports to his lair's altar through the magic circle. Groaning, Lorena is left to wonder where the Lich suddenly disappeared to. On the contrary, inside the Lich's altar, the Lich emerges enraged and questions who dares defile his altar. Even the Lich is utterly perplexed that someone got past the defense barrier and even got through the magic traps he set up for 1,000 years and made it this far. What's concerning is that the rat even knew the location of the Lich's altar. The Lich calls that person out, expecting it to be a mage guild or the Empire's army. What he doesn't know is that behind this grand operation is a one-man army, Yan. Shortly, the monster notices that someone drank his elixirs when he stumbles upon the empty broken glass. It is revealed to us that these were the extra elixirs, the best secret potions the Lich refined in the last 1,000 years that can reconstruct mana and physical bodies. The Lich prepared those elixirs for 1,000 years for the sake of being revived as a human, but all his efforts have been foiled in an instant. Just then, the monster is distracted by a voice gushing over the tasty extra elixirs. The Lich turns back and asks if he's the one who got past his barrier. Yan, who's literally drunk, calls the monster to have a drink together. We get to know that Yan is in a state of excessive mana consumption. When one consumes too much mana, they end up in a state similar to drunkenness. Our guy acts like an adorable drunkard while the Lich is rendered speechless, because he was expecting a powerful mage or an Empire's army to have barged into his altar, but to his disappointment, it turned out to be a drunken rat, a mere brat like Yan who made it past his barrier. Meanwhile, the tension crackles in the air. Yan guesses that the Lich must have been having a great time, seeing how he rushed back. He feels bad for getting in the way of that. Our boy fearlessly admits that it was worth coming in from the main gate. Enraged, the Lich wishes to kill Yan this instant and asks him if he thought he wouldn't know a rat had snuck into his lair. Our boy mocks the arrogant Lich, saying that he did not know his lair was being raided, and the monster wouldn't have known at all if Yan had only used the secret passageway. The Lich finds it ridiculous and wonders what's the point of the foolish human breaking the barrier of the main gate then. Well, it was to distract the the Lich and save Lorena Beowulf. Our guy reasons that he suddenly felt like it, and shortly, he leaps forth to strike the Lich's soul attack. Jan then pisses off the Lich as he goes on about the ancient documents that were lying around too, books about the mana heart and energy core. He curiously asks the Lich if he gathered all that like some shut-in for 1,000 years. Shaken to his core, the Lich's mind is in utter disarray as he questions how the fuck Jan knows that he gathered them. Low-key, the Lich's world turns upside down. The monster then utters his name, Momon, the one who decided to become an undead for 1,000 years for the sake of revenge. And in the last 1,000 years, all he did was prepare, yet a mere bastard like Yan dared to foil his plans. The ancient Lich, Momon, simmers with anger. He took all the time in the world to prepare and seek revenge against the bastard who betrayed him and took everything from him, to the point that Momon even swallowed the humiliation of becoming an undead. And now his great plans have turned into dust, thanks to Jan. Listening to this sob story, our drunkard guy apologizes to Momon, which he clearly doesn't meant, while enjoying the intoxicated potion. Momon loses his cool completely, and calls Jan an arrogant bastard whose arrogance knows no bounds. Using the Grand Flame magic, the Lich desires to vaporize all that arrogant blood of Jan, and just as that flaming hand is about to touch his face, our guy commands him to stop. Strangely, the Lich halts and senses the energy of mana. That's when our guy exposes the pattern on his chest, while Momon realizes that Jan had consumed his life vessel, finding himself in a state of upheaval. Jan had consumed Momon's life vessel to obtain a mana heart, but the Lich is more astonished to know how a human like him knows how to use a mana heart. As the saying goes, with great power comes great responsibility. Our guy dashes away as enraged Momon overwhelms him with heavy fire rain attacks. He runs for his life while the Lich is amused by how good someone like Jan is at running. Scampering, our guy asks Momon if he would have stayed still if he were him. Plus, now Jan has a thing against the monster. The life vessel is placed inside him, so if our boy dies, the Lich dies too. But Momon refuses to kill him. Instead, it plans to revive himself using Jan's body. Since that human has destroyed his work of a millennia, Momon settles on the thought to take Jan's body, because that's when it will be a fair trade. Our guy corroborates with Momon if he wants to use his body, but he straight up refuses, saying that his body doesn't swing that way. Even Momon questions what the fuck he's talking about and tells Jan to give up his body already. He promises to use it with care. The Lich begins the parallel calculation magic, and shortly, multiple magic circles emerge, known as the Hexastorm, that even Jan is left astounded by. Well, our fella is left with no choice as he uses the Divine Dragon's breathing, and the mana heart gets activated. Immense energy bursts out of the magic circles, and Momon realizes that it's been a while since he used this spell. He speculates that he failed to control its power and wonders if Jan is dead yet. Moments later, our guy creeps up on him and finds it touching that Momon was worried about him. Momon attacks Jan with Dark Dragon art, but he couldn't keep up with his lightning speed. The Lich is surprised that a mediocre rat can go this fast. Even our boy is amazed by his speed, as he never thought it'd be this good. It occurs that endless mana is being circulated from the mana heart. It's as if it's breathing. Our guy is left to wonder if that's the true power of the Divine Dragon's breathing. After consuming the heart and mana crystals of monsters, elixirs, and even the Lich's life vessel, Jan consumed them all to become stronger. He believes that with how things are going, he'll be able to return to his prime days soon. Or maybe it's clearly possible to climb even higher. Shortly, Jan is halted as he meets a dead end, and somehow the door has disappeared. While Jan does remember that there was a door, Momon lets him know that he's caught in a trap as he activates it to shut the door. Now Jan has hit the dead end with nowhere to escape. He plans to kill the Lich now that things have come to this, but that won't be possible since he already used all his tools and weapons. Our guy lacks all the ways of fighting Momon now. Just then, the Lich activates a summoning technique and summons an undead. Momon commands that undead, Dragon Skull, to bring him Jan's body even if his limbs are cut off. But it looks like our trainee had taken care of that too. Jan doesn't have any ways of fighting the Lich, but the person on whom common sense doesn't work would. Right at that moment, the Crown Prince himself shows up to confront Momon, the ancient Lich. The Crown Prince lets out that he came here as fast as possible since he heard something happened during the training, but he didn't expect a monster like him to have appeared. The prince mourns the hundreds of trainees that died or went missing because of the monster. He blames the Lich for the loss of his trainees, who were also his citizens. However, they withered away before they even had the chance to bloom. The Crown Prince doesn't forgive the Lich for what he's done. Just then, Jan greets the Crown Prince. The prince asks him what he's doing here, as he's looking like a trainee. Our boy justifies that he was tracking the Lich and got separated from the rest. The Crown Prince assumes that Jan is the one who informed them of the Lich's location and asks him to go away. Smirking, Jan contemplates the Crown Prince's arrival being impeccable. Well, he owes it to Roman. The scene then takes us to Jan's flashback before the first test, where our boy instructs Roman to tell the instructor commander the coordinates when he reaches the rate and urges him to say it in a way that the Crown Prince also hears it. He then tells Roman the coordinates that lead to the Lich's altar. In the present scene, Roman feels something off about the prince's energy and asks him how he's related to Bahamut. The Crown Prince looks shocked and asks the Lich how he knows their founding emperor's name. The Lich gets an unusual surprise as the Crown Prince turns out to be the descendant of Bahamut, calling it a ridiculous turn of events. In that moment, fragments of the past flicker before him, the dreadful memory of betrayal. Momon vividly remembers the day he made the divine dragon's breathing. Bahamut, the previous emperor, called it a special day. He tells Momon that he has fulfilled his role and commands him to die for him. It turns out that the divine dragon's breathing, created by Momon, was stolen by Bahamut, who betrayed and killed him in order to steal that divine technique. The Lich is left in utter disbelief, to think the descendant of his sworn enemy would appear before him like this. The scene takes us years back, when Momon was a sorcerer. Being a sorcerer, he was curious about the energy core's stable flow and ability to maintain energy, along with the mana circle's explosive amplification and ability to absorb. He always wondered what kind of great power would emerge if these two became one. And in order to fulfill that curiosity of his, Momon began to make use of the body of his friend, Bahamut, for research. Well, the research was a successful one, and new mana had manifested in Bahamut's body. That was the birth of the mana heart. Momon asks Bahamut to stop showing off his muscles and informs him that he's noticing a major surge in his abilities. The sorcerer asks the emperor if he's feeling the change as well. Bahamut does feel good. In fact, he thinks of creating new martial arts if he makes good use of this power. Hence, they both created a martial art that made use of the mana heart, and named it, after Bahamut's wish, the divine dragon's breathing. The sorcerer talks about the possibilities of the mana heart that don't just end here. However, before Momon could proceed, Bahamut brutally stabs his hand through him, betrays him, and kills him. Momon dies a death of betrayal while Bahamut fakes his tears for his incredible friend whom he betrayed. However, he thanks Momon not just for the creation of the mana heart, but also the divine dragon's breathing, which wouldn't have been possible without the sorcerer. For that reason, Bahamut kills the sorcerer because he knows too much, and he wanted to keep all that power to himself. On the brink of death, Momon wondered how much time had passed after he was betrayed by his friend. He was barely able to hold on to his soul with the weak mana that was left within him. He was able to cast magic onto his rotting body with just one thought on his mind. That was to seek revenge and punish the one who stole everything from him. To give the one who betrayed his trust what he deserves. Momon has prepared 1,000 years for that, and now he's face to face with the descendant of his sworn enemy. In the present, the crown prince chases after the Lich, causing chaos in the altar. Momon is amused by the prince's impudence that knows no bounds and activates parallel calculation magic, Hexastorm, to turn that human into dust. However, in the blink of an eye, the Crown Prince breaks all the magic circles using the secret art of the dragon's breathing, Golden Dragon's Descent. Momon can't seem to take this anymore because, after Bahamut's death, he seeks to torture him in the face of his descendant. The Crown Prince warns the Lich not to mention the great name of their founding emperor, and he proceeds to strike Momon with his dragon skill. The Lich can't even spare the time to activate his magic circles, and in that case, he commands his slaves to grab the Prince Bastard. The Crown Prince isn't panicked at all and makes it clear that mere sorcery like this can't hold him back. In fact, it's better for him. Since everything is gathered in one place, the Crown Prince uses the ultimate Golden Dragon summoning. Third technique, Hungry Demon Dragon. The moment crackles with intensity as it's the fight of the best sorcerer against the powerful Crown Prince. Momon uses the fourth darkness magic element strengthening, while the prince activates Golden Dragon Summon, 7th form, along with the Dragon Sword Art, 3rd form. The Crown Prince desires for Momon, the dead of the past, to disappear. Both of the opponents make use of the best skills they possess. Meanwhile, Yan, being the spectator, is amazed to see that the prince is on par with that Lich. He can't even tell who's the monster here. Noticing the sword art, Yan sees the sword energy that has a form befitting a dragon in its name, wondering if that's because it's influenced by the divine dragon's breathing. Our boy sees this as a great opportunity to discover what the Crown Prince is actually capable of, because he might end up fighting the prince in the future. But Yan halts that thought because his top priority is to find his family. Seeing both of them fight, our guy decides to get away while they're distracted. However, the old man, Rodrigo Meyer, emerges from behind. Meyer pats Yan's shoulder and asks him where he's running off to, just when things are getting interesting. Our guy, frozen in shock, realizes that he nearly forgot about this old hag. A malicious intent creeps in when Captain Rodrigo expresses his suspicions about the escape of the trainee soldiers and the appearance of the Lich. He speculates that our trainee, 974, always seems to be at the center of both incidents. Things get less intense when Captain Rodrigo asks Yan to call him sir. The captain expresses disappointment as he supposes that the training must be in shambles for Yan not to even know how to greet his superiors properly. He schools trainee 974 about some basic manners, wondering what the hell they've been teaching the trainees nowadays, while our guy looks done with his naggy personality. Although Instructor Commander Damien covered up the escape incident, the Lich's vessel disappeared, but he's still alive. Yan believes that it's because he couldn't completely absorb it. Just as our boy plans to activate his mana heart to completely absorb the vessel, the Crown Prince relentlessly chases after the Lich, desperate to kill it. The prince asks Momon why he keeps running, because that's what he's been doing. The Lich tells him to shut up, and strangely, he can feel his mana output decreasing. It's as if something is sucking his mana. In that moment, the Lich's eyes land on Yan, and he realizes that brat is behind this. Momon refuses to be ridiculed by a brat like him and doesn't hold back anymore. The Lich wanted to steal Yan's body, and that's what he's after. He forgets about everything and decides to kill all of them right here and now. The Lich's body expands and an eye materializes, activating the domain expansion. Domain expansion, an inner world manifestation of the user, and other than the Emperor, only 4 patriarchs are capable of using this skill. The Lich is enraged as he asks the descendant of Bahamut to die, while the Crown Prince appears hysterical as he conjectures that the Lich intends to kill everyone, including himself. But before this event could take place, Yan steps in to stop this madness, and using the mana heart to full power, he absorbs all the mana of the life vessel. A sudden shift in mana is felt by Momon, and the Crown Prince sees an opening. He seizes the chance to end the Lich, while Momon is hit by reality, believing that any skill is futile when the domain expansion is in effect. The Crown Prince uses the Gold Dragon descendant's ultimate technique, Dragon Sword. With the Dragon Sword, his shattered blade now emerges again. Within seconds, the Crown Prince annihilates the Lich with the Dragon Sword. Poor Momon, ripped to pieces, regrets dying like this. He regrets not doing anything when the descendant was right in front of him. The Lich laments the futility of his death since everything went down the drain. All the things he prepared for the last 1,000 years, and the grudge he held against betrayal. To think it'd all disappear because of a mere kid, Momon is left in wonder even in his last breath. Withering before the eyes of the Crown Prince, the Lich calls him Bahamut, and questions the betrayal when he himself was willing to even give up his life for him. Promptly, Momon dies, and the Crown Prince takes a sigh of relief, admitting what a terrifying opponent the Lich was. The Crown Prince ponders about the domain expansion Momon used, and if that had been perfect, the only thing left here would be ashes. The prince realizes that he's still too weak. Just then, his thoughts are interrupted by Captain Rodrigo, who's concerned about him, as he's taken a lot of damage. Plus, the captain can't believe that the Emperor got personally involved in this incident, but the Crown Prince tells him to quiet his nagging. The prince notices that Yan is still there and asks if he's hurt anywhere. Our guy thanks the Crown Prince. The Emperor then orders Captain Meyer to bring the trainee to the medical squad. After this incident, all the training in Blade Mountain ceased, and the results were way beyond what Yan expected. Our guy managed to create his mana heart with the life vessel, and he was also able to witness what the Crown Prince is capable of. Yan expresses his gratitude to Momon because it was possible because of him. At the end, we see Momon's cloak, and from the looks of it, that persistent bastard might still be alive. Our boy has not drunk wine in a long while. He remembers drinking it frequently in his past life. He's glad to finally have a break after a long time. Now that Yan is resting like this, it feels like what happened in the mountain ranges happened a long time ago. He can't believe the mansion he's living in like this is the residence for a trainee soldier, and this makes him wonder if all nobles live in such places. It's way too different compared to that hellhole he lived in. A cavern, 178 square feet, with a urinal, chair, metal chains, and cockroaches. Now it's a mansion, 1,000 square feet, with a bed, sofa, shower room, and proper food. Performing well on the test was a good thing for Yan. He received the test results not too long ago, and although the first test was put to a halt due to a sudden incident, it's thanks to the Crown Prince's quick response that they were able to bring the whole chaos to an end. The instructors were able to stop the test safely and praised the trainees who survived the test, to take pride in that. They decided to announce the results and declared the top to be from rank 1 to 10, while rank 11 to 100 would be middle, and the rest would be bottom. Lorena notices the instructor announcing the results and realizes that the instructor commander isn't here. It is revealed that their accommodations will be assigned according to their results. Those who obtained good results will be able to access the Imperial Vault, while the trainees upon hearing that are in utter disbelief. The Imperial Vault is a vault where various weapons, treasures, and technique manuals that existed from the establishment of the Empire up till now can be found. There are hundreds of sacred swords and shields containing technique manuals that are said to be as large as a fortress. However, rank 1 to 10 can access up until the 3rd floor. Rank 100 and above can access up until the 2nd floor, while the rest will only be able to access the 1st floor. With that, the rankings are announced, and it turns out Roman ranked 5th and subjugated most of the goblin lair that was in the mountain range. Cruel Dwight is ranked 4th, as he subjugated the troll lair alone, while he complains about not being allowed into the 4th and 5th floors where the real treasures lie. Kasha is ranked 3rd, without suffering much loss, as she took command of the trainee soldiers and defeated the orc tribes without any casualties. Lorena Beowulf is ranked 2nd, for defeating the goblin ogre alone. This catches her fellow trainees by surprise, as they wonder who ranked 1st if it isn't Lorena. They are certain that there's no way someone performed better than her. However, for Lorena, the rankings are meaningless. For her, rank 1 is simply a facade. She was way too powerless in front of the real monster, and that's what made her realize that she needs to get stronger. Cruel sees this as an opportunity to insult her, as he mocks her for acting all big like she could protect everything, when she couldn't even protect her own #1 spot. He mentions hearing about the Lich that she tried to stop alone when it appeared, and sarcastically calls her a role model for nobles. Kasha tells Lorena to ignore him, as he hasn't been in good condition ever since he returned from the mountain ranges. But Cruel doesn't stop there, and informs her about the rumor that has been going on about Lorena not fighting the Lich, and now she barely survived by pleading for her life. However, to Cruel's surprise, the second-ranked trainee admits the rumor to be true, because the Lich wasn't someone she could defeat with her skills. With that, she thanks her fellow trainee for being interested in rumors about her and advises him to pay more attention to his own results. Just as she's leaving, the arrogant bastard questions her if she thinks living like this, she will be able to fill the position of the dead Duke Beowulf. The purple-haired trainee reminds Cruel that the successor of the Beowulf family was supposed to be her brother's position, but now that he's dead, it belongs to no one. She wonders if he's aiming for that position and believes that it's perfect for his current situation. But then it suddenly hits her, as she asks the fourth-ranked trainee if he created that opportunity for himself. Cruel believes it would be huge news if that's true when Lorena asks him something. She asks him to guess whether he will die here, staring at him as if she would kill him. The psychotic trainee gets pumped upon seeing that reaction, as that's exactly what he wanted to see. He is convinced that he and Lorena are the same, and that's why he never liked how she acted distant. He declares to rip that mask of hers for her and wear her mask. Just then, his ear is pulled ever so intensely, and it turns out it's Yan, who asks him if it's so hard for him to sit still. Cruel wonders who dared to pull his ear and groans when it's pulled like it's gonna rip his ear apart. At that very moment, the first rank is announced to be number 974, aka our boy. Mutters erupt everywhere as everyone is shocked as to how a low-ranked trainee ranked first. Lorena is also in shock, while Cruel questions how a trash like him ranked first and threatens him to let go of his ear this instant. However, he's humbled by Jan's stare and complains that it hurts. Our fella addresses Lorena as Miss, but she tells him to drop the honorifics, and that's when he asks her how she got to know Cruel. She lets him know that they bumped into each other during the test. Our trainee is glad that she didn't suffer any major injuries. Meanwhile, the second-ranked trainee knew Jan wasn't an ordinary guy, but for him to scare Cruel, who looks down on everybody to that extent. And on top of that, she senses a power from him that could explode at any moment. She ponders about what on earth is going on, and even though she has a lot of questions, she must say one thing right now. She calls out Yan and tells him that Cruel has been mouthing cursing words at him since just now. Our guy was awarded this accommodation for placing first on the test, but just staying here like this is much harder than he thought it would be. He also got a book from the Imperial Vault. Suddenly, he senses a presence outside his room door and informs the person to come in already. The person entering his room wonders how he knew he was outside when he even hid his presence. And that person turns out to be Damien, who reminds him of the things that are left for both of them to settle. Damien sips the wine when Jan asks him if that's to his liking, since he prepared it beforehand, because he was expecting him. Our trainee lets him know that even if he tried to erase his presence, there's no way the aura he gives out would disappear. Damien seems to be used to our boy's blatant lies, and asks him what he did to the Crown Prince because he seemed pretty worried about him. Yan believes it was probably just a moment of curiosity from him. While the instructor commander feels sorry towards the Crown Prince, he's wondering if he should kill him. He discloses receiving a report just now about Simon's County, unit number 52, and it's revealed that no one was there. That came as no surprise for the commander though. They were told that no one's been living there for years. Jan guesses that the old fox, the Special Forces captain, had already made a move. He believes he erased everything there after realizing he was being followed. Our trainee tries to say something to prove his honesty, but Damien cuts him off, as he doesn't intend to blame him for that, because it no longer matters to him if he lied or not. What he basically means is that Jan is no longer useful, and that being said, he activates Dark Shadow Sword and attacks him. Our fella manages to dodge the attack and doesn't think he should kill him, as he reveals that he discovered an important piece of a puzzle. The commander saw him dodge the attack, which he did not expect him to, but his attention right now is the book that Jan is holding. The book is Blocked Meridian's research logs. This is a book our trainee took from the Imperial Vault. Although he could access up until the 3rd floor of the Imperial Vault, he chose the Special Forces Grand Library that was on the 1st floor. It's a place where all the books and research logs of every Special Forces captain were gathered. Most of the research logs were about training methods or monsters, but he found the research logs written by Special Forces Captain Rodrigo on blocked meridians. Blocked meridians, a physical constitution where energies in the body don't circulate properly. The longer the condition persists, the weaker the energies of the body, and in numerous cases, it leads to death. Damien doesn't find the problem with this, until Jan makes him wonder why a captain would do research on this. Because there's no way someone in the Special Forces would have that condition. And there's something interesting about the captain doing research about it. Since there's no way he would have blocked meridians, there's a possibility that his daughter has it. The way she lacked energy and constantly stayed home, her symptoms are similar to having blocked meridians. The Special Forces captain had researched it to cure his daughter of it. Yan thought he had kept her hidden because her existence was his weakness, but that wasn't it. He had changed where she lived for her treatment because it wasn't easy to find a good doctor. The way our boy approached this was wrong to begin with. This makes the instructor commander even more confused, as he asks him what he's trying to get at. Yan unravels that they wouldn't be able to leash the captain with just this, but instead of just a leash, they could get his life instead. Blocked meridians aren't curable yet, and a tremendous amount of potions are needed just to keep her stable. The captain won't be able to pay that huge amount of money. Hence, trainee 974 thinks he must have ways of earning money illegally. A place where he can get illegal money easily. It's from the Special Forces. And so, if they find evidence that the captain stashed away funds of the Special Forces, they can easily hunt down that old fox. However, Damien reminds him that everything he said is just hypothetical. Yan agrees with him, but he believes if his hypothesis is true, they can completely bury that old fox. More importantly, he states that there's zero risk on his side, and that he would always be justified in trying to chase him down because he misappropriated the funds of the Special Forces. It seems like this intrigued the instructor commander, as he gives the book back and reveals that he has someone in the Special Forces investigation squad. Hence, things might unfold smoothly for them. With that, he instructs Yan to learn more about blocked meridians. While our trainee knew this would work because every piece of information he told him today is the truth. The captain has used the funds of the Special Forces for his daughter's blocked meridian condition. Trainee 974 remembers it clearly because this caused a huge ruckus in his past life. Damien realizes that he gave up on the 3rd floor and went to the 1st floor to look for this. He wonders why he gave up on all those weapons. Yan lets him know that those weapons mean nothing to him as long as he can be of help to him, and the instructor commander decides to give him a reward that he owes him. He adds that he doesn't need to attend basic training lessons from now on, and as our boy wonders what he means by that, Damien reveals that he will be taking number 974 as his apprentice. The instructor commander admits that he's taken quite a liking to our trainee. He's on a completely different level from the previous toys he has had. Our boy is left stunned to hear that he's the apprentice of the instructor commander. However, Yan sees this as a perfect opportunity to get closer to him, but he decides to play hard to get, telling Damien that someone like him can never dream of being his apprentice, and that's just too much for him. This catches the instructor commander by surprise, as he clarifies that he just said he's pretty good. Furthermore, he reminds him that he also succeeded in ambushing him. Yan remembers that he got caught in the end, and is worried that someone as lacking as him would degrade the commander's reputation. However, Damien shuts him up, as he's already decided that he will be his new apprentice and informs him to prepare for it. Our lad purposefully got him impatient. He finally has the chance to get closer to him. The insignia and his family's secret, there's a chance he can find out all about them. Later on, in the 3rd arena, a personal training ground that's made available to executives, we see Yan working out. Not even the trainees of nobles have access to this. Trainee 974 completes his workout and decides to take a rest. The place feels so empty to him as he's alone, but other than that, he can feel his body adapting to fit the mana heart. Although the speed of the change is still too slow, our guy knows he needs to train as per his internal energy for the time being. He's able to use this place thanks to the instructor commander. There were varied responses when people knew of this benefit that was given to Yan by the instructor commander. Roman was angry and called him a filthy bastard for choosing to be a dog of the instructor. Kasha acted friendly and secretly wanted to be friends with him, and Lorena didn't say anything but stalked him even more. While it looks like the commander was touched by the fact that our trainee chose to go to the 1st floor for his sake, the blocked meridian logbook was just a bait. The real thing is something else. The book Yan really wanted to get was The Birth of the Empire. Although the book looks like a normal history book, it's a book that would cause an outcry in the future when people find out that it was written by the founding emperor. Even though our trainee now has a mana heart, he's still unable to perfectly use the Divine Dragon's breathing. The Divine Dragon's breathing was the product of the founding emperor Bahamut and Momon. In order to perfectly use the Divine Dragon's breathing, both of them are needed. Right now, Yan needs the knowledge of the founding emperor. Now that he thinks of it, he finds Momon quite pitiful. He got his ultimate technique stolen before he got killed. It's no wonder he became a vengeful lich. Our trainee opens the book, in hope to see any hints of the Divine Dragon's breathing in it. But he's left shocked to find nothing inside the book. All the other pages are empty as well. He ponders if the rumor about the founding emperor being its author was a fake one. The founding emperor even killed Momon to gain a cartel of the Divine Dragon's breathing. Yan guesses that there's no way the emperor would leave information about it this easily. As he's thinking, he feels a human presence near him just now. As he looks around to see if there's someone, our buddy checks the book yet once again when he senses something and uses a technique, Shadow Slash. He tried to cut it in half as he contemplates if he's still too weak for that. He still can't do it as well as the instructor commander. Just then, he hears a voice calling him a fool because there's no way he can solve the secret of the book like that. Turns out it's Momon who calls Yan a foolish brat. While he's in utter disbelief as to how he's here, wondering how he survived after taking that hit, Momon ignores his concerns and reveals that he learned one thing through that incident. That is, if he ignores something just because it's a mere insect, it will still turn into a pain in the ass. He's referring to Yan by that and is determined to kill him on sight today. Our boy is still kinda shocked, but then he sees the appearance of Momon and is left stunned. It's not the one he had before, it's someone else's appearance that he has. Meanwhile, Momon leaps towards him, claiming to steal that body of his. Momon appears out of nowhere and strongly desires to kill Yan on sight. However, our guy witnesses a girl inside that cloak, and he gets swayed by the appearance. But he doesn't get deceived by the outer appearance, since on the inside, she's a lich. Yan pierces through the lich, however it remains unaffected. Yan thinks that maybe it's his imagination and dwells on the possibility that Momon became a part of his new thoughts during the process of the life vessel turning into a mana heart. Although the girl spirit is harmless, our guy still gets kinda infuriated as she's annoying as hell. Yan suggests to Momon that if he would have died, he should have done it properly. He asks what's the point of lurking among the living when even her appearance is questionable. Momon reveals that she has always lived as a corpse, and now she's back to how she looked when she was a magic scholar. It turns out that due to the influence of Yan's mana heart, Momon has returned to her human form. She makes him aware of her existence, and makes it clear that she's going to kill not only Yan, but also the bloodline of Bahamut in this darn country. Darkness takes over, and Momon is adamant about torturing all those who betrayed her until they beg her to kill them. While the tension crackles in the air, our guy notices that Momon's size is getting smaller, to which she reasons that this size is better for mana efficiency, so it can't be helped. Our guy expresses curiosity and asks Momon if she can take revenge in that form. He even mocks her, saying that she looks like some kind of gimmicky plastic surgery advertisement. Momon blames it all on Yan, as it occurs that she's recently been receiving mana from his mana heart to maintain this form as a part of his thoughts. Since Yan's magic power is too weak, just like weak internet connections, Momon struggles to turn into a proper cognitive form. Momon's tolerance hits the end of the bandwidth as she rants about Yan having so little mana despite consuming that many potions. She mocks him, saying even a neighborhood dog would have done better than him. Yan thinks she's being too harsh with her words, and deep down, he does feel that Momon won't be a threat to him. But he can sense a faint amount of his mana going to her. The fact that there's a pathway between the two of them means that Momon can also affect him. Our fella couldn't ignore the fact that Momon is the best magic scholar, and if she starts to affect him by using mana, he would be left helpless. Even now, Yan can sense her intrusive thoughts of hitting him. Well, our trainee isn't left with a choice then. He asks Momon to look at the living world before she disappears. The spirit calls it bullshit since Yan has such low adaptability to mana, yet he wishes to get rid of a cognitive form like her. But it's simpler for our boy, as he just needs to cut off her food source. Hearing this, Momon gets alerted, while Yan hits her with the reality that she's basically living off his mana heart. So, if he reduces the supply from his mana heart, there's no way Momon could maintain her cognitive form. Our guy commands Momon to disappear, as her era is long gone. Well, Yan did pull her strings, but the spirit refuses to disappear like this when she went through so much to survive. Therefore, to stay in the living world, Momon catches Yan's attention as she mentions the secret he wants to know that's in Bahamut's book. Well, this worked just fine. To know the secret, Momon tells our boy to spill his blood that contains divine dragon breathing. He infuses a little mana into it, and that's how the blood turns into words. Just like that, the words begin to appear, light and darkness at the same time. Our guy couldn't understand the meaning, and even Momon couldn't figure it out since she didn't know what Bahamut wrote. Baffled, Yan doubts that this book is nonsense, since it was written by the founding emperor. Suddenly, the words from the book begin floating in midair and rearrange themselves to make sentences, leaving Yan disoriented. Shortly, those sentences enter his body and gather into the mana heart. Our guy gasps in disbelief as he witnesses those sentences going past his mana heart to create a new one. That's when Yan snaps back to reality as Momon calls him out and asks why he's standing around doing nothing. Meanwhile, our boy realizes that it wasn't just a simple illusion. He's left to wonder what kind of incredible secret Bahamut stashed away. Yan is well aware that it'll be dangerous to unravel this secret, and for that, he'll need to make use of Momon. After giving it some thought, our guy asks Momon to follow him, and says that he'll start looking for a solution. While Momon couldn't grasp what he's talking about, Yan elaborates that he'll find a new body for her since he can't just let her be a parasite that lives off him. Our guy suggests that they look for a solution together, and Momon's face lights up with happiness, as she didn't expect Yan to be this easy to negotiate with. She gets curious about the sudden shift in his attitude, while Yan warns her not to do anything strange and makes it clear that flattery will bring her nowhere. But inside the crazy-ass Momon's evil mind, she never intended to help a brat like Yan in the first place. She's in this state because she doesn't have enough mana right now, but once she gathers enough mana, she plans to get rid of him. Our guy can sense her notorious plans and feels like he better erase her. Momon lets out that they're basically one right now, but Yan clarifies that this is his body, not hers. The scene takes us to an abandoned castle, where we see Yan training intensely. He seems to be practicing with instructor commander Damien. Our boy leaps toward the commander while summoning his sword. Damien wields his sword with such brute force that it slices the horizon, slashing up the trees in sight. While it looks like our guy is ripped into pieces, the commander laughs, and although he held back his strength a little, he admits that he attempted to kill Yan. He's amazed that our guy survived that attack. Meanwhile, Yan, hanging upside down from the slashed tree trunk, had told Damien before not to try and kill him for real during the sparring. Our guy implores the commander to at least teach him how to defend against that. Damien then lists his apprentice's mistakes and elucidates that Yan focused the enhanced protection solely into his arm to withstand the attack and used centrifugal force to deflect it. But the only one who got deflected was Yan. Our boy can't help but ponder how the commander is a total lunatic to use his ultimate technique out of nowhere in the middle of training. Fortunately, he learned some things from the details he read in the founding emperor's book that helped him. If it weren't for that book, only Yan's lower body would have been left like how the trees were spilt in half. At that moment, Momon materializes and compliments how Damien is good at controlling the Black Dragon. She then asks our boy about the instructor commander, as she notices that he's different from an idiot like Yan. Our guy feels insulted and asks Momon to go back. Nonetheless, our trainee reveals that he's the instructor commander of the Special Forces Training Center, while Momon gets a sense of familiarity from Damien's energy. That's when our guy reveals that Damien is the current emperor's illegitimate son, which makes him the descendant of the founding emperor. Momon simmers with anger after learning that Damien is the descendant of Bahamut, and to teach him a lesson, she pokes him with her little body and tells him to die and blame his ancestor for this. But Damien only feels an itch on his shoulder. The commander feels nice after some light stretching with his apprentice, and Yan thinks it's a joke that he's calling this light. Damien unravels that the sword technique our boy just saw was one of the Black Shadow Art's first techniques, Dread Slash. What's astonishing is that no trainee has seen the second technique yet, because all of them died after seeing the first in an utterly boring manner. Well, Damien is surely a dangerous man. He calls out his apprentice, Trainee 974, and is eager to see how many techniques he can last against. While it seems like a threat, our guy smirks and takes it just how a true apprentice would. Yan hopes that there are a lot of techniques. If he learns one each day, then he'll need 365 techniques to exist. Our guy mocks Damien in the most amazing way, and even the commander is delighted to hear Yan talk cockily. The instructor commander states that even if Trainee 974 learns one technique, it'll still take him decades. Gushing with confidence, Yan assures the commander not to worry about the number of techniques he'll need to show him, because from now on, he'll only need to worry about what happens after he's shown them all to him. Just like that, training continues between the apprentice and the master. Yan did take a lot of the master's smacking, but he learned a lot in the process. Our boy then narrates that he trained under the instructor commander every day, and time passed just like that. It is known to us that 2 years have passed already. The combined ranking for the recent test is announced, and there aren't any changes from the previous one, but those whose ranks have gone down are expected to do more training. And again, Yan takes first place in the rankings, while Lorena gets pushed back yet again. Personally, Lorena can't accept this. After the first time, Yan disappeared and didn't even attend any training with them, and now he keeps getting number 1. This fuels her curiosity, and she wonders just what kind of training he's been doing alone. She desperately wishes to know where on earth our boy is. This time, Lorena is determined that when they meet again in the next test, she'll definitely win. She also goes hard on her training, to the extent that killing an A-rank monster is no big deal for her. Lorena gets stronger so that when she meets Yan, she'll settle this fight with him. Fast forward to 2 years later, in the third arena, in the midst of the last test. In the final test, the trainees have to fight with an instructor. It's an important test because it decides who joins the special forces, depending on the performance shown in the fight. It may sound grand, but it's no less than a formality, because most high-ranked soldiers like Lorena Beowulf have already easily surpassed the instructors. Since a year ago, there haven't been any instructors that are a match for Lorena, but if she doesn't participate in the test, she can't join the special forces. This means that all trainee soldiers must attend. She strongly believes that Yan will have to appear in the test too. She desires to see how strong our boy has become. Abruptly, Lorena's thoughts are disrupted by a voice. It appears to be the instructor who's sparring with Cruel Dwight. The instructor asks him to stop the fight, but Dwight seems passionate and believes the instructor is running away from a real fight. According to Cruel, a third-ranked soldier, the fight only stops when one party dies. The high-ranked trainee soldier thinks it must have been fun for the instructor since he wore the instructor's clothes and even dared to disrespect a noble like that. Lorena is done with this crazy-ass Cruel, who's making a fool out of himself on purpose, finding it revolting. The trainees badmouth the third-ranked soldier as well, as he's acting like an asshole till the end. Roman, currently the fourth-ranked trainee soldier, hates how Cruel has been acting like he owns the world after surpassing the instructors. Kasha Efreet, the fifth noble-ranked soldier, pities the instructor who was unlucky enough to get paired with Cruel. She asks Roman to help the instructor, but the white-haired fella doesn't pity them since countless low-ranked soldiers are killed by instructors without reluctance. He concludes that they're just reaping what they sow. Kasha sarcastically lets out that Roman is scared, while Lorena is convinced that those two sure get along. From Lorena's point of view, we get to know that Cruel might have had a nasty personality at first, but he wasn't this crazy. He even killed an instructor who trained them recently, and it seems he lost control ever since 2 years ago. Meanwhile, Kasha and Roman continue bickering as she asks him why he isn't doing anything about that crazy dog with a super rich family. She teases Roman, thinking he's avoiding Cruel, but Roman reasons that he doesn't want to dirty his own hands. Deep down, Lorena realizes that they're graduating soon, and no one would want to get into scandals with the Dwight family. On the other hand, the crazy bastard Cruel hits the instructor and boasts that he's no match for him, even when he's barehanded. Just as the over-the-top soldier is about to go insane, someone casts ice spikes in his way. Cruel halts, and it turns out to be Lorena's doing. She lets out that she doesn't want to attract any scandal, but it's hard to overlook his behavior. Lorena threatens Cruel and states that she'll make sure there are no scandals involving the Dwight family by not allowing him to make a single sound. That lunatic guy grins maliciously and calls Lorena a bitch. He expresses how he wanted to teach her a lesson before their graduation, and how he'd been hankering for this opportunity. At that moment, Lady Beowulf notices the bloodlust that surrounds Cruel as he exudes ominous energy, while that guy states that he'll make her the last test of his life. Lady Beowulf taunts him and says that he's always picking on easy targets, so he should try fighting someone stronger than him for once. With that, Lorena and Cruel's sparring session begins. The rage behind every hit could be felt as the two top-ranked soldiers fought against each other. Lorena attacks with her sword, while Cruel strikes with his bare hands. While the fight might look unfair, Lorena reminds her opponent that it's not too late to ask for a sword, but being a prideful bastard, Cruel states that he merely needs hands to defeat someone like her. As they combat relentlessly, Roman figures out that the match has been decided, but Kasia could see that they're neck to neck at the moment. Being the spectators, Roman notices that Lady Beowulf is taking the lead and deduces that, in 30 moves, Cruel will find it hard to catch up. However, Kasia Efreet doesn't seem to be on the same page as Roman. She could sense the strange energy that Cruel is exuding, and is certain that it's not the dark shadow arts of the Special Forces, nor the ultimate technique of the Dwight family. It's apparent that it's something demonic, and Kasia manifests that if he continues to use it, he might end up killing his opponent, who's Lorena. Just then, Roman sarcastically pats Kasia's head and wonders what a 5th-ranked soldier who just came in would know. Kasia lets out that the 3rd rank and above are basically peerless, adding that she simply had other priorities other than the ranking. Surprisingly, Roman seems to know what her priorities were, as he mentions that Kasia created a personal organization of commoners and countryside nobles, a total of 80 of them. The 4th-ranked dude mocks Kasia and says that it's more like an idle fan club than an organization. He guesses that she must have been quite busy trying to recruit those nobles. In response, Kasia also backfires and is aware that Roman himself was busy since he gathered trainees who were either slaves or from foreign lands. She believes that he created an organization that's more like an army, a total of 56 people. She throws shade at Roman, uttering that his army could go on a mission like breaking out of this place. Roman's ego gets hurt a bit, and he assumes that Kasia is taking way too much interest in other people's lives. Kasia says the same thing, and as the tension between the two rises, they're interrupted by a noise. It appears that the fight is over. Lorena aims her sword at Cruel's neck, marking her victory. She schools Cruel about him acting arrogant just because he's strong and how he'll eventually end up losing. She advises him to be a little humble so that he won't be humiliated. Just as Cruel is about to accept defeat, a shadow materializes and provokes him. The shadow asks him if he's going to let himself lose again. The evil shadow belittles Cruel as he pities him and whispers into his mind that he's always losing and letting people take things away from him. That shadow lights a fire in him by saying that he'll lose forever and get things taken away from him. He tears Cruel down and fits into his brain that if he kills everyone, nothing will be taken from him. That shadow reminds Cruel that everything is his, the mansion, the position of successor within his family, his father's love. That wicked creature pities him and provokes him to kill everyone so that nothing could be taken away from him. This drives Cruel to the edge, and eventually, darkness takes over him, and he looks like a possessed demon. Smirking, the possessed guy asks Lorena if her resolve to kill him is as strong, when suddenly, he forcibly leans towards the sword that stabs his neck. Lorena is left baffled, while Cruel lets out that there are people who would rather die than lose. Shocked, Lorena immediately moves away her sword and furiously questions him if he's intending to kill himself. It appears that Cruel has shifted into a completely different creature, and he takes that chance to strike Lorena, concluding that she doesn't have the resolve. That's when things get serious, and Cruel rips her with his claws. Just as that crazy bastard leans in to shred Lorena to pieces since he had lost control, a magic wolf appears out of the blue. Cruel is left shocked, wondering who dares to get in his way. He shortly witnesses a wolf while someone calls that black wolf back. Eyes widened, Roman recognizes that voice, and it turns out to be our boy Jan, who saves Lorena. Things take a surprising turn when Jan shows up, and no one could be more delighted by his arrival other than Cruel, as he wishes to teach him a lesson after taking care of Lorena. Jan tells Lady Beowulf to rest a little, while that crazy bastard Dwight mocks our guy as he's shocked to see that Jan grew closer to a mutt, guessing that he learned a few circus tricks during the past 2 years. Our boy isn't surprised to see that the bastard hasn't changed in the slightest even after 2 years. Shortly, Momen materializes and tells Jan that demonic energy has eaten away at Cruel. Jan could sense that as well, the demonic energy enfolding Cruel, and infers that it's progressed a bit, so it'll be best to deal with Dwight now. Otherwise, he'll fall and become a demonic human soon. In the meantime, Dwight asks our guy, mumbling something since he's unable to see the spirit, Momen. Jan responds that he's just worrying about his future. As Cruel proceeds to attack him, our guy warns him that he'll regret it. Just as they're about to get involved in a fight, a voice approaches and commands them to stop. It appears to be the instructor commander Damien, who passes snide remarks at Jan, muttering that he appears out of nowhere after 2 years and has gotten even more arrogant. He commands them to wrap things up. or else it'd be a waste to die on their last day, as he has to make a final announcement. The instructor commander appreciates the trainees for surviving up till now, the batch that started with 1,000, and there are 200 left now. Damien is delighted by the decent results and mentions that their strength and skills take up 50% of the final evaluation, and mana estimation will take up 50%, and the final results depend on what he's mentioned. Damien declares that they're no longer trainees anymore. Hence, they've earned the right to be called something else other than their trainee number. They've earned the right to be a Knight of the Empire, to be a full-fledged knight. It is then revealed to us that Empire Knights are people who are able to control mana, and there are a total of 10 ranks to measure how strong the knights are within the Empire. Starting from 10, the rank 10 knights are able to learn how to use mana, till the rank 4 knights are able to use enhanced sword aura. Damien wraps things up and states that the result of the evaluation will be announced from the top, starting with Yan. Yan, who's been in Special Forces and was lavished with the upper-ranked trainees' accommodation. It's been 2 years since he had a decent accommodation. Momon asks Yan what the knight ranks are about, and he realizes that ranks didn't exist 1,000 years ago. Basically, those trainees are given ranks like circles for magic. Most of the trainees would get rank 7 to 8. Even though the rank doesn't look high, they're at a level where they're capable of taking out most demi-human monsters. The 4 elites, Kasha Ifrit, Cruel Dwight, Lorena Beowulf, including Roman, are ranked 6. They are the very few people within the training center who can defeat the 4 of them. To become rank 6 at their age means they're elites among elites. In the meantime, Lady Beowulf approaches Yan and remarks about how he's changed a lot in 2 years, including his hair that has grown pretty long. Our guy kinda makes fun of Lorena and says that she's grown a little shorter. Lorena mentions the moment Yan saved her when she was fighting with Cruel, but our guy tells her not to worry and advises her to seek treatment for her injuries. Lady Beowulf appears mad when she asks him if he thought she lost to Cruel. She tells Yan not to think he's won, just because he is rank 5 since a rank is just a rank. It turns out that our guy achieves Empire Knight rank 5, people who are about to attain enhanced sword aura, the dream of knights. Although there are some rank 5 knights within the Empire, the only person who's achieved rank 5 at the age of 17 is the current crown prince, Leon. This means that now Yan is on par with the Emperor, maybe stronger than him. After that, Lorena is pissed off and remarks that Yan looks ugly with that hair. Offended, our guy looks done with Lorena and how easily she's angered, while Momon enjoys his humiliation. As Lady Beowulf walks away, she's aware she did something shameless and childish, but she can't bring herself to admit that Yan is better than his brother, who also got rank 5. Meanwhile, Momon infers that being rank 5 is such a big deal, but Yan takes the insult to heart as he thinks his hair is indeed a little long. At that moment, the spirit curiously asks our boy why he's hiding his strength, because if he didn't, he would have been receiving an upper rank. But our guy believes that showing only this much strength is perfect for now. He smirks and exemplifies that it's enough to get moths gathering around him, like how they're attracted to a flame. On the contrary, Damien assumes that the other trainees must be discouraged by Yan, since even the instructor commander wasn't expecting this. Our guy did exceed his expectations, and what intrigued Damien was the Black Wolf. The fact that he never taught Yan anything about that is just astonishing. He wonders if our Empire Knight 5 used the Black Shadow Sword art. Senior Instructor Zach, who's escorting Damien, expresses his concern that he's favoring Yan too much. But if Damien leaves him be, it'll disrupt the order within the training center. This pisses off the instructor commander, as he supposes that Zach has become fearless now that he has become a senior instructor. Damien questions his rights about telling his opinions to him, while Zach's voice trembles with fear as he apologizes to him. After that, Damien leaves Zach in charge to take care of the test and departs. Just as he leaves, Zach finds it truly hard to trust the judgment of Instructor Commander Damien anymore. Abruptly, more knights emerge and agree with Zach, who concludes that it's time to deal with Trainee 974. Later, in Yan's accommodation, he dozes off when suddenly Momon appears over him. She lets her intrusive thoughts take over and seizes this chance to take over Yan's body. She's been garnering her strength for the past 2 years while waiting for an opportunity like this. And now the day has come. She maliciously attempts to brainwash him and uses the Mindbreaker skill in order to do that. Just as Momon furtively activates the skill and plans to take control of his body gradually. However, her daydream bubble bursts when Yan opens his eyes, as his Black Wolf is about to rip Momon's head into pieces, and stops him. Momon halts in her movement, justifying that she was trying to see if his mana was circulating well. Our guy reminds Momon that he'll turn her into dust if she dares to try that again. Exasperated, the spirit lets out that she's forced to do this since Yan keeps delaying his promise of getting her a body. Just as our guy is about to teach that cunning Momon a lesson, he's interrupted by a deliberate knock on the door. The man asks for trainee Yan, while our guy wonders who it is since it's pretty late. Our guy opens the door, and it appears to be the instructor, who informs Yan that the instructor commander is looking for him. The atmosphere charges with suspense while the senior instructor and trainee Yan walk through the shopping street alleyway of Special Forces. Our guy asks him if he's certain that Damien wants to meet him late at night since the tests are already over. Each moment only fuels his curiosity, as Yan questions again why the commander called him to a suspicious place like this. That's when things unfold, and the instructor tosses out his hidden weapon drawer, a sword. The instructor admits that trainee Yan is a fast one and attacks him, but when he turns behind to strike, our guy goes missing. Shortly, Yan emerges from behind the instructor and says that he's fast too. The instructor's eyes widen with shock while our guy activates the skill Dark Soul 7th form, 1-inch punch. The traitor turns out to be a scar-faced man, senior instructor Zach, who is hit by the realization that Yan already knew about their scheme. Well, it's obvious that Yan got the hunch since bastards like them exude intense killing intent. Our guy assumes that they are not well trained in covert training yet. Zach calls him an impudent brat since he can't do anything else. At that moment, trainee Yan ponders about the energy that came out of Zach's sword, a crimson-colored sword energy, and there's an exception for people who are capable of using that sword energy. Our guy then questions Zach if the instructor commander knows of this notorious plot. Yan subtly warns him about the consequences of the senior instructor's actions because this is what he shouldn't be doing. Scarface calls him a bastard and supposes that Yan is all that just because he got rank 5. Zach infers that there are bastards like him who become arrogant after getting good results. Right at that moment, Zach's underlings ambush Yan, waiting to see how long he stays arrogant. Our guy remains unfazed and arrogantly clarifies to Zach that he won't be able to defeat him with just this many people. But Yan's cockiness gets the worst of him because he does get defeated by the enemy. But all this seems a bit unrealistic, and Momen asks him what the hell he's trying to do. Our guy, putting up an innocent act, asks instructor Zach to at least tell him the reason for capturing him. The other instructors suggest Zach finish up quickly since there's no need to hear this bastard Yan's words. But our trainee urges the senior instructor to reveal the reason, so that he can reflect on himself even if he dies. That's when Zach reminds him of the incident that happened 2 years ago. Yan led some trainees and escaped from the special forces. A lot of instructors were mobilized to capture him and the other escapees, and everyone was killed by Yan. Among those who Yan killed, instructor Zach's brother was also among them. Zach is certain that Yan doesn't remember killing the squad leader of the 3rd Pursuit, who was his brother. Zach seems to be seeking revenge for his brother, who lost his life because of a vermin like Yan. He emotionally remembers how his brother's corpse looked like it was in great pain. Reeking of malice, Zach has been waiting so long for this day to kill Yan and appease his brother's soul. He desires for Yan to go to the afterlife and ask his brother for forgiveness. In that split second, our guy summons his Black Wolf and uses Black Shadow Sword Art, Materialization. The Black Wolf leaps forward and protects his owner. Yan does feel bad for his brother's death, but he justifies that they both fought to survive and he won. Our guy makes it clear that there's no place for grudges to exist here since it's survival of the fittest. Ironically, Yan reminds the instructor that he's one of those who taught them to do that, to fight and kill. But what Yan finds hard to believe is that all these instructors are mobilized just for a personal grudge. It's apparent that there's another hidden reason to get rid of our trainee. Taken aback, Zach wonders what nonsense he's talking about, while Yan recognizes them on the spot and calls them rebels. Our main character narrates that in his past life, he was from Armenia. They had a revolt that shook up the whole continent, even though it still ended in failure. There was a group of people that led numerous rebels, so they rallied all sorts of rebels and called themselves the Revolutionary Army. They were originally known as the Crimson Revolutionaries. The name originated from the sword aura that they used the Crimson Revolution. Their swords were always bloody, and they used their own blood to create a dark red sword aura. Furthermore, the battles of the Crimson Revolutionaries always ended in a bloodbath. What's intriguing is that the Crimson Revolution was known to be an artistic skill that was passed down when the leader of the Crimson Revolutionaries founded it. If a knight on his level used it, they could have made it even more destructive. But there was a downside to this skill, which was that it consumed blood. And in order to overcome this downside, the Crimson Revolutionaries absorbed blood. In the present scene, the rebels make their move, and Yan lets out how he wanted to meet them, but they saved him some trouble since they came looking for him first. Our guy dubiously questions the senior instructor who's the one giving him orders. He wonders if it is the instructor commander or someone else within the training center. Rendered speechless, Zach couldn't wrap his head around how the fuck Yan found it out, but the moment he mentioned revolutionary, his death was inevitable. The rebels' leader Zach commands his knights to begin the Crimson Revolution, and the rebels, with their swords exuding crimson aura, leap forth to kill trainee 974. Yan is convinced that they're really the rebels, and with 3 rank 5 knights using Crimson Revolution, he gets serious too. Our boy summons the Black Wolf, and using the Black Shadow Sword Art, Dread Slash, his arm unfolds into black aura and turns into a sword. The rebel knights are left thunderstruck when they witness that it's the instructor commander's Dread Slash. Zach is left in disbelief that Yan has already reached that level at such a young age. Meanwhile, our trainee uses the Dread Slash. That single deadly slash was enough, as the energy burst forth with brute force. Zach sits against the wall, disoriented and traumatized, after witnessing Yan, who simply swung his sword once, and all his knights were annihilated. The blood covers the ground, and the instructor wonders in utter disbelief how the hell he wiped them all out, calling trainee 974 a literal monster. While there's no doubt our guy is looking like one, Zach suspects that Yan is the spy planted by the Empire and asks him if the instructor commander found out about the Crimson Revolutionaries too. That's when our guy ruthlessly steps on his amputated leg, making Zach scream in pain. and clarifies that he'll be the one asking questions. Our guy even decides to spare his life depending on how he answers his questions. Yan then shows him the pendant and asks Zack if he has seen this insignia before. As soon as his eyes land on it, Zack's eyes widen and he questions hysterically why such an insignia is possessed by Yan. Our guy finally finds the lead to know something about that insignia. He bombards the knight with questions and asks if this insignia is related to a family or a guild. Yan wonders how this pattern is related to the instructor commander, Damien. Just as Zack asks him why someone like him has that, suddenly big bumps appear on his face. Moments later, Zack's face explodes as blood splatters everywhere. Just when our guy was inches away from knowing about that insignia, things turned upside down. After that, Yan wonders if Zack committed suicide, but Momon asserts that there was a restriction placed on him via magic, and he had no idea. Momon further elucidates that restrictions are energy and blood that are triggered when a certain word is mentioned, or a certain action is done. It'll explode and kill the one it's placed on. Momon has no idea who is behind it, but she is certain that person is very meticulous about security. She proudly tells Yan that what she tried to cast on him was also a restriction. Our guy lets out that she's not supposed to brag about it. Deep down, now Yan has stumbled upon a subtle fact, that not only the instructor commander carries the same insignia, but it's also related to the rebels. He starts to get a bad feeling about this since his parents are also involved in it. Just then, Yan decides to report this to Damien, while Momon objects and thinks it's odd that he's going to find the instructor commander after killing his subordinates. Also, there's a possibility that he was the one behind it. Our guy is certain that Damien did send his subordinates, but this is a sure thing. Yan wasn't the target. Shortly, the instructor commander shows up, and Yan asks him if he wanted him to kill his subordinates. Damien laughs it off, asking why he would do that. He emphasizes that no teacher would ask his own apprentice to kill his own subordinate. The instructor commander reveals that Zack had been talking back lately, so he just wanted to teach him a lesson. Damien assures Yan that there's no need to report this and asks him to go back since the real mission will start tomorrow. He asks our guy to rest up because, with his current level, his hands would be full with whatever's coming. The Continental train is now heading towards northern Beowulf territory, while the conductor asks everyone to show their tickets, confirming their travel. He approaches Yan, Special Forces rank 5 Knight, and returns his ticket after confirming it. The tests are over, and our trainee is being sent on a leisure train trip. Although he's aware that there's no way that's happening, he's being moved to the north for a mission. The trainees that survived the tests have become official Special Forces members and were deployed for their first missions immediately. They were deployed into 4 battlefields. With the Empire as the center, they were sent north, south, east, and west. That's basically the whole continent. They asked people to choose which area they wanted to go to, and they were assigned their missions there. The East, which shares a border with the land of the undead and wraiths. Kasha and 80 plus of her followers went there. The West, where strange phenomena and monsters appear. Roman and 50 plus under him were deployed there. The stormy South, where pirates and tornadoes appear. 60 plus members that belong to the higher ranks were deployed there. While in the harsh North, where the lands are frozen and the borders are shared with the barbarians' territory, the training center's #1 trainee, Yan, and 3 others were deployed there. Only a very small number of people volunteered for the North. It's because the cold there is said to be able to freeze even dragons. Our lad liked the idea of going alone without many people volunteering, but got stuck with a weird combination of members. Rank 6 Knight Cruel and Lorena, and Rank 8 Knight Cheryl. Yan is convinced that only the pain in the asses are gathered here. Cruel addresses Lorena as princess, asking her if she followed him here to take revenge by stepping all over him. But when she doesn't say anything in response, the arrogant brat calls her a bitch, wondering if she just ignored him. Cheryl steps up and tells Cruel to shut that uncouth mouth of his, assuming that's what Miss Lorena thinks. Dwight questions her and asks her why she's acting like her maid, to which Cheryl introduces herself and reveals that she has been working with Lorena ever since the Blade Mountain ranges. After she saved her that day, she decided that she will go wherever Miss Beowulf goes. No one has ever stepped in like that for Cheryl before. Hence, she insults Cruel, telling him that Lorena probably thinks that he ought to shut that smelly and loud mouth of his. They both keep arguing, which makes our trainee realize that he won't be able to travel quietly. Meanwhile, Cruel actually doesn't give a shit about Lorena, and the only reason why he decided to go north is because of Yan. It's so that he can kill him. He hated the sight of him from their first meeting. Our boy always got in his way and humiliated him. If they're outside the training center, Cruel thinks he can kill him anytime. Just as he's sliding something towards him, Yan asks him how many hits he wants. The arrogant brat is left speechless when our man questions him yet once again, wondering how many times he wants to get hit. Cruel unintentionally says once while our trainee punches him, refusing his request. Meanwhile, Lorena is preoccupied by her own thoughts. She never thought she would go back to her hometown this soon. She recalls the bitter memories of her being warned to be exiled from this territory as well. The hometown that she left without even turning back a single time. After she left her hometown, she didn't find anything about her brother. She comprehends that she can't go back like this. Yan notices her being strangely quiet and guesses that she's not happy about going back to her hometown. However, she will soon hear some shocking news, and even she will be surprised. It is announced that they will reach Avalon soon, when our fella notices a guy asking the Imperial advisor if he's really going to act like this. They're near Avalon, and he's not going to drop by as the guy wonders if there's a problem. He's worried about the Crown Prince being really disappointed, but the Imperial Advisor assures him that he won't, since the Crown Prince's studies are already completed. The advisor is confused why the guy keeps asking him to meet the Crown Prince when there's nothing else he can teach him. Meanwhile, the reason why Jan chose North is because of the Imperial Advisor, Hugo. He may seem like an eccentric old man with a bad personality at a glance, but he's the teacher of the Emperor and the Crown Prince, the person known as the brains of the Empire. Although he was a commoner who knew no magic or martial arts, he became a respected great person of the Empire with just academics and philosophy. Even the Emperor recognized that and bestowed the title of a count to him, who was a commoner. In Jan's past life, he was magnificent even in his last moments, befitting of his title. The Imperial Advisor kept advising the Emperor while bleeding and crying for 3 days and nights. The Emperor rewarded his loyalty by giving him death. But that will happen way in the future, not now. The conductor apologizes to the advisor for the discomfort caused to him and lets him know that he sent away everyone who was causing a commotion. He reveals that they've prepared a private room for the Imperial Advisor and asks him if he would like to head there. The advisor thanks him, and they head to the private room when Jan notices the conductor signaling someone with sign language. The train is passing by a tunnel, and when that happens, the Imperial Advisor is going to be assassinated. That's what our trainee has been waiting for. The Imperial Advisor. He's not loyal to the Emperor, but to the Empire. Someone who would give up his life if it's for the sake of the Empire and its people. The Revolutionary Army considered him a nuisance and decided to kidnap him. The unique sign language that the train crew member was using is a sign language that only the Revolutionary Army uses. It is announced that the train will be making a brief stop in the tunnel due to a technical issue. Thus, the passengers are advised to remain seated. The Revolutionary Army is intending to start their ambush in the tunnel soon. Jan has been waiting for this. He plans on rescuing the Imperial Advisor and building a connection with him. Our trainee addresses his fellows and lets them know that he will be conversing via frequency transmission from now on. Hence, he instructs them to pay close attention to it. He discloses the fact that this train has been taken over by the enemy, and that in 1 hour's time when the train enters the tunnel, the enemies are planning to ambush one of the VIPs on this train. The enemies have disguised themselves as the train crew members, and there's a chance that they're also disguised as passengers. Jan is interrupted when Cruel reminds him that they haven't even gotten their first mission yet, as he wonders why they should listen to him. Our trainee punches the arrogant brat in the face and asks if anyone else has a question. Lorena finds it hard to digest what she's heard, and asks Jan how he got this information. Our dude reveals that the instructor commander had instructed him privately, and that is also the reason why he chose the North. The lady soldier demands more information about who the enemies are, and it is told to her that their exact number is unknown, but they're from the Revolutionary Army. They're involved in the attempted kidnapping of the VIP. The disguised Revolutionary Army man asks if all the normal passengers are asleep, and it is revealed that a sleeping incense is deployed in their cabin. They decide to slowly take over the carriage, but are concerned about Special Forces members being among the passengers. Just then, they hear someone asking them why crew members would need weapons, and it turns out to be Lorena, who attacks the disguised man. The other two Revolutionary Army men are shocked to see their subordinates' wounds freezing up and a sword with cold energy, which makes them recognize the person attacking them as a Beowulf. Lorena realizes that Jan was right upon seeing their reactions. Meanwhile, the army men disparage her by calling her a baby lion of Beowulf and acting all shocked. They can't believe that a baby lion has fallen into the hands of low-ranked members like them. One of them jokes about getting a special promotion, while the other suggests that they could just collect the bounty that's on her head. Lorena Beowulf inquires if they know what the Revolutionary Army has done to the Beowulf household. The reason her brother has disappeared was because he left their hometown to join the social forces and find all of them. But now that they've shown up in front of her, she can't help but be grateful to them for that while she activates her powers. However, one of the revolutionary men questions her if she's aware of what her family has done. He reveals that while they were living in laps of extravagance, his family survived by eating off rotten trash. He asks Lorena who she thinks caused that, but she is firm that the Beowulf household walks the path of an absolute ruler to protect the North and the Empire. Hence, the lady soldier judges if he makes her family his enemy, that means he's the evil which threatens the North and the Empire. With that, she swishes her sword, and the impact shatters the windows of the train cabin. Members of the Revolutionary Army in another cabin are curious about what's going on in the carriage, as they can't contact their fellow members. To their surprise, they find cruel Dwight standing ahead of them, as he was just looking for someone to unleash his anger on. He kills them mercilessly, and likes the feel of the sword that he took from the Imperial Vault. The inhumane bastard feels refreshed to see some blood after such a long time, and desperately waits to kill Jan next. Jan and Momon are on their way to save the Imperial Advisor, while Lorena is stopping the troops in the front cabin and Cruel is stopping the troops in the back cabin. Our guy decides to sneak in from the top and rescue the Imperial Advisor. Momon calls him a cunning bastard after listening to his plan. Even though she was aware of how good Lorena is, she finds the demonic human kid more talented than she thought. Jan supposes that he did great by not killing him, although he's basically a walking time bomb. Momon asks him if the Imperial Advisor is absolutely needed in his plans, And our boy agrees, because they will become even more involved with the revolutionary army from here on out. Hence, the Imperial Advisor would be the best person to have. If Yan becomes the one to save him, his plan would progress much more smoothly. Momon rants about seeing tons of calculative people like our chap, no matter where she is. Meanwhile, in a carriage, we see the Imperial Advisor tied up, and in front of him is Yahello, the third apprentice of Erectus, the Revolutionary Army's 7th commander, also known as the Berserk Swordsman, who asks the advisor if he's really the Emperor's teacher. Yahello assumes that the Imperial Advisor should be able to speak ancient languages or the dragon tongue since he's that clever. The advisor agrees and believes he can, to a certain extent. And that's when the Berserk Swordsman orders him to bark like a dog, because according to her, that's also a language, the tongue of dogs. When the advisor keeps quiet, Yahello assumes that he can't bring himself to do it and forces him to bark. Hence, the bald man has no choice as he barks and interprets the meaning of the particular sentence to be that she is very beautiful, while she laughs out loud. Momon, from the mana she's detecting, supposes that only 2 people are in the room. She's positive that the room they're about to enter is correct, but the conversation inside the room makes her doubt if someone like the advisor is supposed to be of any help to them. Inside the room, the bald advisor is speaking the language of cats. Yan remembers him to be that kind of person. This is what makes the advisor really scary. If it can benefit the Empire, he can throw away his pride as if it were nothing, an extreme utilitarian. The 7th commander of the Revolutionary Army is enjoying her little show and finds the scholars of the Empire to be incredible and stuck up. The bald advisor thanks her for looking so favorably upon him when she grabs her sword. Knowing that work is work, and even though she had a great time, it's now time to catch the rats. With that, she flings her sword to full strength and feels so much better as she does that. Wondering if it's because this is an old train, there are just too many rats. Just then, she hears the squeak sound of rats, and as she gets distracted, Yan makes an appearance. Our trainee asks the advisor if he's alright and informs him that he's here to rescue him, while the old man compliments him for infiltrating the room while he was distracting the enemy. Yahello addresses Yan as a kid and asks him if he can speak any animal languages, like a pig's, because she claims she'll make him squeal like one. Our trainee believes that she's pretty good at it herself because he thought she was imitating a pig right now. Momon figures out how much mana she has. It's at best rank 5. However, it's revealed that quite a dense amount of aura has been infused into her sword. Yan expected this much. It's the white sword aura, the color which the Berserk Sword Erectus is famous for. He's also been known for putting in a lot of effort to train the next generation. Our boy is sure that Yahello must be one of his apprentices, as he decides to put an end to this quickly. To his misfortune, Berserk Sword Erectus's 4th apprentice, Varus, shows up out of nowhere and holds the Imperial Advisor hostage. Varus instructs Yan to throw his sword away, or else the advisor is a dead man. Our dude suppresses his anger as he asks Momon about what happened to there being only 2 of them, while she looks away as if nothing happened. She elaborates on what she said about there being only 2 people with mana. Yan snaps at her, asking her if she just confused the advisor with the enemy, but she doesn't think it's her, that the advisor doesn't have any mana. Nonetheless, he throws his sword away as Yahello approaches him, as she makes fun of him for acting all arrogant before. Our trainee asks her if she wants to hear a pig squeal, but it's too late for that. Now, as compared to that, she wants to hear his skull cracking. That being said, she leaps onto Yan with all that she's got. Meanwhile, Lorena uses Beowulf's secret art, Rapid Freeze, thus defeating the enemy. But she coughs blood and realizes that she pushed herself too much in gathering the cold aura. Her body can't keep up since it's tough to maintain Snow Soul for a longer period. Just then, she hears a voice of what turns out to be a bulky-looking man, who finds this too rough and uncouth to be the secret art of the Beowulf household. It's quite different from what he's heard. Lorena wonders who that guy is that is erasing the surrounding cold aura with his sword aura. If he came from the rear cabin where Cruel was, it means that he's defeated him. The guy asks her if she's the daughter of the Beowulf household while he approaches her, when Lorena attacks him as she asks him how dare he speak of that name. In the rear of the train, we see Cruel covered in blood, cursing Yan as he wonders how he's supposed to stop a monster like that. The arrogant guy is sure that he's on a different level from everyone he's met so far. There's no doubt that he's even stronger than the instructor commander. Meanwhile, Lorena's sword is stopped by the guy's fingers, who apologizes if what he said sounded offensive. However, he finds it pretty unfortunate that only if they hadn't met here, he wouldn't have to kill her. With that, we see blood splattered across the cabin's window. Cheryl is curious about why Yan instructed her to stay hidden when she can fight too. Being ranked 8 means that she's a Knight of the Empire who officially passed the test. She wonders if Lorena is alright as she reckons that she should be there to protect her. Meanwhile, Lorena is severely injured as the assassin pities her, that if she would have stayed down, she could have kept her life. Lorena recognizes the assassin to be the famous Reckless Bravado and tells him to stop right there, but he supposes that she's not stupid enough not to know the difference between their strengths. He raises a question of what she can do in her current state, and that's when Lorena Beowulf confesses that she's aware she's not like the usual Beowulf. Nor is her swordsmanship refined, she gets emotional easily, and she can't even use her family's secret art properly. However, she affirms that she can at least die like how a Beowulf would while she restores her sword. She knows that she might not be able to defeat him, but she can put her life on the line to fight him. This makes Bravado realize that he acted disrespectfully, as he believes when warriors fight, to kill and to be killed is to be expected. He reveals his nickname to be the Black Tiger, and his name is Aimer, while he activates his technique, Mountain Splitting Tiger. Amor decides to show his full strength and goes all out. On the other hand, Varys is in utter disbelief that they have lost, even though they had the advantage in numbers and disarmed all their enemies, while they even had a hostage with them, which makes the Revolutionary Army commander wonder how this even happened. Yahello was brutally defeated by Yan's Black Wolf blade arm, who breaks it to them that they simply lost because they lot are weak. The Imperial advisor is still not sure if it's over, while our trainee reassures him and suggests that they go to the next cabin in case they pull any other tricks and rest. Yahello can't seem to recover from the fact that Yan dodged all of their attacks. However, our boy already had the experience of fighting her teacher, Berserk Sword Erectus, in his previous life. He already saw his techniques once, and this time round, it wasn't even Erectus himself, but his apprentices. Hence, there's no chance of him losing, even if hell freezes over. Yan asks the blonde revolutionary man if he wants to live, and states that if he answers his questions properly, he won't kill him. With that, he shows the pendant with his family's insignia, and asks Varys if he remembers seeing this insignia. The revolutionary man seems to recognize that to be the insignia of the star, but before he could say anything else, his face starts to disfigure, and he's killed. Our boy realizes that it's another restriction, and notices how even the apprentices of the Berserk Sword have restrictions cast on them. He guesses that the information must be that important, and figures that it will be tough to hear them speak more than one sentence. However, he did get a new keyword, the insignia of the star. With that, he's done here. Since he has recovered the advisor, they just need to get off the train now. Just then, Yan witnesses an explosion in the train and is confused as to what exploded. Yahello breaks it to him that the engine room has been blown apart. Thus, this train can never be stopped now. She believes at this rate, the train's overheated magic stone circuit will probably directly crash into Avalon Station. She's pumped about the sound of that explosion, knowing it'll be magnificent as she laughs like a maniac. However, it's a pity that she won't be able to see that, and with that, she meets her end. The surprising thing is, this never happened in Yan's previous life, as he ponders how this happened. Momon grabs our trainee and is ready to get off the train without the others, worried about how they can stop this whole train alone. She doesn't give a damn about the advisor, knowing that with the amount of magic stone that's in the magic stone circuit, the explosion would be insane. Nonetheless, our fella tells her to stop panicking, and even though it's unexpected, he's sure that monster should be able to take care of this. That monster is the Royal Knight, the 7th Knight, Kyle, who awaits to stop the incoming train. Although the Emperor ordered Yan to rescue the Imperial advisor, he can't just do nothing about a runaway train. Meanwhile, the Royal Knights, the strongest knights that protect the Emperor and the capital, only superhumans that are ranked 3 and above can join them. Each knight's individual prowess is known to be equivalent to a natural disaster itself. Kyle takes his sword out as he sees the train coming closer, knowing it can't be helped. He asks Hugo for forgiveness and uses the Imperial Sword, Final Form, which clearly devastates the train. Yan realizes that the impact is too much, but it's already too late. Kyle, upon witnessing the train that is now in shambles, curses the Revolutionary Army bastards. He can't believe they would do something so atrocious and evil. When the Imperial advisor walks out of the destroyed train, wondering what the heck he's even talking about, because that was literally done by him. The Royal Knight laughs it off and is glad that he's safe, as he asks him if he feels unwell anywhere, while the bald advisor finds it truly miraculous that he could survive whatever he did, as he almost got vaporized along with the train. Kyle believes it's a misunderstanding and clarifies that it's because he knew he could count on the Lady of Beowulf that was on the train. He knew she could protect the advisor and keep him safe, and just as he expected, she changed the trajectory of the train. As a result, only the front few cabins were damaged. The advisor and hostages remained protected. Kyle expected as much from the best trainee of the training center, but Lorena lets him know that the person who made the train go off track wasn't her. Just then, Cruel shows up and states it was nothing, since a member of the Special Forces should be able to figure out what to do in that situation easily. The Royal Knight is surprised to find out that there were other gems in the Special Forces, other than the Lady Beowulf, while the arrogant brat talks big that he's more like the number 1 when Cheryl appears and gives him a look. Lorena addresses Kyle and reveals that there was a certain someone among the people who ambushed the Imperial advisor, and that is Amr, the Black Tiger, the special rank assassin. His unique sword has an energy that feels like a tiger, and that's how he got his nickname. Kyle wonders if the Revolutionary Army hired him. It has been 10 years since he reached rank 3, and by now he should be 2 or 1. The lady soldier admits that she fought him but was way too weak. It's also revealed that when the train flipped, he disappeared when the Royal Knight showed up. The blonde-haired knight believes that the Black Tiger is with the Revolutionary Army and finds it incredible that she fought him. In the meantime, Momon asks Yan if he's hurt and nudges him that she told him to run away, pitying her poor body. Our trainee tells her to stop sticking to him while she reminds him that his body doesn't belong to him alone, thus he should be careful with it. Yan tells her to stop saying weird stuff and is not liking the situation, Things that didn't happen in his previous life are happening one after another. The Black Tiger's ambush, Kyle's attack, and the explosion of the train. Yan wonders why so many events that didn't happen in his previous life happen now. Originally, no one volunteered for the north. The situation changed because he chose to go north. He ponders if that caused the Black Tiger to appear in the north. He realizes that his actions are causing a chain reaction like a domino effect. And even though he can't tell just how this will influence the future, he decides to be careful. The Imperial advisor spots our trainee for whom he's been looking and decides to have a talk with him. The bald man thinks he should have just stayed in the capital as he feels so bad for being the reason that a lot of harm was caused. He mentions our boy's injured hand that he used to throw the train off track and blames himself for that too. And Yan, to his surprise, agrees with him while he lets out that he's being so direct. The bald advisor believes he owes our fellow one and gives him his token. If he has this, it's proof that he's the Imperial advisor's representative. Our boy asks the bald man if he's asking him to take this and forget how he barked like a dog. And the advisor stutters as he says that he's being really direct yet again. Thus, Yan decides to take his leave, and they decide to meet if fate allows. Our trainee finally got what he wanted, although that took a lot more effort than he thought. Momon wonders if that token is really useful, while he agrees. With that, he decides to head to his next destination, the land of brutal cold. We see Yan at a repair shop, where the blacksmith charges him repair fees of 500 GL. Our trainee complains about that being too expensive, but the man reminds him that it's a sword made from black steel, and wonders how he used it such that it got so damaged, to which Yan admits that he used it pretty recklessly. The instructor probably intended for him to use this as a normal sword when he gave him the black steel sword, but our boy guesses that not even black steel can handle executing the black wolf multiple times. As it is repaired, the blacksmith asks Yan if he needs anything else, to which he refuses, but the bald dude acts all clingy and requests him to come back again while hugging him, as he claims to make sure to give the best service next time too. While our fella feels if he acts friendly with that face, it will actually make him not want to come. Yan and all the others are in the city near Beowulf, called Villian. With the bad weather and inaccessibility of trains, they decided to use the gate in Villian to get to Beowulf. But it is revealed to them that if they consider the time needed to charge mana into the mana circle, they will probably only be able to use the gate around noon tomorrow. Villian is a metropolitan area, and it will take some time to obtain mana, while they also need some time to restock their items. It's Yan's first time coming to a place with so many commoners after his regression. He remembers that he woke up in that pit of hell training center after all. However, Momon feels something strange, and when our boy asks her why she's mumbling so much, she mentions the royal knight, Kyle, and reveals that she detected the golden dragon's energy from him. Yan raises a question about what the golden dragon is, while Momon annoyedly confesses that he's so ignorant, asking him if he does not know the power he has. She unveils that a mana heart can have 6 types of powers: black, red, blue, green, metal, and earth. The golden dragon is said to be the strongest among the metal elements. Our trainee mentions that the power is strong even if it's not a part of the mana heart, and how it's just an element. And that pisses Momon off as she calls him a stupid orc brain and states that if it were that easy, anyone could have become the founding emperor. While the only thing that can manifest the energy of a dragon is the divine dragon's breathing and the mana heart. She bites on our guy's head as she threatens him for looking down on the mana heart, wondering what the hell is in that thick skull of his. Yan ponders that the only ones whom Momon detected the energy of a dragon from were the instructor commander and the crown prince. He can understand why they had it since they have the blood of Bahamut in them. But the question is, how are the royal knights related? He decides to find that out as well when someone calls out his name, which catches him off guard since no one has called him by his name for so long. Turns out it's Lorena and Cheryl who ask him if he's returning to the accommodations now. Yan lets them know that he just came from repairing his sword at the blacksmith, as he needs some preparation before the mission starts. Cheryl, whose hands are filled with shopping bags, informs him that they were also making preparations for the mission. However, our trainee doubts that since it seems like they just did a lot of shopping. Lorena interrupts, objecting that she only bought necessities, which is all food. Our fella asks her if she plans to eat all of that in a day, while she's left baffled. Cheryl suggests Yan go shopping with them, as she supposes that he won't be able to last long in Beowulf with those clothes. He refuses, and decides to look around separately when Cheryl's attitude completely changes to a creepy one, as she insists he come with them. In the end, our lad agrees and tells her to calm down, but little do they know that Cruel is discreetly peeking at them. Yan buys innerwear to prevent cold, gloves to prevent against cold, and boots to prevent against cold, as he decides to settle with this, since it will be inconvenient if he carries any more things. Momon remarks about our trainee always looking so gloomy when he uses an idiom as a response, conveying that a pot calling the kettle black. Cheryl appears and asks him if he's done choosing everything, and requests him to take a look at what Miss Lorena is wearing. With that, the show starts with a lady soldier in a dress that feels like something someone would wear in a new city, and it's too tight. Next outfit is a basic among basics, black and white, while the other is the ultimate look, lightweight armor, to which Lorena objects, wondering why she would wear such clothes or swimming costumes to the land of brutal cold. Hence, she stops the outfit trials as she has had enough and feels that it doesn't suit her. Cheryl disagrees with her, as she believes she looked cute in all of them, as she asks Yan for confirmation. Our guy lets out that she looked good in all of them, but it felt a little awkward since they're different from what she usually wears. Cheryl asks him what he thinks looked the best on her, and he thinks the Empire's uniform that she's wearing now looks the best on her. According to Yan, everything she wore looked good, but the knowledge she has of swordsmanship and the strength she possesses, he thinks these clothes are the best at expressing those traits of hers. Hearing that, Lorena's reaction is a bit off as she decides to go back to accommodations first, leaving Cheryl behind. Cheryl, with the same creepy expression, asks our boy what the hell he just said as she rushes behind the lady soldier. Momon doesn't know what just happened but knows that this doesn't look good, while Yan asks her if she feels the same too, wondering if he did something wrong. Meanwhile, Cheryl apologizes as she believes it's her fault, but Lorena thanks her for helping her look at clothes today. The 8th-ranked soldier tells the purple-haired lady not to care about that man who doesn't know anything, referring to Yan. She calls him an idiot. Lorena states that she doesn't care about him or what he said, as she believes it's nonsense after all, but her red face says otherwise. Yan calls out Lorena and announces that he will be seeing her and meeting in front of the gate tomorrow at noon, while he warns her not to be late. While the lady soldier, with a flushed face, mumbles not to say something that people might misunderstand so loudly and leaves. Our trainee sees her leaving without answering him and wonders if she did not hear him. Momon proposes that she would have acted like she didn't hear him too because that was embarrassing. Nonetheless, Yan decides to go see Cruel now that he's bought his uniform. Shining Moon, a bar located in the commercial district near Villain's Transportation Bureau. It has affordable prices and tasty food, so both local residents and mercenaries love visiting the bar. We see Cruel in the bar, who frustratedly thinks about what he needs to do to defeat Yan. He knows that our trainee, even when he's asleep, doesn't have any openings, and he can also feel that he hasn't shown his true abilities yet. The arrogant soldier wonders why our boy is going to such lengths to hide his strength, and why he's even hiding it. In the background, we hear the locals arguing loudly over who's going to pay the bill, as one of them keeps stalling his friend on paying it the next time. Cruel, who is bothered by their loud voices, curses them, and when he couldn't take it anymore, he snaps at them, telling them to shut up as he calls them lowly vermin. He makes it known that he's Cruel Dwight of the Dwight family and questions them if they can't see he's eating right now. He wonders if commoners do not have a slight ounce of manners and strictly warns them not to make a sound until he finishes his meal, adding that he will show the class difference between a noble and a commander if they keep their ruckus up. Just then, he hears a familiar voice saying that he would like to see that class difference. As Cruel wonders who that fearless person is, it turns out to be Yan, who takes a seat beside him while he tells him to show him just how the high-class nobles freaking eat their food. The arrogant dude is surprised to see our guy and tries explaining that those bastards were causing a huge commotion without observing basic etiquette. Yan asks him if it isn't better for him not to do things like that since he's also suffered from that before. Cruel also made it here because he was oppressed by the class difference. Our trainee suggests if he gets out of the class, he can probably become much stronger. However, the arrogant fella is confused as to what he's talking about, not being able to understand his point. As they're talking, Captain Billy from the Thunderhorn Mercenaries shows up and keeps a hand on Cruel's shoulder, asking him if he's the skinny fellow from the outside. Billy claims that he overheard the conversation and believes that the arrogant fella wants to become stronger, as he offers to teach him the secret for that. Cruel tells him to get his hands off him while the captain continues to talk about how training with weights for 8 hours a day would make a strong man. He offers that if he joins their mercenary company now, they will also provide protein supplements to him. That was the last straw for Cruel as he tells him to go to hell with proteins, punching him ever so intensely. He spits that he can eat that rubbish himself. The bulky guy falls down on the ground, and the arrogant boy guesses that what Billy had wasn't muscle. He turned out to be an inflated balloon. Chaos spreads among the commoners as they see someone that big knocked out in one hit. Turns out, there's a whole musclehead gang who witnessed their captain being sent flying. Cruel sees the bulky fellas and lets out that he can smell their sweat from all the way here and challenges them to come at him as one. But to his surprise, the bulky gang finds him amazing and believes that he has an innate talent for muscles, as they've never seen anyone send the captain flying in one hit. The commoners gossip about the nobles being built different and how Cruel has got looks too. Meanwhile, Cruel doesn't know why they're acting like this, but it feels great. The people warmly welcome the arrogant dude and have tons of questions regarding nobles as they wonder if nobles are good at holding their liquor. They decide to have a match with liquor this time round. They ask Cruel if he's good at arm wrestling, and he proudly admits that he's a noble after all, so of course he's good at it. The people are amused by the nobles and decide to drink more when they see his mug already empty. Cruel Dwight enjoys the company and states that these vulgar bastards have no class at all as he announces that everything is on him today, and decides to show the class difference between them while the people cheer on his name. Later, Cruel is pulled by Yan, who supports him, helping him walk as he warns him not to vomit because he will kill him if he does that. The arrogant guy claims that he's not drunk but is interrupted with a hiccup while he wonders where's his brother Billy. Yan reminds him about how he was saying that he's from a different class and now they're brothers. Cruel confesses that Billy has suffered a lot and admits that he's a nice guy. Thus he confesses that they're all fools, as everyone was praising him just because he hung out with them. He finds it strange that they warmly welcomed a stranger like him whom they've only met today. He asks Yan if he doesn't find it strange that even people he met for the first time today treat him so well. He questions why he has never heard a single praise from his blood-related family. Something like, "You did well," or "I trust you." because if they had said it just once, things would have been different. Moman questions our boy about what he put in Cruel's drink just now. Yan pretends to act clueless, but she saw him put something in his drink. Our trainee reveals that he put in crystal powder used for purifying demonic energy. Considering how Cruel became less aggressive today, he believes the powder was really effective. Momon is shocked to hear that since that's really expensive, as she wonders if he has too much money or what. She asks him if he's starting to see Cruel as his friend or something, because why else would he help him? She states that it's not like him, but Yan lets her know that he isn't helping him. He just simply recalled a moment from the past. Whenever he sees a human who commits evil as they lose their own will, it eats away at him. That's why he did that. With that, he suggests that they go back quickly, as he thinks that Cruel is really about to puke now. Momon reminds him that it's fine for her since she can't get puked on. In the Duke Beowulf castle, we see the Beowulf heavy-armored knights. While the Special Forces team finally arrives at the Beowulf castle, Cheryl is intimidated to see the Beowulf territory, while Cruel feels cold as he asks Lorena if her hometown has always been this cold. The mission they need to execute here would be to work with the Beowulf household and subjugate the barbarians. As they live in a harsh environment, they're always fighting the barbarians for land where people can live. It's inevitable that they would always require more manpower to help. But the bigger problem here, that Jan finds, would be the Knights of the North, who are very prideful. He wonders if they would accept the help of outsiders. Lorena decides to warn them beforehand about something as she addresses everyone, and reveals that from this point onwards, they will be seeing a lot of things that they would never be able to expect. Thus, she informs them to prepare themselves. Just then, the chief butler of the Beowulf household, Hans Maringer, asks them if all of them are sent by the Special Forces, and politely requests them to go back, referring to them as uninvited guests. He clarifies that the North has never requested any reinforcements or agreed to receive guests. Count Hans Maringer, the former knight captain of the Beowulf household, after he retired, he decided to work as a butler in the Beowulf household. He's at least a rank 3 or above. With his skills, no matter which country he chooses to go to right now, he will be able to become a knight captain. Our trainee can't believe someone like him is a butler, finding it utterly ridiculous. Lorena steps up and lets out that it's been a while. She informs Hans that they're with her and they're here on an official mission as part of the Special Forces. She thinks he's spoken too harshly, hence she instructs him to be respectful to them. Hans enunciates that it's been years since Lorena left on her own accord and cries that it was really mean of her. He can't believe she spoke so harshly to him even though it's been so many years since they met last. The former knight can't believe that she joined the Special Forces without even saying anything. He cries dramatically, asking her if she's taking the side of the Special Forces instead of his right now, and wonders if she knows how worried he was for her. Yan and all the others are left bewildered to witness this sight, as this is something he really wasn't expecting to see. Meanwhile, Hans notices a scar on Lorena's face and curses the old fox of the Special Forces for letting that happen. The lady soldier, feeling embarrassed, confesses that this is the reason why she didn't want to come back here. But the old butler interrupts her from saying such sad things again, as he declares that everyone has been waiting for her to come back. And that was how they managed to find the strength to live on. The purple-haired lady admits that she went a little overboard with her words, and notices Hans's hair has grown all white over the last few years. She politely asks him if he's feeling unwell anywhere, to which the old butler starts crying dramatically yet again, after realizing that she's worrying for him. Lorena tells him to calm down and decides to go inside since the weather is pretty cold. The butler announces that the head chef will personally cook something up as he invites those who are with Lorena to go with her as well. Hans lets her know that the patriarch will return soon from his hunt and suggests she should have a meal with him once he's back. But Lorena doesn't want to hear any mention of her father, as she warns him not to speak of him in front of her. She announces that she will complete the mission before his return and leave again. The butler tries to object and asks her if her misunderstanding is still unresolved, but she leaves. In the dining hall, we see Cheryl and Cruel, who can't believe they have to wait until Lorena is here to start with all this food in front of them. The arrogant brat wonders if this is how Beowulf works, questioning if they're mutts under training or what. And he's also pissed about why Lorena isn't here yet. Cheryl tells him to be quiet, as she believes that they might call him a human that's worse than a mutt. Cruel snaps at her, as he states that's just what she wants to say because who else would say that? But the maid standing there tells him to mind his manners and confesses that he's worse than a mutt. This triggers the arrogant dude even more as he asks the maid if she's aware he's the son of Count Dwight. The savage maid lets him know that doesn't matter as she's a maid of the Beowulf household. Cheryl tries to calm him down and realizes that Yan isn't here yet either. Cruel wonders where the hell he is and is told that our boy had something to do. Cheryl tries to remember what Yan said it was and reveals that it was something like he was looking for something that can only be found here. Meanwhile, our boy is in the storage of abandoned weapons in the Duke Beowulf castle. In his previous life, the Emperor once rummaged through the whole continent to find a single sword, the primordial dragon, only one. The dragon slayer that killed only one had made 2 sacred swords that could tear through a dragon's corpse. Bahamut killed him and got his hands on one of the sacred swords. The Emperor spared no expense or means to look for the other sword. which even the founding emperor couldn't find. He put up an immense amount of reward, mobilized the special forces, and searched throughout the whole continent, but couldn't find any trace of it. Just when he was about to give up, he managed to find the sword and said something. Yan witnesses the sword in front of him that even the founding emperor couldn't find. That sword couldn't be found no matter how hard people looked for it. The emperor said that no one expected it to be lying in a corner of the north storage like this. The dragon sword Astalon. Astalon, the brother sword of Nagling, which pierced through Yan. Our boy stumbles across the sword he saw in his past life. The sword, which is completely neglected, he found in the corner of the storage. Even Yan had no idea that it would be one of the 2 swords left behind by the demon slayer, the dragon sword, Astalon. And if it's with this sword, he's certain that he won't lose, even if it's the emperor. I mean, what powers even the sword holds? Just as Yan touches the sword, a voice erupts from the sword, followed by powerful energy that cascades. That aura repels his touch, and the voice declares that Yan is not qualified for this weapon. Gritting his teeth, our guy does not take the rejection by Astalon well, as it hurts his pride, wondering how dare this darn antique reject him. Yan presumes that he definitely heard a voice when he held Astalon and said he's not qualified. In the meantime, Momon materializes and finds it fascinating. Our guy then asks the spirit if she knows what's happening. Momon, the magic scholar, analyses Astalon and determines that it's not an ego sword which possesses its own ego. Rather, it's a weapon that chooses its master. It is then known to us that there are times when a weapon possesses some divinity. In such cases, the sword has the choice to choose its own master. So to sum things up, Momon iconically mocks our guy, muttering that this brat has been rejected by the sword because he's too low level for it. Our guy can't take this humiliation anymore as he angrily approaches the sword to undo this rejection. He even summons the Black Wolf, but then reality slaps across his face when Astalon utters the same thing. Yan is not qualified for it. However, our guy forcibly holds onto the sword like a persistent bastard and urges Astalon to accept him, calling himself a pretty decent man. He asks the sword not to give him this bullshit and accept him. The scene then switches to Beowulf Castle, where we see the heavy armored knights assembled in the hall. Lorena Beowulf holds a sword that she used previously, while Hans requests her to reconsider her decision. The butler announces that their operation of subjugating the barbarians would begin today, and strictly accentuates that no mistakes are allowed, especially for this operation because Miss Lorena is with them. Seeing the heavy armored knights, Lady Beowulf finds it insulting and asks Hans if he thought she can't even complete a mission given to them. And if that's the case, she doesn't desire to see Hans either. While Lorena manifests that they just need to obtain 10 of the barbarian flags, ironically easier than fighting an ancient lich, the butler of the Beowulf family, Hans Marigner, warns her that she shouldn't underestimate the barbarians. Barbarians hold their flags in high regard and believe that their tribe flags contain the souls of their ancestors. It's not even an exaggeration that the barbarians would rather lose their lives than lose their flags. Sighing, Hans knows that his master won't listen to him either way, so he commands everyone to look after Miss Lorena. While Kasia delightedly cooperates, Cruel Dwight frowns and mumbles that he isn't the Beowulf guard. Kasia then thanks butler Hans for giving them warm clothes, or else they would have frozen to death. And Lorena isn't surprised to see that Hans is considerate as always. The butler then notices Lorena wearing the uniform, and Lady Beowulf reasons that it's her first mission as a special force member after all. Shortly, Jan shows up at the mission gathering and justifies that his errand ran a little longer than expected. They question our boy why the hell he didn't show up at lunch, and now that he's arrived, he's in tatters. Cruel begins laughing hysterically and remarks that Jan looks like shit. Well, no doubt, he does. Cruel makes fun of him and says he thought he was grilling meat somewhere, but his cocky ass is humbled after getting smacked by Yan and getting a nosebleed. Meanwhile, Momon snickers at our guy and admits that it serves him right for calling himself a decent man and acting arrogantly. The spirit suggests Yan give up on the sword because a man that's too persistent is not popular with people. Our guy follows that for now since he has a lot of time for that. From Jan's narrative, as expected of Nagling's brother's sword, Astalon, we learn that the sword can't be wielded unless it acknowledges that person. Our guy desperately covets to find a way to get his hands on Astalon. Just then, Lorena approaches him and clarifies that the only reason she's wearing the uniform is because it's her first mission as a special force member, in case Jan misunderstands. While it's unknown why she's acting so silly, Lorena further justifies that the uniform is pretty durable and comfy, perfect for combat and resistance to cold. Our guy doesn't understand what the hell she's talking about, but he indirectly compliments Lorena, saying the uniform does look good for combat. Flustered, Lady Beowulf seems to be living in her delusional world, and nervously commands the heavy armored knights to prepare and open the gates of the castle. The butler affirms everyone to be in high spirits since Miss Lorena is with them, while Dwight badmouths the Beowulfs, country bumpkins, and scoffs that they're making such a big fuss over some barbarians. Jan gives Dwight a side-eye and contemplates that the central nobles are unaware of how fearsome the barbarians are, because the Beowulfs have done a great job defending against them this whole time. But Jan remembers that this is the time period where the tribes are united under strong chieftains, and they become an enormous kingdom that threatens even the Cavalon Empire. And this is where the king of barbarians appears, the man who's known to be the strongest living being on Earth, Valai. To be exact, they have no idea what is waiting for them. A country that emerges from the Warrior Alliance Kingdom, a vast alliance of barbarians, grows into an enormous kingdom that threatens even the mighty Kavalan Empire itself. The king of this warrior alliance, one of the top 5 most dangerous enemies facing the empire, is Vilai. He stands out as a remarkably strong warrior, born with an exceptional physique and utilizing mysterious, unknown techniques in battle. The most terrifying trait Vilai possesses, though, is his ability to unravel and understand the fighting methods of any foe he encounters. To the Empire's knights, he isn't just an adversary, he is the very embodiment of fear itself. In the past, Yan tried everything in his power to kill this man, but nothing ever worked. There are hardly any records detailing what Vilai is up to now, so our boy can only hope their paths do not cross again. As the team trudges onward, Cruel grumbles about how long they have to trek through this frozen hellscape. He complains, asking why they can't simply use horses to speed things up. Lorena responds, explaining that horses simply can't survive or function well in these harsh, icy conditions. Our protagonist, meanwhile, finds the landscape strikingly beautiful, despite the difficulty in sensing anything beyond the biting cold. Lorena further comments that outsiders must see this region as bleak, since for 200 days out of every 365, winter rules the land. Snow and barbarians seem the only constants. Yet, she points out, there are still people enduring life in the remotest corners here, people she considers stronger than anyone else she knows. Yan notes that this must be the pride of someone born and raised here, perhaps the pride of a true local lord. Cheryl agrees with him, adding with a smile that both Lorena and this place have their own kind of beauty. Even the guards around them seem to concur, their banter echoing this sentiment. However, as the group continues, an unusual sight in the forest draws their attention. A dense, ominous crimson mist slowly creeping closer. One of the knights quickly explains that this mist is the scout signal, used when barbarians have been spotted nearby. That means it's time to prepare for combat. Cruel, growing excited at the prospect of a fight, says he's ready, and team leader Savo agrees. Though he warns Cruel to brace himself, he's about to witness something truly cruel. Dwight scoffs, thinking Savo must be exaggerating. After all, Dwight has already encountered various monsters and even faced a lich, so he doubts anything can shock him now. It's true that members of the Special Forces are no strangers to danger. They've faced countless monsters and endured rigorous, life-threatening training, so confidence feels natural to them. However, what the team comes upon this time is a completely different level of brutality. The so-called tribe's base barely qualifies as a camp, and within its boundaries, a horrifyingly one-sided slaughter is taking place. Dwight and Cheryl take in the grisly scene with expressions of horror, while Lorena turns away, unable to watch. Cheryl is particularly shaken. She questions out loud whether knights aren't supposed to follow a code, protecting the weak and serving their lords with honor. What she sees before her are not knights. To her, they are demons. They are barbarians, unrestrained and merciless. In a rare moment, Dwight steps forward and blocks Cheryl's view, insisting this is not something she should witness. Our hero notices this gesture and realizes that, combined with Dwight's ability to remain calm even amid all the blood, it means his demonic energy is at least somewhat under control, though only a little. Everyone is deeply unsettled, but this is the reality of how ethnic groups wage war here. It is nothing like conflicts between countries with organized armies. Instead, it is a primal war of pure bloodshed, where every single person must be killed, women and children included. Lorena must have heard stories about this kind of warfare before, but knowing about it and seeing it firsthand are two very different things. Moving forward, she will have to carry the weight of what she's seen, but it's unclear if she will be able to bear it. In the midst of this carnage, a baby cries out, clutched in the lifeless arms of its mother. Dwight and Cheryl hesitate, torn about whether to step in, but before they can move, a knight discovers the child. The knight declares the baby lucky, implying he will be spared the fate of living as a barbarian. Cheryl, refusing to accept this, pleads with the knight to stop, but before he can bring his blade down, Lorena rushes in and places herself between the weapon and the child. She tells the knight that enough blood has been spilled. They have already killed everyone capable of wielding a weapon, so now they only need to seize the flag and leave. Killing this innocent child would be an unforgivable sin, and she has decided to prevent it. Yan watches her, thinking that she is incredibly brave for standing her ground. However, all the knights hear her declaration. Some believe she's joking, but if she truly means it, they realize they may have to take action against her. Lorena has always possessed a tough resolve. Raised with a sword in hand, she understands the true nature of the war with the barbarians. She is prepared for anything. When she sees the barbarian woman, poorly dressed for the climate, and the baby wrapped in high-grade fur, something stirs within her. She steps forward and tells the knights that she will take responsibility for the child. The knights question her actions, reminding Lorena that even a single surviving barbarian could bring catastrophe to their people and territory. Refusing to listen, Lorena dismisses their extreme way of thinking. This baby, even if born a barbarian, is innocent and carries no crime. Cheryl asks how they can defy their own master. A soldier tells her to stay out of it, reminding her that they are guests. He questions whether she intends to interfere with the Beowulf Knights in their own territory. Cheryl retorts that true knights would not carry out a mission to kill an innocent baby and questions their sense of honor. Even Cruel finds this troubling. He knows that allowing a baby to die would haunt him with nightmares and ruin his reputation. Voss lifts his helmet and urges Lorena to stop, incredulous that she would protect one of the so-called beasts. He questions whether she understands the implications. Our boy Yan is not surprised. He knows conflicts like these unfold all over the world, and he recognizes that these Beowulf knights are not easily swayed by emotion or personal gain. Instead, they are motivated by revenge, having witnessed too much bloodshed at the hands of the barbarians. Suddenly, a surge of energy sweeps through the area, drawing everyone's attention. Above them, the chieftain arrives, shaking the ground and radiating an intense light. After his energy settles, one of the knights curses the scouts for their failure. No one anticipated the chieftain's attack. The chieftain seizes a knight by the head, demanding to know if his family and tribe were slaughtered. This is Chieftain Kabur, one of the 20 barbarian leaders. Since the knights have committed an unforgivable sin, he vows to send them all to hell, promising that their deaths will be slow and painful. Lorena leaps in to save the knight. As she strikes, her blade's tip shatters on Kabur's glowing head. Taking this as a warning, she quickly retreats, but Kabur pursues her relentlessly. Before he can reach her, the Beowulf knights rush in with their spears, Voss leading the charge. He apologizes to Lorena, sensing that their end is near, and regrets raising his voice to her, wishing her good health. Before Lorena can respond, Voss and the other knights are cut in half by a single blow. Kabur, still furious, turns his attention to Lorena, intent on finishing her. In that moment, a black wolf is summoned, drawing blood from Kabur, a rare occurrence for him. Our protagonist, Yan, steps forward and tells Kabur not to be surprised by a single scratch, warning him that soon his entire body will be split. Mystic tattoos are worn exclusively by barbarian chieftains. Their purpose is to enable the use of mana, effectively replacing the need for an energy core. These tattoos draw mana directly from skin and muscle, greatly enhancing the chieftain's physical strength. When combined with their training, their attacks become extraordinarily destructive. Yan observes that the chieftain's body is even tougher than he expected. Kabur, unimpressed, rushes at our protagonist, intent on ending the fight. The others, not wanting to be left out, quickly join the fray. In their haste, Cruel and Lorena's swords become tangled. Kabur barely has to defend himself. He is stunned by their lack of skill and sends both flying with a single punch. Dwight is shocked that neither fighter even managed to scratch the chieftain. He questions whether Kabur is truly human. Meanwhile, Lorena notices the knights are thrown into confusion by their opponent's overwhelming presence. Realizing that they must be the ones to face him, Cheryl soon returns, having secured the baby in a safe location. Suddenly, Dwight claims that if Lorena had not interfered, he would have sliced Kabur apart. He insists that next time, she should support while he takes the lead in attacking. Lorena disagrees, arguing that Dwight should be the supporter instead. Cruel chimes in, reminding Lorena of how thoroughly he bested her in their last training session, but she dismisses his comment, challenging him to see the outcome in a real fight. Our boy, Yan, has had enough of their arguing and urges them to calm down. He warns that acting so foolishly in front of the enemy is dangerous. The bickering continues, with Lorena and Cruel questioning whether he truly believes he can defeat Kabur on his own. As Yan tries to caution them about the chieftain's unpredictable attacks, Kabur suddenly strikes, forcing everyone to scatter. Kabur's assault compels Cruel and Lorena to charge at him once more. Watching their tactics, Yan realizes they cannot win like this. Both are strong, but because they attack independently rather than together, their efforts clash, resembling a disjointed melody. Cheryl decides to join the fight. Although our protagonist warns her that it might be useless, he soon notices a change. The moment Cheryl enters the battle, the chaos gives way to coordination. Even Kabur senses the shift. Cheryl's attacks are straightforward, simple dagger strikes and hidden weapon techniques, but they connect the group's efforts, transforming their once discordant assault into something effective. Our hero is impressed by her talent, yet he cannot recall hearing about her in his previous life. He wonders what became of her. Cheryl calls for Lorena and Cruel to attack with full force. They respond, managing to tear into Kabur's flesh. The two leap high into the air. The chieftain raises a hand in defense, but his guard finally breaks. This gives Yan the opening to strike. He launches the Dark Soul Demolition uppercut, shattering the guard on Kabur's other hand, but it isn't enough. Quickly, he summons the reverse of the uppercut, slashing downward and inflicting heavy damage. Kabur collapses to his knees. The others think the battle is over, but Kabur refuses to accept defeat. In a final effort, he leaps away to escape. The group is surprised by his desperation, but Lorena advises against pursuit, suggesting they report everything to the knight captain. When they look around, Yan is nowhere to be seen. Lorena, however, knows exactly where he's gone. Kabur manages to get far, but his injury slows him down. The pain is nothing compared to the agony of losing his people. He swears to survive and avenge them. Suddenly, Yan's voice comes from above, commending Kabur's level-headed decision. If he had waited any longer, escape would have been impossible. Though some might call it shameless, our protagonist knows that survival is all that matters. Kabur asks when Yan caught up, but Yan tells him to relax. He doesn't intend to kill him. He'll let Kabur go after answering a few questions, the most important being whether he's ever heard the name Vilai. At the mention of Vilai, Kabur's anger ignites and he charges forward. Someone like Yan, he says, has no right to utter that name. The chieftain's strikes are so powerful that the mountain itself begins to crack. Our hero can't understand it. Why is Kabor so determined to throw his life away? Kabor sees Yan as the arrogant one, mocking him for failing to inflict any real injury despite fighting alongside 4 others. Anyone who pursues Vilai, like our protagonist, must be destroyed. A memory flashes through Kabor's mind. Vilai once told him they could build a better world together, that it might be possible with him by his side. Yan picks up on this and suddenly begins casting a spell. Kabor notices, but by then, Yan has already activated the stone wall spell. Annoyed by what he considers a mere party trick, Kabor easily cuts through the spikes, grabs Yan, and prepares to unleash a devastating blow. That's when the hidden protector appears. Momon delivers a single, piercing strike that passes straight through Kabor, ending the fight instantly. She starts boasting, claiming this proves how much Yan needs her. She reminds him that his magic would falter without enough imagination, and feels embarrassed to even call him her apprentice. Yan tells her to be quiet, but she barely cares. After all, it's been ages since she cast such a destructive spell, and she relishes the feeling. As Kabor's strength fades, he apologizes to Vilai for failing to keep the vow he made under that setting sun. He hopes Vilai will find someone else to build a better world with now. Momon mocks Yan for nearly losing to what she calls a lousy barbarian, but our boy disagrees. Kabor was truly formidable. With a ragged breath, Kabor asks why they go to such lengths to kill his people. All they've ever done is try to survive in a harsh land. Is extermination their goal? Yan explains that Beowulf struggles too, fighting to survive against strong opponents like Kabor himself. The chieftain laughs at the idea, finding it odd that someone who won a fight would call him strong. But Yan is sincere. Kabor has shown the pride and resilience of a true warrior. Moved, Kabor makes a final request. He asks our protagonist to show mercy to the child taken from his tribe, the last proof his people ever existed. Yan is amazed that, even as he's dying, Kabor is thinking of others. He reassures him that the child is safe with someone kind, who will never let him become a slave. Suddenly, Kabor hands over the chieftain's symbol, a bone necklace of great significance. It serves as a token of their promise. For the chieftains, this necklace is sacred. To receive it means inheriting Kabor's will. While there's no obligation to keep a dying man's promise, Yan doesn't intend to ignore it. In his final moments, Kabor smiles, hoping the world might become a better place. Our protagonist prays that, in his next life, Kabor will be born into a kinder world. He deserves at least that much. That night, Beowulf Castle is filled with celebration. The knights rejoice in their victory, which included the defeat of a chieftain. Their captain reminds everyone that it wasn't one person's doing, but the result of all who fought and bled for the land. He urges them to raise their mugs and drink until they can't stand. This is the heavy-armored knight captain, William. Mugs are raised and the festivities begin, but Yan notices Lorena isn't joining in. William approaches to check on her, asking if she's all right. He admits he hadn't expected her to kill the chieftain, though she continues to deny it. If she wants, he'll bring her the rest of the tribe's flags. William understands that her somber mood is for the fallen. She isn't used to these things. He reassures her there's no need to grieve. They were knights of the north and of this household. Outsiders may think knights are always noble and honorable, but in truth, even the strongest are still human. Knights know such an end can come for them, and dying in glorious battle is their dream. He assures her that Voss was proud to protect her and died an honorable death. William jokes that he'd like to die for her as well, if only he weren't too strong to fall himself. Lorena asks him not to say such things. William then brings up the child they brought back. Since she was the one who made the exception and saved it, he'll keep an eye on the child. He warns her not to get complacent. That being is no ordinary human. It's a beast that could one day destroy everyone here. Lorena shouts at the captain to stop, insisting he is crossing the line by calling a literal child a beast. William warns Lorena that this could become a threat to their household in the future, one capable of destroying them all. Lorena stands her ground, saying she will take responsibility for the child, and asserts that House Beowulf is strong and will not fall at the hands of a single human. William, however, seems to recall something dark at her words, and he grits his teeth in response. He tells her not to throw around such promises as if they are easily kept. Even if their territory remains strong, human lives are still fragile. Will she be able to bear responsibility for the pain and anguish of the bereft families left behind if something goes wrong? He shares this as advice and hopes she will keep it in mind. Lorena cannot understand. William has always been a merciful person, so why is he being so cruel just because the child is a barbarian? She pouts when she gets no reply, but at that moment, Hans comes around and asks if William said something to her. Lorena explains that William was just angry that she brought the child back, which makes Hans angry himself. How dare that man show anger in front of her? He asks if she wants him to go and teach William how to respect his superiors, but Lorena tells him to calm down. Hans, however, understands William and asks Lorena to be generous in her understanding as well. There is a reason behind William's actions. About 30 years ago, there was an all-out war with the barbarians, who had numbers far greater than they do now. During this war, a young knight comes face to face with a barbarian child from a subjugated tribe whose home is in flames. The child has no weapons and endures the cold of the land with nothing but his own body, evoking pity in the young knight. Despite warnings from everyone, the knight brings the child into his home. He is often away due to his many missions, so it is his fiancée who cares for the child. For an entire year, the two of them do everything they can to care for him. Still, despite their efforts to love the child as their own, he remains a barbarian at heart. He kills the knight's fiancée and runs away. When the knight returns and finds her body, he experiences anguish beyond anything he has ever known. He blames himself for what happened and continues to do so to this day. After this, the knight becomes captain. From that time forth, he shows no mercy to any barbarian, not to their women or children. He slaughters them all as if they are animals. Lorena asks Hans if he is speaking of who she thinks he is, and Hans confirms it. The young knight was William, who turned his deep anguish into anger that still burns within him. Lorena feels deeply saddened. She realizes she has said many things without knowing William's past. Hans tells her it is not just William. The other knights too have lost family because of the barbarians. Lorena is left speechless, but Hans reassures her that she should not blame herself for something beyond her control. Our boy Jan listens to all of this. The knight captain will not let this go, so if our protagonist wants to fulfill his promise to Kabur, he must intervene. Hans then reveals that this is not the end of the story. Now someone is trying to unite the barbarians, and that person is none other than Vilai, the commander chieftain of the barbarians, who is also the very same barbarian child William once took in. The revelation stuns our hero. He tries to find information about Vilai but comes up empty. Clearly, the connection to this territory has been covered up, making it impossible to discover anything. This unexpected development may actually help Jan in tracking Vilai down. Hans, seeing Lorena's continued distress, tells her he understands her feelings. She is kind after all, but suggests she step back and let him handle things from here. Lorena refuses, knowing the others would never show mercy to the child. Hans asks what other options they have. At this point, Jan steps out from his cover and remarks that they are simply overthinking a straightforward problem. Hans tells him to stand back. Even if he is a friend, he is interfering in house matters. Our protagonist proposes a solution. All they need to do is persuade Count Beowulf to give his permission. As the absolute ruler of the North, if the Count approves, no one would dare to oppose it. Hans dismisses this idea as nonsense, insisting that the Count would never allow such a thing, and asks who would have the courage to even bring it up to him. Lorena gulps, and then announces that she will do it. She will speak to her father and persuade him. No matter what happens, she says, she will accept his decision. Meanwhile, William walks the lonely streets, questioning whether he was too harsh on Lorena. Still, he tells himself, he must stop her before she has to suffer the same grief he once did. Suddenly, he catches sight of a certain flag, the Frost Knights. They were supposed to be on a subjugation mission with the Patriarch. He wonders if they have already returned. As he stands in thought, someone appears and asks if he is all right, noticing that William seems troubled. The person is none other than Keon, captain of the Frost Knights. If Keon is back, it means the Count has returned with them as well. William asks if the Duke has returned. Keon replies that he hasn't. The Duke had something to acquire, so he sent the knights back first. William finds it hard to believe that the Duke is in the northern seas all alone and wonders if he will be all right. Keon assures him there's no need to worry. The northern seas are like a playground to their Duke. The real ones to worry about are the monsters that cross his path. Changing the subject, he mentions that he heard Lorena brought back a barbarian, which is probably a challenge for them. William says it's fine, but the Frost Knight captain clarifies that he wasn't talking about the others. He was talking about Lorena. As William already knows, she is kind and will have a hard time for a few days, just from seeing a pitiful animal. Keon is also curious about the special forces that came with her and wonders if they can be trusted with her safety. William has heard that they are competent, but still quite young. However, there is one person among them, Jan, who is extraordinary. As long as our boy is with Lorena, there is no need to worry about her safety. Keon seems to understand, perhaps because of his age, but even with Lorena's return, he feels as if something bad is about to happen to them. William asks what he means, but Keon can't say for sure. He just feels like a great storm is about to befall their kingdom. Meanwhile, in a side building of Beowulf Castle, Momin enjoys a drink because it's basically free. She's noticed that the soldiers have been arguing about the child for several days, but that has recently stopped. Now, things are quiet. Yan told her that they would take a break from barbarian subjugations, though they have only gathered 3 flags so far. They did that with only her help, since she showed our protagonist how to do some real damage with magic. She did have to use up all the mana she'd secretly accumulated, but Yan praised her skills quite a bit. Now that she thinks about it though, that bastard deceived her and actually stole mana from her. She heads off to demand her mana back but gets distracted by a duel taking place. William is fighting against Cruel. The captain immediately spots all of Dwight's flaws, commenting that he is too open on all sides and much too stiff for a swordsman. Cruel gets angry at this, but William only mocks him more, pointing out that the fight already favors him since he is using a real sword against a wooden one. Still, only in this way could they level the playing field a little. This provokes Dwight to push harder, while our protagonist watches from a distance. Momin asks why this duel is even happening. Are they really that bored? Yan admits that boredom plays a part, but after fighting Kabur, he realized they are still too weak. If Momin hadn't intervened, real danger would have followed. He also picked up some information on Astalon each time he touched it. The sword rejected our boy as its master, but for the Northern Knights, it felt like nothing more than a heavy blade. Jan suspects this difference might be due to the unique mana methods of House Beowulf. They create the Snow Soul in their energy core and use it as a mana amplifier. This is similar in principle to the Mana Heart, so he hopes to learn something from this fight. Momin does not understand why Cruel is fighting if that is the case. Yan replies that he just got tired of beating people up and wanted to watch someone else do it for a change. Even though she's a lich, Momin still thinks Yan is a bit messed up. She wonders aloud if something happened in his childhood to make our protagonist so sadistic. Suddenly, Kion appears and greets Yan since this is their first meeting. Yan recognizes him as the captain of the Frost Knights and politely introduces himself, apologizing for not doing so sooner. Kion tells him to be at ease and brings up Yan's defeat of Chieftain Kabur, which is impressive for someone so young. Yan modestly claims he just got lucky, explaining that Lorena and the other special forces weakened Kabur enough for him to finish the job. Kion nods, but notes that Yan speaks as if he's close to Lorena. He questions our boy, asking what his relationship with her is, wondering if he's being too familiar, looking down on her, or if he's done something to their queen. Yan is exasperated, thinking all these older knights must be crazy, and insists he hasn't had many interactions with Lorena, nor is he close with her. It's all just a misunderstanding. The captain is satisfied but presses further, asking why Yan hasn't interacted with her more. Does he think she's not good enough? Did he make her cry? Yan grows increasingly weary, but Kion is simply testing him, and now he understands why William praised our protagonist. Kion asks Yan for a duel, mentioning that his youngest knight Mir is also quite skilled. This makes Yan smile. It's a perfect opportunity for him. For the duel, our hero uses a wooden sword. Mir tells him that if he wants to use a real sword, he can. The others think Yan is insulting the knights by fighting with wood, and Kion enjoys seeing such confidence from a young man, though it's also an affront to their honor. He tells Mir to use his full strength, which Mir does immediately, warning Yan that he'll soon wish he chose a real sword. As Mir charges, Yan effortlessly disarms him with a single move, astonishing everyone. Here is our protagonist, subduing a Frost Knight with a single blow. Yan checks if Mir is alright. Meanwhile, in the northern rockthorn forest, Vilai is speaking with an old man about the Duke. He then instructs the man to gather the chieftains. Cruel eventually admits defeat, but William encourages him not to be discouraged, telling him he did great and possesses truly fearsome talent. The noble trainee, however, feels that the captain is teasing him since he didn't even manage to leave a scratch. William insists it was actually close. About 600 pieces of paper close, he jokes. After admitting he's kidding, William compliments Cruel, saying that with him, the household has a bright future to look forward to. At that moment, William notices a gathering of Frost Knights behind them and asks what's going on. To everyone's shock, Yan has emerged victorious. Our boy thinks the knights are more concerned about their pride since he's embarrassed them, but instead, they are all amazed by how incredible he is. Mir thanks Yan for the great fight, but our protagonist says he should be the one giving thanks. Mir accepts defeat, acknowledging Yan's remarkable skills for his age. The other knights begin laughing at Mir since he's older, but doesn't possess Yan's skills. Our hero is surprised by how unbothered they are, since knights usually take great pride in victory and defeat. Typically, they would either fall into despair or simply accept the loss with stoic honor. For these knights, risking their lives in every battle is simply normal. He wonders if losing so badly really doesn't hurt their pride at all. Yan realizes this attitude is probably what makes them so strong. They aren't called the Northern Wall for nothing. Suddenly, someone steps forward, eager to be next. Laurent, the 99th Frost Knight, challenges Yan, who gladly accepts, seeing this as another chance to observe their unique mana methods. As soon as the duel begins, Laurent goes on the offensive, using all his power as a mark of respect. This time, Yan can finally see the knight's mana, which makes the path of his sword visible to him. Laurent then uses the first form of the Frost Knights, the Ice Sword Dance, a rapid, flowing attack. Anticipating this, Yan accelerates his own movements, managing to get behind Laurent. The knight notices and strikes, only to realize he's hit an after-image. Yan, who has actually circled close, wins the match with a simple, clean strike. Laurent quickly understands what happened. Yan used his own clothes as bait, a clever and ingenious tactic. The knight admits defeat and calls Yan an incredible fighter, prompting the rest of the Frost Knights to start clamoring for a match against him. William turns to Kion and asks for his thoughts on Yan. Kion now understands all the praise the young man has received. William remarks that Cruel isn't bad at all, but Yan is on another level. He adds that it was that snake, Instructor Commander Damien, who trained Yan, someone William thought to be interested only in political games back in the capital. Perhaps Yan is wasted under him. The Frost Captain agrees, saying Yan would grow even more if he joined their household. At the same time, though, he's cautious. He can't let our boy stay around the arena too long, since he could have ulterior motives. William agrees with that as well, but points out that everyone is tired. He suggests they wrap things up for today and continue in the morning. Suddenly, outside, someone gives the charge command, and a large horn blares. William recognizes it as their emergency horn but wonders what could be happening. Someone rushes inside, Han, announcing that the territory is in a state of emergency and instructing everyone to prepare their armor and swords immediately. The knights all ask who is responsible for the attack. In that instant, their main gate is shattered and the enemy pours in. Han shouts that their strongest enemy is here, Commander Chieftain Vilai. Yan is stunned, since this was never supposed to happen so soon. History has changed once again. The soldiers rush to the walls and can see that the third castle walls have already been destroyed, meaning the barbarians are advancing at a frightening rate. William calls for a report. A knight informs him that the third knights are defending the second castle walls, and that they judged it was still possible to hold the third castle walls. However, those walls have now fallen and the residents have been evacuated, so the knights are focusing on the second walls. The enemy, however, is vast in number, and the outlook is grim. The soldier estimates there are around 30,000 barbarians right now. William wonders how such a massive army got so close without being seen, considering they have rangers. But the knight explains that the rangers are all dead. They were targeted before the attack even began. William orders Keon and the Frost Knights to head for the first castle walls to help with evacuation, while he and the armored knights will defend the second castle wall. At the same time, our protagonist curses his fate, realizing history is changing in the worst possible direction for him. He wonders what caused this. Perhaps his very arrival in Beowulf. In the past, as long as the suppression force known as Beowulf was present, Vilai never dared to invade. Maybe the enemy found new ways to counter them. Jan's decision to come to Beowulf, and the presence of Larina and the others, has changed everything. That's when our boy finally understands. A barbarian reports to Vilai that they are advancing toward the second castle walls. Vilai instructs them to stand by and send only the swiftest forward, then tells the barbarian, who has excellent eyesight, to keep watch. Jan realizes what Vilai is after, Larina. He intends to take her hostage. At the second wall, the third white knight is desperately trying to hold back the barbarians from entering the castle. These barbarians have come with a clear purpose. United by their brotherhood, they share a deep, burning anger. They are determined to avenge those who have fallen at the hands of these so-called monsters. They believe that victory in this battle will make them the true masters of the North. Elsewhere, Cheryl and Larina are sticking together, both visibly shaken by the sudden attack for which they were completely unprepared. As some barbarians draw dangerously close to the children's hideout, Larina urges Cheryl to relocate the children elsewhere while she remains behind to hold their position. Although Cheryl dislikes the idea of leaving Larina alone, she has to admit it's easier to evade pursuit alone. She promises to return quickly before darting off. With Cheryl gone, Larina is left on her own. Suddenly, a barbarian sneaks up behind her. Before he can even utter a word, a sharp pain erupts from his back. Larina wonders aloud why he isn't speaking, only to discover that Jan has cut him down. He is relieved to have found her in time. Suddenly, our boy grabs Larina's arm, flustering her, and urgently asks where they are going. Jan tells her they need to get to the castle. She is the target. Vilai is after her specifically, knowing she is the Duke's weakness. The plan was to capture the Duke by using her as bait, and Jan barely stopped that from happening for now. However, this is not the end. If they're caught out here, it will be hopeless. Yin insists that if it comes down to it, Larina must escape, even if it costs him his life. Larina is incredulous, scoffing at the idea that our protagonist would want her to flee alone. Suddenly, the castle begins to crack and the steeple above comes crashing down toward Jan and Larina. Our hero realizes there isn't enough time to save them both. He lets go of Larina and shoves her to safety just as the steeple crashes down on him. Larina survives, but her foot is badly injured, leaving her unable to walk. She's shocked that a human could endure such a thing and calls out for Jan, but receives no answer. At that moment, Vilai appears, apologizing for the abrupt introduction but admitting he doesn't know any other way to greet them. Larina instantly recognizes him, surprising Vilai, but this only convinces him that they have nothing to discuss. She can feel the heavy pressure coming off him. For the first time in her life, she is this intimidated by another human besides her father. With her leg injured, there's no chance for her to win, so she resolves to end things quickly. Vilai notices she's charging up her mana, guessing she intends to finish the fight in a single instant. The Beowulf successor can't even track when Vilai closes the gap between them. As the rumors say, he is overwhelmingly powerful. The commander chieftain promises not to hurt her if she comes quietly, pointing out that she is a valuable card in his hand. Larina glances to the side, tipping Vilai off to Jan's sneak attack. Vilai responds by punching through Jan's chest, turning him to dust. Both believe this is the end, but the chieftain soon realizes this was merely a magical illusion. The real Jan taunts Vilai, pointing out that he relies too much on his eyes and can't distinguish between reality and magic. A simple trick, really. Larina, amazed, wonders how our boy even knows how to use magic. Vilai, however, remains unimpressed. Jan, holding Larina in his arms, explains that even though this is their first meeting, he never wanted to meet Vilai. Larina demands to be let down, and when Jan ignores her, she tries to punch him, though her efforts are futile. Vilai warns Jan not to get arrogant just because his trick succeeded, declaring he'll need less than 30 seconds to shred him to pieces. Our protagonist calmly wonders if Vilai even has that much time, since his true target might vanish while they fight. Vilai is confused, assuming his target is right in his grasp, but Jan has figured out what the commander is really after. It's the Astalon sword. The dragon sword Astalon is said to have the power of a ruler who has won every battle in his life. With that sword, subjugating the empire would no longer be a dream for Vilai. Jan offers the chieftain commander a deal. If he wants, he could tell him the location of the sword. However, in return, he is going to take Larina. Vilai understands that if he lets them go, Jan will tell him the sword's location. Larina whispers, asking if that really exists, which our boy confirms, but he's not actually going to give him the sword, as that thing is quite special. Our protagonist thinks about how Vilai lived in the Beowulf kingdom when he was younger, and he suspects that Vilai would know about the dragon sword. With those eyes of his, Vilai would easily be able to find it. Even if he did not know about it, he wouldn't just ignore the sword's existence, and that's what Jan has used as bait. Vilai knows about that sword, but that's not what his people call it. According to them, that is the sword of the ruler. the legendary blade that has been passed down through their tribe. Yan realizes that the chieftain commander just bit his bait, so he hurries him along. Our boy tells Vilai that he does not have time, since the knights are going to get the sword and move it to a safe place soon. He further adds that the duke will be here soon as well, so Vilai has to make a choice. Either he takes Lorena or the sword. Vilai does not like those options, so he decides on a third. He will kill our protagonist, take Lorena, and the sword. Within a second, Vilai approaches them, and with only his battle aura, pushes them away. Yan is concerned for Lorena, but Vilai approaches him, angry that our boy tried to negotiate. He will make him beg for his life through his punctured lungs, and then force Yan to tell the location of the blade obediently. Vilai uses a gravity pressure strike around the area, making the ground crack and fly away. Our hero manages to survive, barely dodging that attack. He mocks the chieftain commander, saying perhaps he has grown soft. Vilai tells him to shut up. He stopped simply because he had a question. He recognizes the bracelet on Yan's waist. It is Kabur's, and he questions why our protagonist has it. Yan explains that he got it from Kabur. After their battle, he entrusted this bracelet to him and asked him to carry on his will. Vilai asks if that was his last moment, so our boy tells him that even while dying, Kabur only thought of his tribe. That man was a simple and strong warrior who fought for his people. The chieftain commander still wants the location of the sword, so he gives Yan a deal. If Yan gives the location to him, he will let him go in order to honor Kabur's will. Yan doesn't know what to feel about abandoning his teammate and running away, but Vilai tells him that he does not need to die here. He knows our protagonist cannot defeat him, and Yan is not even a Beowulf either. Why does he fight in a land where he has no stake? Yan hadn't thought of that, and after a while of negotiating, things calm down. Lorena is still unconscious and Vilai approaches her. He has been itching to get at her, as the Duke's reaction will be priceless. Vilai wonders what kind of face the Duke will make when he sees his daughter, but that's when the clone begins to speak. Yan tells him that he trusts those eyes of his way too much. That is why Vilai keeps being deceived. He shouldn't worry though. The location of the sword is real, so the chieftain commander should hurry up. Vilai is enraged beyond his wits, but he cannot follow now, which is what Yan is hoping for, as the chieftain commander will probably go for the sword, and not for them. Momon asks if Yan saw how her exquisite magic fooled that gorilla again. She says she deserves praise, right? Our boy does praise her. She wonders if he took Kabur's bracelet on purpose. Yan says that he knew it would be good against Vilai, and it certainly did help. The only thing he has to do now is wake Lorena up, as he needs her to awaken the sword. Momon asks if he hasn't given up the sword. Yan really hasn't. He wouldn't just give it to someone after all the things he went through for it. Even if Vilai finds it, he will not be able to get past the sword's defense magic so easily. The Beowulf weapon vault is blasted open by the chieftain commander, who hopes that Yan has not lied about this too. He finds the sword among the other blades. With his blade, Vilai will be able to combat even the Duke. He tries to grab it, but he is not qualified, so he gets punished. Vilai is impressed by the fact that a mere sword dares to not obey. He will make sure to train it well. He tries again, but the sword continues to deny him, so Vilai begins applying much more force. This causes the sword to calm down, making it seem that he will soon have control of it. Suddenly, Han attacks from above. Vilai, caught off guard by the interruption, blocks Han's blade with only his hardened fist. Our protagonist recalls Lorena mentioning a shelter beneath the tower where Mana is hidden, and suggests that she go there and wait until everything is over. She refuses, wanting to fight alongside them, but Yan asks what she will do with her injured leg. Lorena feels the pain but insists it is nothing. She cannot hide and simply watch while everyone fights and her territory is drenched in blood. Yan remarks that she's always cold-hearted, yet when it comes to family, she loses control. Does she think her role as princess is simply to fight on the front lines? She shouldn't worry, as she is still needed to defeat Vilai. Lorena asks what she needs to do, so our boy inches closer and asks her for the most precious thing inside her right now, saying that with it, they can defeat Vilai. She is confused at first, but then something comes to mind. Momon chimes in, asking if our protagonist was dropped as a child. How can he say something like that and expect Lorena to understand? Yan realizes and clarifies that what he meant is that he needs her to teach him the steps of the Snow Soul. He doesn't have time to explain in detail, but it's the only way to get rid of Vilai. Lorena questions if he's gone mad. The steps of the Snow Soul are a secret technique passed down only within the family. She cannot teach it to anyone, not even to Yan, as that is the rule of their household and has been for centuries. Meanwhile, the battle at the weapon vault intensifies. Han mocks Vilai for trying to steal while his own subordinates are dying. Vilai asks if Han understands the gravity of his actions, but Han doesn't care. He is just there to kill the rats sneaking around his home. He uses the 12th form of Snow Soul, the White Flower, summoning a flurry of petals, each infused with sword aura and deadly. The chieftain commander didn't expect Han to be so strong, but Han alone won't be able to stop him with just that. Vilai uses his battle aura to slice through the petals, and the fight turns to close quarters combat once again. The sword is left alone at the top of the vault, but Yan soon arrives, hoping he has enough time. He's grateful Han showed up, even though he doubts Han will last long. Momon warns that once the sword reacts, Vilai will notice, which our hero acknowledges, but by then, everything should be over. The sword reacts negatively again, but this time, Yan possesses the power to confront it. When Lorena stands by her rules, Yan asks what matters more to her, the people of this kingdom or the rules themselves. She must decide now. to lose her people or to lose her rigid adherence to tradition. If she wants to protect everyone, she must defy her household's rules. Lorena recalls people warning her not to mention that person who broke tradition, but she knows Yan is right. It is right for her to do her best, so she decides to entrust everything she has to our boy. She grabs his hand and presses it to her chest, letting him feel her mana and allowing her to teach him the secret technique. Ice is the perfection of silence, and when Yan achieves that stillness, even in a raging snowstorm, he will be able to let his soul bloom. He practices this even now, and with the power of the snow soul entering his body, he is able to achieve his goal and claim Astalon for himself.